Okay, start streaming to YouTube Shorts. I mean, test. Also, I think on YouTube Short you can give me, like, gifts or something. I don't really get it exactly. But it's like the same way you can give people, like, fucking bullshit on TikTok. I think you can do that on YouTube Shorts now. So, there's that. I'm going to spend a little bit of time reading before I reacted to this, but like I said, woke up late and then got distracted by, blame soy pills, still soy pills fault. I got distracted by that little fun TikTok debate. All right, so. We're watching it right now because Nicatus had to get shit set up. They better not copy strike me for this shit. Swear to God. Swear to God.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David.
I'm pretty sure Patrick Bet-David is going to set the capitalist movement back, you know, five fucking years, 200 years actually, by doing this shit. Because, oh my God, he's a retard. Why couldn't they just get a intelligent person, a minimum intelligent person to do this,
This
dog?
is the United States of America.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialist?
I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may...
No.
You're not.
No.
When you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that. They would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to
They need
pay.
one economist versus 20 communists. Exactly, Bob Marley.
Be very careful defaming when you don't know the facts. I'm Patrick Bet-David. I'm an entrepreneur and founder of Jubilee Podcast. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 anti-capitalists. My first claim is incentive is the engine of capitalism. Remove it and the system fails.
Truth nuke.
Hey, great to meet you, Patrick.
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason, good to meet you.
Yeah. I'm valuetained. I'm a big fan of the channel.
Are you
so,
really?
yeah, I do watch it quite regularly.
Very cool.
I do not agree with your claim. I don't think that incentives are only born out of capitalism. Okay. Most capitalist defenders say that incentive is because of scarcity and people's ability to get what is necessary.
I hate when people do this because everyone should agree. Like, there's obviously examples of people innovating with like not a strong profit incentive, and like we should probably we would expect like people to innovate at least somewhat without a profit incentive. But like really, like can we really not like agree that all else equal, like if you reduce sort of the profit, the profit you can earn on investments, you're probably going to see just less investment overall. It's probably all that's necessary for this claim, really, but
pushes them to work harder. I disagree with that. I'd say that some of our hardest workers are single moms working 3 to 4 jobs, and the resources that they're able to acquire compared to those that utilize their workers in order to build profit for their own companies is not.
I don't think that has anything to do with innovation, really.
Equivocal.
So how would you do it? How would you change it?
Yeah, so I think that humans inherently want to be.
I guess you could say maybe some people would innovate but don't have the resources to innovate, and therefore we need like a welfare state or
meaningful.
something.
They want to contribute to their communities. They want to contribute to society. When you look at depression rates, oftentimes it's people who aren't able to do anything besides laying in their bed and basically barely taking care of themselves. So I think that it's just a human intrinsic value to want to bring value to their community.
I feel like this video is a rage bait. It's very divisive. All these videos are rage bait. But welcome to 2 first-time chatters.
So I don't think that has to be through scarcity alone that scares people into working. If
I worked for scarcity. I think there's levels to it. You have the survival folks who work for survival to pay their bills. Some work for status, some work for freedom, and some work for legacy. The folks that work 3 or 5 jobs, to pay their bills and do what they're doing, if the incentive wasn't there, they wouldn't work 3 to 5 jobs. Some of the guys that build a bigger business that solve a lot of problems.
The incentive there is either I die or I work.
Are you
That's
liberal?
not really a system
Indeed.
that rewards merit. That's a system that pushes people into insecure positions.
Not necessarily. In many cases, we put ourselves in situations as well. But when we're talking
incentive, are you saying that it's an individual failure for these single mothers that are working 3 to 4 jobs?
For some of them, it is.
Interesting.
For some of them.
How are we already here? You don't even have to. You could totally reject that and still believe that innovation is a really important thing that capitalism creates a strong incentive for, without even commenting on whether or not it's a moral failing of some people that they like live in poverty. Like, okay.
I'm glad you bite that bullet, because most people are not going to say that it's a moral failure of people that are born into poverty that continue to live a cyclical
for somebody
poverty.
like me, I came from the single mother system.
But like the you know, if you want to be evil or whatever, maybe not that evil or whatever, but like obviously the whole like capitalism offers an incentive to innovate in that, like if you make a, you know, really cool invention or whatever, like you can totally, like you can get out of poverty or whatever. Now like Mason would have his own criticisms, and some of which I would agree with, which is that like we're not going to expect a single mother who's spending over time taking care of her children and working at McDonald's to really have any of this innovation or whatever. But like, you know, obviously that's an incentive that socialism might not have, even if it also would, you know, have stronger social safety net or whatever. Okay, even if she was slightly richer.
My mother was a single mother. You know, we had, you know, my parents got a divorce twice. They married each other. They divorced. They remarried each other. Divorced again. I came up. We didn't have a lot of choices. I joined the army. I got in that system. Kind of wanted to see what I was going to do for myself. Do I stay in the army? Do I get out of the army? I started working in.
Is the video loud enough for you guys, by the way? Or am I too loud? Or is it too quiet? Y'all need to let me know.
Sales, and then the incentive.
With someone in capitalism could have an interesting conversation, and there were PPD is not one of them. Yep, exactly. Sounds great. Okay, good.
Eventually, I build a good life for myself.
Again, you're totally dismissing the hard work that a lot of these people are putting into for just basic survival. I'd say that mechanics and plumbers and most people working blue collar jobs that are probably watching this video are working tirelessly day after day.
I don't
but yet
disagree.
They still feel insecure.
I don't know why Mason is even bringing, like, this might be a relevant point if essentially Patrick Bet-David's claim was like, oh, capitalism just like pays people for how hard they work or something, or like capitalism like rewards hard work. That's not exactly what his claim was.
Secure positions to where they don't even know if they're going to be able to afford rent in the next 6 months. So let me ask you, most Americans have a $400 to $500 emergency, they can't even afford that with the basic savings that they have.
That's not really true. The median American has like $8,000 in transaction accounts that are like immediately accessible, either, you know, savings or savings or checking accounts. The median American like household net worth like $190,000, and this is median, so it's not really distorted by the outliers or whatever. And that number that he's citing from the Federal Reserve survey has been trending downward. It's like only been going downward. It used to be like 50%. What's up?
Bro, you're not reacting to this. Why are you doing this? What are you gaining from this? What are you gaining? Views? Is that all you care about? What about your soul?
All I care about? No, I don't. I'm having fun. I want to know what these people's arguments are. I'm probably going to reach out to some of the people on here if any of them are willing to have a conversation.
Yeah. So Anne is nice. So probably good person to talk to about this. Xena interrupts incessantly. It's just like very hard. Very Marxist, but not in the like Hassan sense.
Did she interrupt in this conversation? Did she even talk to this dude? I don't know.
No, it's mostly Patrick interrupting her.
Okay. Yeah, I saw their TikTok video complaining about it. It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, she's very radical, but she's saying like she clearly doesn't understand any economics. Right? She's saying like we can decommodify housing, we can decommodify food, whatever, and it would cost a fifth of the budget. You're dumb if you think that you're dumb. It's just like you the only way to arrive at that is just like do benchmark calculations and like assume no overhead cost and like everyone gets the same meal and like whatever. It's just like the most dumb thing, and like there's a reason why no country ever did this. So yeah, I don't know. I the reason I'm concerned is that you're very knowledgeable, right? Because I'm very knowledgeable and you copy everything from me, but you're not aggressive. You gotta be aggressive with these types of people, right? Not to defend PBG, not to defend PBG. I was gonna call Patrick Bet-David. Oh my God,
BD.
PBD, yeah, PBD. PBG, I say PBG all the time, but yeah, PBD. Not to defend him. I mean, he says in this video that the US is socialist, right, or something. Like this guy's
yeah.
I'm not defending him in any way. You shouldn't either. You probably don't, right? But I don't know. I feel like when you have these types of people who are like just very committed Marxist socialists and like, you know, oppose liberalism and like talk about like pie in the sky nonsense without understanding any economics. Like you ask them what is I don't know anything about economics. They wouldn't know. Define comparative advantage. They wouldn't know. And so and so I feel like with these people you gotta not play nice. It shouldn't be a nice convo. But you do. I don't know. This video is painful. I'm watching Daniel DiMarino. What's his name? React to this.
Yeah.
He's nice. Although he said Marx defined communism as stateless, moneyless, classless. That's not true. I don't know why he congratulated her on saying this. This is not true. But okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Good luck reacting to this. I'd like it live, but if you upload this as a video, cut this segment out, okay? But
I'll cut a little bit of it out probably, but we'll see.
Yeah, sure, whatever. But yeah, good luck reacting, but maybe have the suicide hotline number on hand if you
All right.
listen to all of this. Yeah, that's right. Okay, have fun.
All right.
By the way, I'm even more anti-union and pro
Oh, let's go.
DBCFT against the sovereign wealth funds in the last couple of days. Like
Let's
I
go.
believe in it even more now, and I hate people who advocate otherwise even more now. That's right.
Okay. Good to know.
So this is not something that we should celebrate as promises of a system that gives you more if you work harder. We should say that this is something that rewards few. And I'm glad that you're an outlier that's been able to build a lot of success for yourself. I know that you're
obviously the relevance is why did it reward that few? It's probably because relatively few people have the type of innovations that the majority of the population uses. Obviously that's a
multimillionaire. That's fantastic that you have those resources. But the thing is that cannot happen for everybody in society. It's possible for each individual to do it, but not everybody can be a millionaire. That's guaranteed.
I don't think
anyone is claiming that.
Everybody can be a billionaire or a millionaire, but I do think people can find ways to use their time to effectively increase their market value. And I don't think many people do that. When I talk to people and they tell me
the relevant point, I don't know why we're so far off the prompt for this or whatever. The relevant point is the market probably gives you the strongest incentive to increase your human capital. The market probably gives you the strongest incentive to provide services to other people that are broadly beneficial to them.
I watch this show, I watch every one of these shows, I watch every one of these Netflix shows. You can use that time to increase your market value instead of kind of, focus on what's going on with the stories and shows that are out there.
Let's move away from Netflix and TV shows and talk specifically about, do you think that capitalism is a system of merit that rewards people that are of higher merit?
I do.
Okay, so how would you say that this is a meritocracy?
I don't even know. You shouldn't have to believe that it's a strictly speaking meritocracy or anything. You should just, again, the question is about incentives or whatever.
Some people that are born into excessive wealth and some people that are working minimum wage jobs to provide for 3 or 4 kids. How would you say that that's a meritocratic society?
Those are two different things.
They are two different things, very unequal things.
Well, no, not necessarily. The parents get credit for making responsible decisions. So
is that the paper Deckler started reading out loud for ages? He started quoting to me? Yeah. Like I said, I was going to read more of it.
Can take care of their kids. The
got distracted by TikTok debates.
Building dynasties of wealth.
I didn't come from dynasty.
I don't think... Oh, you know what's funny? I think he says he doesn't come from dynasties of wealth, but later on, I think he says that is, I think in another interview, I've seen him say his dad owned some big lotion company or whatever, so he did actually kind of come from a dynasty of wealth or whatever. But first of all, you could address that issue with literally just an estate tax, which I don't think many people will consider socialist. Maybe it's a little bit socialist. But there are libertarians who are in favor of an estate tax, right? Because that's inherited wealth, that's unearned wealth or whatever. But obviously, I don't have data on hand. I don't think wealth in the U.S. currently is that dynastic still. But I don't think I have data for that directly on hand. I have to go searching a little bit. But a relevant question again should be the incentives. Maybe it is the case, and it is the case. Intuitively, many people view it as or would say oh, obviously a single mother working 40 hours a week or whatever is working harder than just some rich kid that got daddy's money or whatever and just keeps it in a trust fund and invest it in whatever. But the relevant point is the incentives and the sort of spillover benefits and stuff. So obviously the one, if we were to do an estate tax or whatever, we might be concerned that the incentive there, it would be for parents and whoever to not increase their wealth as much before they die. And that's going to have just broadly negative effects. If you reduce the after-tax return to investment, even only when you pass your wealth down, you're probably just going to get less investment, right? And investment is just a very broadly good thing for the economy. Not only is it good in the sense that it helps a lot of companies, finance their startups or whatever and create new technology and everything, but also probably increases workers' productivity, and that's going to bid up average wages because believe it or not, despite what to tell you, wages are largely tied to productivity. But yeah, we should put a tax on all snack foods. Put tax on all food. Okay, it's called a VAT.
Well,
I know you're an outlier. I get that. I get that individual. We're talking about systems. Capitalism is a system. It's not an individual testimony.
But it's a system that you get to use in your advantage. It's a system that's produced the best results than any other economical system. There's not an economical system that's produced better results than this based on the incentive.
History is a march of progress, right? So there are going to be advancements that we make, or there's going to be solutions that we make to previous ailments. I'm not saying that capitalism hasn't brought in better things than systems like feudalism or monarchy, but that does not mean that we're at the end of history. Do you think that capitalism is the final solution? And this is what we're going to
I think capitalism is the best economical system because it gives an incentive for you to decide how big of a life you want to build. And by the way, the best way to judge it, I'm going to say this to you, the best way to judge it is in a very simple way. Take all the countries around the world. There's many different economical systems.
Oh my God.
What has the longest line of people wanting to get in there? It's America. Why is that? 15 million people came here illegally. Millions came here illegally just the last 4 years.
A lot of that is because of economic scarcity in other countries.
I don't think that's like entirely unfair. That like I would just prefer like you cite like data or whatever. Like obviously, I think there's a strong case to be made. Like the U.S. was likely going to be pretty successful, no matter what. Not to say that capitalism, market institutions, our political institutions didn't contribute to that success. Oh, but what's up?
I'm impressed by PBD. He is openly socialist now. He's saying like the U.S. is more socialist than not, and that's why people flock to it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Are you okay? Are you okay? This guy is a hack, bro. This guy is like a complete fucking moron magnet. No, if anyone likes, I'm pretty sure you know this, but anyone who looks favorably on this guy is like a moron.
Yeah.
But it's one of these people are not much better. But yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, his last claim we haven't gotten into yet is that the U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today. So,
well, one of them we could.
But like, I mean, the U.S. is like a very big population. We have 2 oceans, right? We don't really have conflict with our neighbors, and that like that's a setup for success for a country with almost any model. But
talk about one is American exceptionalism, which is continuing.
Thank you. How are you? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Alana. It's nice to meet you. Okay, so I think the issue is the framing of incentive.
Another, by the way, issue, like obviously, capitalism probably offers you the best incentive to like allocate allocate your labor like where it's most value. They might take issue with the like words most valued or whatever. But like if you're gonna say like, oh, it's not a like meritocracy or whatever, like obviously single mothers are working very hard at their fucking McDonald's work or whatever, but they don't get paid for it, and obviously like the fucking rich kid on daddy's money or whatever isn't working very hard. I think you still have the issue of like, well, how would an alternative system allocate labor? Because at least under the capitalist market-based system, you are probably going to work where essentially consumers value your work being done. Yeah.
Incentive doesn't.
And where has like the highest return for you, obviously, but that's going to align with where consumers, what consumers want to be done.
Disappear in a socialist or a communist society. It just changes and evolves. So we see in capitalism the incentive is obviously monetary gain, maybe even collecting capital itself through land ownership. In a communist or a socialist country, you would see incentive would just evolve into, I know it's a vague term, but the common good. You have an incentive to do your chores around your house because you don't want to live in a filthy house, right? That makes sense. It doesn't have to be just monetary.
So you don't think monetary incentive drives people, or you're saying that people should be excited to do their job, whether they're getting incentivized for it or not? That's what you're saying.
People will be incentivized to do.
Give me a case study. Give me a case study of that worked. Give me one case study.
We don't even need to look at case studies. We can just look at charity work.
Well, why don't we actually look at a case study? You got 2 countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism.
Oh my God, everyone here, I'm going to game end myself. Oh my God, what's up?
So painful. It's so painful. It's like, it's so bad. It's so bad, right?
Mm.
It's like, okay. Imagine I say, we're going to have a program where if you eat healthy, you're going to get $1,000 a month. If you eat healthy. Is that going to encourage people to eat healthy? Is that going to incentivize them to eat healthy? And the socialist goes,
but it's the common good, bro.
Because people were healthy throughout history. I mean, people already want to be healthy, kind of. No,
right,
brother.
Like obviously, there's a reason.
Eliminates the other incentives. It's not
exactly.
Like, if someone is like has passion for something, and they have passion for it under socialism or capitalism, capitalism adds more quite powerful incentives. It's so insane. It's so asinine. That's why it's so impossible to listen to this. Hopefully the comment section is pro-capitalist here, but it's so hard to listen to this because like this is the most bottom of the barrel. None of them are like That's why I'm not even willing to like really tolerate the econoboy socialism. Maybe I've been too far in my acceptance of it. This is a reminder to anyone watching. Any inch you give to people calling themselves socialist, even if they're like their ultimate system is nice, it's whatever, it's not catastrophic. Even if so, any inch you give to these people enables 20 times more these people, and I don't want to enable these people.
Sure.
That you just don't. It's so bad. But some would say calling yourself a capitalist enables PBD, but I think to a far less degree. I mean, we just had Gavin Newsom today call himself a capitalist, right? Like that. Yeah, I mean.
Let's go.
No,
I didn't see that.
not,
Let's fucking go. Yeah.
You didn't see this, bro? You have to react to this. Can you take a break for 1 second?
Oh my god.
It's so fun. Look. Can I stream it? No, it will.
We'll just link it. What's that?
Yeah, I'll link it. Here we go. Check this out. Check this full clip out. It's like less than a minute. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, look at what he calls him at the end. Okay, just so awesome. He got it. He's so good on the narrative. I just need him to have like good policies and stand for something, which he probably does. He has a good record in California. I just want Democrats to also have a policy agenda that is not distasteful to the median voter, but also not trash. So, we'll see how that goes. I'm confident they will be okay. But yeah, he's got it on the narrative. You should watch this. You should watch it.
Okay, sure.
The hostility to him is quite high, correct?
Yeah, of course, because of some of his, well, for obvious reasons, some of his views. And there's a lot of anxiety around those views. And they could be on issues related to domestic policy as it relates to, socializing, grocery stores, et cetera. It could be on national policy.
Trump Intel, the comparison is very obvious that you just made.
Yeah, no,
correct.
We need to make that point over and over and over.
Oh, my God.
I remember, wasn't Jeff Bezos out there yelling and screaming that Biden doesn't understand, capitalism? I mean, this guy is completely perverted capitalism, Donald Trump. It's crony capitalism. It's whatever you pay him off, give a phone call. I mean, these illegal tariffs, which we're also in court on.
Don't worry, he just buy the Trump meme coin.
In this country, it's just perverse that they could be shaping the Democratic Party in the context of the socialist brand, when in fact this guy is the leading nationalist and socialist of our time, Donald Trump.
The hostility.
Let's fucking go. This is true. Hell yeah.
Yes.
But also there's a reason, by the way, like mothers pay people. Oh my god, mothers pay people for for chores. What?
That's right. No, he called them a nationalist and a socialist, the leading national socialist of our time. So I don't know if he meant it. I don't know if he like intentionally did this, but that was.
I mean, it had to be, but I don't know.
Had to, right? You had to. The leading of our times, the leading Maoist theoretician is MAGA. Like it's Trump. Okay, that was beautiful. I saw this and I went like, yes, Democrats are getting it. Yes. Oh my god, we're not gonna have like a fucking Nina Turner Democrat movement. We're gonna have like an actually good Democratic movement. Oh my god, yes. Beautiful. But I'm gonna let you go ahead. But yeah.
I want to take just broad notes of what people say to know if I should reach out to them at all. What was this girl's name?
To do their job, whether they're getting consent. So
Nice to meet you.
Incentive.
By the way, very quickly, if you're gonna reach out to any of these people, you just watch the entire thing, so you should maybe take notes about the arguments they use and whatever. But also, I debated socialists a lot, so maybe we could have like a simulation debate where I like give you the arguments and you rebut them, say what do you think, whatever. But don't let them interrupt you if you talk to them. Okay, they interrupt a lot. I mean, I was on Xena's live, so she can interrupt me as much as.
Yeah, you told me. You did tell me about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. So either way, yeah. That would be a fun idea. Simulating debate with about capitalism or whatever. Because you also need to. Because every claim they make is false, but you need to focus on the ones that are most informative. Because if someone says whatever claim, and you need to be a neoliberal want to understand why that's false, probably should go with just the broader points that everyone can understand. Yeah. So it's good to have skill there. But okay, yeah.
Okay. This point was just capitalism doesn't reward hard work. You must work really hard. Okay, pay much. How is his main point? from my understanding.
Before
My
we
memory.
Opry is also owned by like 5.
You got two countries, North Korea, South Korea. One is communism and one is capitalism.
Yes.
North Korea's GDP last year was $23 billion.
Are we judging countries' values based off GDP and not what they value?
Oh my God.
You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now.
But it's even saying now what they value for human.
Freedom of speech. You can't, like, if you lived in North Korea, you wouldn't be able to do what you.
She was interrupted, but GDP, any any measure she was going to cite, probably 90+% correlated with
right
GDP.
In South Korea, I'm gonna give you stats. In South Korea, their GDP is $1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total, the entire country.
You
think that's something, if you are employed by the top 5 countries,
oh my God.
Do you like to be free?
Incredible. I doubt that's true, but also it's that like is that like investment firms? Like, are you gonna say like 1 in 5 like are most Americans are employed by BlackRock or Vanguard? Really? Like, I think that's kind of unfair to say.
I'm not gonna be free in a country like South Korea.
$1.7 trillion.
South Korea is also owned by like 5 companies in total in the entire country. You think that's something about if you are employed by the top 5 countries, you are practically unemployed in these countries.
Do you like to be free?
I'm not going to be free.
I have no clue at all if this is
country like
true.
South Korea where I'm only employed in 5 companies or no job.
Like me? Do you like to be free where you can have a strong opinion? Do you like to be free?
I like to be free.
But it doesn't even necessarily matter. Like, I don't know what the implication from that would be exactly. You'd have to be more specific. But you can have. It's hard to even view this on like a macro level. Presumably, even with like, even if you only had 2 companies, like you could probably see perfect competition in the labor market in some areas of the country, but like maybe you still see like a imperfect competition or monopsony in the labor market in other parts of the country. Like, it's hard to even like I don't even know what macro implications we could really like draw from that. How's North Korea v South Korea not a good example? I don't think it's like a horrible example in general. I just I don't know. I mean, I think there are more nuanced versions of socialism that would escape many of those critiques or whatever. I think it's very annoying to bring up in the context of like every capitalist v socialist debate like this, where it's like just level 1, like basic whatever arguments. But socialism, when we're all equally poor, this is true.
But that's why I'm anti-capitalist. That is why I'm anti-capitalist, because capitalism.
But I don't even like they're talking about incentives here.
Choice. There is no real incentive of capitalism because the incentive is.
Or would you bring up East versus West Germany? I mean, I think it's just going to depend on the context, but some of those comparisons are like absolutely fair to make.
When you get into communism,
but I just want to focus on like, obviously all else equal, we would agree with this like fundamental claim here, which is that if you reduce the return to investment, there's probably just going to be less investment. Like, there probably is a elasticity there.
The incentive is for the common good.
I love that. I got an offer for you before we move on. If I were to give you your $2,350, which is the cost to renunciate your citizenship, and I paid you your first class, flight to whatever communist country, and $20,000 to spend money, would you give up your citizenship to go to that country? Whichever communist country you want to go to. Cuba, we can give you Venezuela, we give you North Korea, any one of those you want to go to. Choose any one of them, I'll give you one-way ticket, and I'll fund it.
Norway is the real communist country.
Thank you, yes.
Incredible.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name's Hunter. To be honest, I've never seen your videos before. Even though there is some real value to free enterprise, the profit motive often creates a perverse incentive and worse outcomes in certain situations. For example,
incredible.
How much would you pay for a life?
Whoa! Inelastic demand. That's crazy.
Bruh, think about it. Like, markets like fail, and so
like we need lay socialism to fix everything.
Yo, I'm on to something.
Have the economists ever considered this? Have they?
That's why like people need their basic necessities, right? Because like it's a public good. That's what it means. I love saying that. I love like saying something absolutely dumb and then saying like that's what it means. but yeah. So yeah, people need like food because it's a public good. That's what it means. So we must provide it in kind and assume like everyone gets the same thing with no overhead. Yeah, that's later in the video, but that what sent me to epileptic shock. Is that the term, epileptic? Whatever. Whatever a shock. coma.
That's
whatever. I don't know.
that's a fucking seizure. I mean, I guess you could use that term.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought of like a coma. I forgot. Whatever. Either way, a lot like you're an econ streamer, okay? I care for you. I care about you enough. I don't want you to be mentally damaged by this video. Okay, a lot of bad arguments, a lot of low IQ stuff. This might be the most low IQ video by Jubilee. I strongly believe this. Like, tell me, who do you think is the most high IQ person in the room here?
Obviously, Cena. I don't know.
Probably not Cena. No, I mean Cena makes
I'm nine, bro. I am 9 minutes into this video, and you like tell me the highest IQ person in the room.
Okay. I thought you were like 20.
No.
Okay. Well, 20 is also too little. Okay, I'll call back in an hour. Okay, but be warned. I'm gonna ask you the same. I'm gonna ask you the same question once you're done. Okay, the debate tactic.
Well,
I'm gonna do that. That's right.
Oh my god, Anne followed me on Twitter.
Saving treatment for yourself or one of your family members.
How much would I pay for it?
Say you have cancer and you have an 80% survival rate with chemotherapy and less than 10% without it. How much would you pay? Whatever it takes, right?
Sure.
That's a situation of inelastic demand, when the amount that you're willing to pay is not based on the value of the service, because your life does not have a finite value. In the US, 66.
That's not exactly. Well, I mean, I think the more reasonable explanation there, right, is the can't take it with you effect. Is that, you know, presumably when you die, you're not exactly like taking your wealth with you, so you're likely going to, you know, pay whatever it takes to save your life, essentially.
6.5.
And like, you do see, like, by the way, like, because people do care about their families and everything. Like, you do, like, obviously there are cases where people are gonna not want medical treatment for something because they'd rather like not go into debt and have like just pass some of their money on to their children, right? Like that, like, you know, that doesn't really fit with my life doesn't have a finite value, so I'm not gonna spend whatever. But it, you know, would fit with some type of the more conventional models.
Percent of all bankruptcies because of medical debt. In most other developed.
Wait, that's not true.
In the U.S., 66.5%.
I don't remember the exact reason why that's not true, but I don't think it's not really true. I think it's like, I'm pretty sure it's like 60% of people who declared bankruptcy like had some medical debt when they declared bankruptcy, but it's not really true that it's the leading cause for 66% of bankruptcies. I don't know what I would medical would be the best. Would it Cato maybe?
It's in the fact check on the side. I mean, it kind of seems like it agrees with him, but if I recall correctly, maybe you can play 5 seconds back. He said it was because of medical debt.
Yeah, because of
It was contributing, which is like, okay, whatever. Also, keep in mind, well, Anne makes this point later in the video, right? They're saying, oh, the bottom of the wealth distribution have negative wealth. That's because they've been exploited or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense because, one, would you say that in situations where they don't have negative wealth, they're not being exploited? Like, that makes no sense. You would never say that. Two, every time you talk about wealth inequality statistics, it's young people on the bottom and rich people on the
Obviously,
top.
yeah.
People on the top. It's young people. Young people have more debt. Yeah, young people have more debt. That's so crazy. No one ever thought about that. Of course, young people have more debt. It's so I don't know. People need to remember that.
Obviously,
because wealth is a function of your age. The more you're older, the more you have wealth. Unless it's
and it's probably the case that like after college earnings are higher for for younger people nowadays, at least in media.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the has intergenerational mobility stalled the paper from the Federal Reserve or something. I'm pretty sure they disaggregate by like degree or whatever in the paper. So you can see also they also are doing better. But yeah, either way. Yeah, so it seems like I don't like that the fact check here makes it seems like he's correct, right? He's saying it was because of medical debt, but it wasn't. But yeah, either way, whatever. What is this, a no opinion piece or what?
No, this is PolitiFact, and it says it's half true. I think, yeah, because of the same thing. It's like, it's just people who had listed that they had like any stress for medical debt.
So
We'll count
that'd be
that
funny
as.
if the SAN fact checks were just like looking it up on Google and seeing a PolitiFact debunking this. You know? Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be funny. Yeah. Either way. Yeah.
Well, this is New England Journal of Medicine. I think this is like the original thing or whatever, but I think it's like sometimes I feel bad just like looking up like whatever claim and then like Cato or whatever, but that's usually that's a lot of times how I find, or like the fastest way I can find people with better methodologies explaining things or whatever. But these studies, people who have gone bankrupt were asked whether they'd experienced health-related financial stress, such as substantial medical bills or income loss due to illness. People who were also asked whether they had, they went bankrupt because of medical bills. People who reported any of these events were described as having experienced a medical bankruptcy. But the existing widely cited evidence of medical bankruptcy is built in a fallacy that when two things occur together, they necessarily incur a causal relationship between them. It's like, obviously. Would you say you're the best community on Twitch? Obviously.
Of all bankruptcies because of medical debt. In most other developed nations, that number is way lower, if not zero. And at the same time, the U.S. does not have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. We pay over $13,000 per capita. Meanwhile, Taiwan.
I'm so tired, boss. No, obviously, so the U.S. does have really good healthcare for the people who actually get healthcare, right? The access is the issue, but for people who, receive our healthcare, they actually do have like better stroke survival rates, better cancer survival rates, better heart disease survival rates than people even in comparable developed countries like Europe or whatever. Additionally, it's obviously like, but part of the reason healthcare is so expensive is because we just are unhealthier to begin with. Americans are fatter. Americans, don't exercise as much because we fucking drive everywhere. That's not the fault of our healthcare system. That's the fault of a lot of cultural and dietary decisions. Also, healthcare costs just go up with income, right? The Bamul effect, like this is there's a graph showing how heavily correlated or how correlated like income is with health expenditure. Actually, I think this is the health spending one. Yeah. And obviously, the U.S. spends a lot more because our people are a lot richer. So for the healthcare sector, for example, to compete with workers in other industries in the U.S., they have to pay more than they have to pay in other countries because like the median wage is just lower in these other countries. Additionally, we just demand better healthcare. We buy more healthcare. We get better drugs. We get newer drugs. Like America gets, newer drugs faster than any other country. And we consume more drugs per capita than any other country. So a lot of that cost is simply just us, spending more in healthcare for better quality and more of it. What do you think, Johnson? So healthcare outcomes are worse regardless of the underlying factors. What do you mean? No, you don't get better healthcare though. Pick a healthcare outcome, picking out of a hat. What's up?
Yeah, you were kind of just you were using earlier like capital phobic language. You said, "I'm tired, boss." Should not give any credence to workers that are demons. We should not tolerate them. We should not sympathize with them. They're the enemy. Workers are your enemy. Keep that in mind. Always remember that.
True. Real. My headphones are like desynced or whatever. But yeah, Americans just, consume more medical care and we get better medical care. I agree there's an access problem, but there are better and worse ways to address that. I think the way he would address it is probably worse. Sample text genuinely believes this, obviously. You don't get better medical technical. I literally said earlier, for the people who get treatment, we have better cancer, cancer survivability. We have better heart disease and stroke survivability. Like we consume more drugs per capita than any other nation. We get new and expensive medical treatment faster than these other countries. This is how I am quantifying that. The U.S. absolutely gets better healthcare for the people who actually get it. That's why I like how I'm sure this is archived. As you go through and yeah, it is archived. Update the links. Would you rather sit down with Richard Hanina or King of the Coast? King of the Coast. We have better outcomes, but it's not proportionate to how much we spend on average because there's other factors that influence how we. Are you guys listening to me? Because there's other factors that influence how much we spend. For example, the fact that Americans are just unhealthier to begin with. USA has better cancer treatment and healthcare outcomes. Yet, I believe the cancer survivability is higher in the U.S. than comparable developed countries. I believe that is, in fact, the case. Tesco Johnson. RC defined according to the criterion of crude annual incidents. Total 196 RC were classified as rare in both populations. Of these, 43 incidence rates had significantly different, or at least, by at least 0.2 per 100,000. 34 higher in the U.S. and 9 higher in Europe. I don't know what I'm assuming it's randomized control, or no, it's rare cancers. Chomsky wants infinity wait times. Is true. Stroke is better. Cancer depends. Americans do get a lot more screening, though. I'm sure we get it. Yeah, more screening. I don't know. I'm just citing what I've seen cited in like blog posts and stuff. Ignore him. Real. Oscar Kinnicote says nonsense about planning and switching and shit. Genuinely zero understanding of Straffa. I have not seen Kinnicote stuff on that.
Which by most metrics has the best healthcare system, and a national healthcare service only pays about 20.
Wait, did he say?
That number is way lower, if not zero. And at the same time, the U.S. does not have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. We pay over $13,000 per capita. Meanwhile, Taiwan, which by most metrics has the best healthcare system, and a
I don't know. I'll
national healthcare
assume
service
that.
only pays.
I don't know if we outcompete Taiwan on 70 things or whatever.
It's about $2,500 per capita per year.
So what does that tell you?
That tells
you
us
that's wasted expenditure.
Yes, that is a massively wasted expenditure.
That tells you the government doesn't know how to spend our money.
No.
Oh my God, Patrick Pat David is gonna be so stupid. He's not going to mention a single thing I just said.
Taxes, we're spending money, and they don't know how to spend the money.
No, most of that money is coming from private insurance. In fact, 77% of the people who went bankrupt from medical debt had insurance and then lost it because they couldn't pay.
So we can address that. The fact that 60-something% of bankruptcies are due to health, which is your right. We've done many content on that piece. I want you to come back to incentive. Address the issue with incentive.
At a glance, I can find more. I don't. Do you dispute that we at least get like newer medicine, Tesco Johnson? That we have higher like stroke survivability. Constant U.S. cancer care is justified given improved outcomes for European countries. However, it's unclear what a contemporary U.S. care providers provides better value than that of other high-income countries. I don't know. Cancer might depend. Most of the stuff I've seen suggests that. Like I've seen cited in Micah's blog post. I don't think Kinnicote actually cites anything in his blog post. But I think I've seen stuff in that fucking race realist Twitter dude's blog or whatever. So that like generally for the people who get American healthcare, it is really good. Certainly, like there is a reason why rich people come here to get healthcare. From other countries.
Incentive right now with capitalism.
The reason why the medical debt is so high in that is because of the profit motive. If people will pay.
Which race realist? The Creamax dude. Oh, what's up?
Big reason in favor of U.S. healthcare is just the innovation because that helps a lot of other countries as well.
Obviously, yeah.
It's just a new thing, you know. So, yeah, the U.S. healthcare system has a lot of virtues. People don't like to talk about them because people like to think they're, the worst ever. No, in waiting times, which is important, the US is better by far than Canada or, whatever. All the single payer countries. So the US system has virtues and people should keep that in mind and read King of the Coast, I guess. But I don't think he talks about the quality of the care that you get much.
Yeah,
I'm not a big healthcare guy. But I should get into healthcare economics because people care about that even though they don't know anything. But yeah, I don't know.
Whatever it takes to not die, the profit motive in that case is perverse because healthcare shouldn't be a market in the same way that other things might be a market.
So you don't think that the motive to have profit to come out with a solution is a good thing for the marketplace? Specifically
I think it depends on which market you're talking about. It's way different when we're talking about video games or cell phones or TVs or other goods that aren't.
Wait times doesn't matter? What do you mean? Of course wait times matter. Of course for a profit system we're prioritizing more customers. Of course rate times fucking matters when it comes to like obviously, getting cancer detected earlier is going to matter. Like obviously, it's going to affect your quality of life. How long you have to wait for a specialist, or how long you have to wait in the ER. Like, of course, wait time matters.
Aren't as necessary as
You're
healthcare
specific to
treatments.
healthcare.
Yes, I'm talking specifically about healthcare in certain other markets.
You ever heard of Home
natural...
Depot? You ever heard of Home Depot?
Yes, I'm aware.
So one of the guys,
Home Depot. What the fuck are we on about?
His father died at 62 years old. Ken Langone today is roughly 90 years old, give or take. When he died at 62 years old, he tells the story that if there was a simple thing as blood thinners, his father would have lived to be 90 years old just like he is today.
Yes, that makes sense.
Came because of innovation, which he's been...
He has at least talking about medical innovation.
My dad's been on blood thinners for the
but
last 40 years. So
I think
the
you're
incentive to create a
conflating
solution-
two things right now. Not
No, it's
all
about
innovation
incentive.
is...
It's about-
I would take wait times if I myself on 100K debt because I was feeling woozy. I mean, there are like trade-offs. You can make it whatever, but it's silly to just that wait times just don't matter. And like I agree. Like I think under my ideal system, you might see probably slightly higher wait times. I don't think you'd see significantly higher wait times under my ideal system. Certainly under a single payer system, I think you'd see decently higher wait times. But like that's gonna be the trade-off is gonna be worth it for some people. But wait times are a part of access, and our access US sucks. Well, kind of. I mean, wait times are also part of quality, right?
result of the market, because many healthcare developments are created by research grants from...
Like if you have to like wait longer to see a specialist or wait longer to see someone in the ER, I mean, I think that's a fair thing to also include in quality, whatever.
Healthcare funding, whether it's in the United States or other countries. In most other first world countries, the result of medical research developments, which are massively outpacing that, result of the market, because many healthcare developments are created by research grants from...
That's
healthcare funding.
Kind of true. Obviously, a lot of innovation, like in the medical industry, has like some public funding associated with it, but like it still costs private companies like billions of dollars to bring a new drug to market, and that is something that is affected by, either price controls or a single payer system negotiating drug prices down.
Whether it's in the United States or other countries, in most other first world countries.
And certainly, but there is probably value in having the market at least identify what drugs are worth researching, and that's something that market does for the most part. What's up?
You know how in like trade you need everyone to internalize the concept of comparative advantage, and like in other or like in immigration, people need to internalize the concept of the lump of labor fallacy, whatever, right?
Yeah.
In healthcare, everyone should internalize this image. Okay. Everyone should internalize this image. You're not
what, the iron triangle or whatever.
Exist. Yeah, the iron triangle. Yes. There are trade-offs. All three corners here are important, or all three sides here are important. Cost, quality, and access are all important, right? And we got to have trade-offs. And so, you're never going to get all three. Wait times are obviously important. If you look at countries with single-payer healthcare, they complain about wait times quite a lot. So put yourself in their shoes. They do complain about that. So that's what you would complain about if you were a socialist in these countries. And so, yeah, we oughta weigh the trade-offs. And ideally you would have either, a universal multi-payer system, not single payer, in my opinion, or, you would have a system with, decent regulations and a system that, subsidizes consumers, right? Because there are concerns about affordability mainly. These are the biggest concerns, right? About affordability. But also, I should say, and no one ever fucking talks about this, ever, which is so annoying. Big things we can improve the healthcare system in major ways right now without even changing it to single payer, multi-payer, or whatever these are pretty libertarian, whatever liberal policies, but nuke certificate of need laws. You got to nuke certificate of need laws. They're evil and demonic. And you got to have free trade in medicine, right? If you think other countries have it better, trade with them. Great. Get what they have, right? We should have free trade in medicine as well. These two things would improve the quality of life of the person dramatically and improve the healthcare system without even passing a single bill. I guess you would pass some legislation about changing it, but you wouldn't pass like Medicare for All bill. That has like a single bill about this. Okay. So people ought to be nuanced and easy money. I've seen you in Drew Pavlov's chat. I've seen you in Nonfon's chat, but we're not friends on Discord. So add me on Discord if you have Discord.
He's one of the non-font in my server. So.
Oh, maybe is he the 777 person?
Yeah.
Oh, then we are friends. Never mind. Okay, you should have made that clear. 777. More like 67. What?
True. Also, comparative advantage is fake. This is true because most trade today is based on economies of scale, which actually means we shouldn't really expect there to be as many winners and losers from trade. You should expect more winners, unless there are obviously I think with the new trade theory, you still have, if there are heterogeneous firms, right? You still see like lower productivity firms be harmed or whatever, but yeah.
The result of medical research development.
Free market doesn't work when it comes to healthcare because you're dealing with vulnerable people. Wow. And true, people will saddle themselves with 100K in debt in exchange for not dying. I don't think the market solved for this. I think that, well, that's why. So first of all, insurance is a way to partially solve for that. Now, obviously, I think there are still issues with the health insurance market. Like, people will buy health insurance insofar as it's insurance against, debt or whatever. Or having to pay a lot out of pocket for healthcare. But I don't think believing that like inelastic demand is an issue entails you anywhere close to saying that like single payer healthcare is the solution to that, right?
Which are massively outpacing that in the U.S. now because of our inefficiency, because we have a market-based system for healthcare.
A very basic question for you.
Because of non-market-based systems.
Basic question for you. If that's the case, it keeps going back to the same thing. If it's better in other places than it is here, why are Americans and others not going there? Why are people coming here? It's very basic.
How much does a plane ticket cost?
No, they have the money to go to different places. They don't, because they know America is the greatest country in the world. They know it. Appreciate you.
Nice to meet you, by the way.
Wow.
I'm Luke.
Luke?
Yes.
Like
Luke.
the hat.
By the way, you do see there are cases of people like crossing the border to Mexico to get lower prescription drugs for cheaper prices.
Oh, thank you very much. Good to meet you too. So I think incentives are exactly the fundamental problem with capitalism. That you say incentives are what make it work, and I think that's the whole issue. Is that the primary incentives are either greed, amass as much personal wealth as you possibly can.
You think that's the problem? It's greed?
Yeah, exactly. And like
you're not greedy at all.
And like you said, survival.
Yeah.
Right. So that the person working 5 jobs, that they're doing that, so they wouldn't want to do that if they didn't need to survive. But that's such a horrible dystopian world to live in. Someone has to work 5 jobs just to survive.
How did they get there? How much of that is on their decision making? How much of that is on their doing? How much of that is on the market where they're not finding ways to improve themselves?
It doesn't matter how much onus is on the individual. We want to create a world.
Of course it is.
No. See, we want to create a world in which people don't have to earn their right to exist.
We live in a country where majority of the world wants to come here.
Someone has to work 5 jobs to survive. I understand the point he's making, but it is a little silly to suggest like the people who work like multiple job holders as a percent of the population is 5% or whatever, and it's been close to 5 to it's been between 5 and 6% for like decades.
Important citizenship country is America.
Right.
People give up their lives to come here. Have you ever lived in another country before?
No, not lived. No.
Why do you think so many want to come here?
I think the people coming here are coming from gang-ridden, corruption-ridden, violence-ridden.
You think that's just all it is? You think I came from gang-ridden in Iran? I lived there 11 years.
I think the majority of certainly coming from South America.
Most people come here because what you're doing to me, you're sitting across from me right now.
Right.
Millions of people are going to watch this. In America, you can call me out. You can say whatever you want.
Right.
Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
You're free and safe here,
sure.
right?
Free freedom of speech.
You can't do that in Iran. Of course it is. There's a lot of elements with America. You're talking incentive. The amount of benefits America offers.
I said, well, why would someone come to America if almost as if America advertises itself or something, Patrick?
Against
I know.
Other countries, it's so much higher. Where somebody with big dreams, incentives,
right.
they're willing to come and say, I want to come.
Also, it is funny that he hates when fucking people come to America.
And some come and take advantage of it. But to say the individual that's working 3 to 5 jobs, if you do that for a season, if you do that for 2 years, if you do that for 5 years, fine. If you do that for 20, 30 years, you're doing something wrong.
But the point is, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? Those are the inalienable rights. We shouldn't have to earn those rights. We shouldn't have to earn the right to health care. Earn the right. No. We just want to live, just exist. We can't.
Technically, healthcare. Like the people who believe those are inalienable rights would just say, like, obviously, healthcare is an inalienable right. Oh my god, that was fucking horrible. They wouldn't believe in positive rights at all, essentially. Yeah. Also, I don't think anyone, like, obviously, if you don't consider the U.S. does a okay-ish job at securing some of these rights, Europe does a better job at securing a lot of these rights, like the healthcare and things like that. Like, it seems silly to say that sort of socially, like, they can't be provided under capitalism unless you're going to count, most European countries as not capitalist. Also, Mayo Patrick talking about Iran as socialism as if the current regime is socialist. He probably considers some socialist. He considers any authoritarian regime socialist, probably.
Work our blood, sweat, and tears just to survive. That's a horrible dystopian world that we live in right now.
No, then what do you think we're here for? To just sit around and play video games? What do you think we're here for? To sit around and watch TV shows?
We're here
to watch cat videos?
We are here to create a prosperous community, to lift
everyone up. How do you create a prosperous community? How do you create a prosperous community?
What the hell? Incredible. Oh my god. Truly a mastermind at work. Let's fucking go.
How have you positively impacted the community?
I guess volunteering, food banks.
I appreciate you for doing that. Have you created jobs for others?
Created jobs? No, I wouldn't say so.
Why have you not?
I haven't had the ability to do so.
Do you think it's easy or do you think it's hard?
To create jobs is probably hard, yeah.
Okay, so the people that create jobs, you think they should have a little bit of incentive for having risked their life savings, spend time away their families to create jobs so somebody like you can work for that company?
Sure, but that is
the incentive.
And bravo for them, but that does not give them the right to pay themselves $2 million bonuses while their workers are scraping by at like $10 an hour.
You don't get to choose how much money I choose to make. That's not your business. That's my business.
Oh, damn. I thought Patrick was actually going to make a decent point there, which is that obviously compensation is going to be based on... It's going to be at least partially based on the market, and it's not just strictly me, quote unquote, choosing how much to pay myself or whatever. How much I can pay myself is going to be based on how easily my labor would be replaced by the board or whatever, or if it's a privately owned company. Obviously, how much whether or not I'm going to be outcompeted by other companies if I pay myself a fuck ton of money and don't invest anything and don't invent anything new, and the other company invests new shit and outcompetes me. Like obviously. That's a much better response than you don't get to choose how much I pay myself.
I have 4 girlfriends and I have 1. Is it my business to tell you can't have 4 girlfriends?
I think
if you play 7 hours of Fortnite every day,
right,
and I don't play Fortnite at all, should I tell you shouldn't be able to play 7 hours of Fortnite a day?
In my view.
Hey, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
How are you? What's your name?
Zena.
Zena.
Awesome. So.
Oh my God, Zena. Pay yourself millions just for creating jobs. Can you believe my favorite holiday is in only 10 days? What? Oh, 9/11. Let's fucking go.
Incentive is one that we see often promoted by capitalism enjoyers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's this idea that profit is the only thing that can make humans do things, get up out of bed every day, which has never been the case historically. It's not the case psychologically.
Historically, it's never been the case.
No,
what has been the case?
So we've seen.
What's been the incentive?
The incentive is intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation?
Of course. Have you ever heard of intrinsic motivation?
Of course I have. So you think people are going to go just do anything for no incentives?
The incentive is intrinsic, meaning passion, interest, and honing your skills.
Whether you get paid or not.
Well, the problem is that we're forcing people to need to work to survive.
So what's the alternative? So give me another solution, another economical system.
Yeah,
actually, I'm curious.
So yeah, the psychological theory of self-determination is widely accepted in psychology. It basically explains that intrinsic motivation and passion is actually what predicts incentive.
Happy Labor Day, by the way.
Incentive is integral to profit-driven motivation. Oh, okay. That's not true. Extrinsic motivation, at all times, at every single case, is going to
when is Capital Day?
Less creativity, less motivation, less skill, etc. Intrinsic motivation is what causes things like technological development. Some of the greatest breakthroughs have been from people who are devoted in honing their skill.
So should they get paid for it?
I think that we shouldn't live in a system.
Obviously, some of the greatest breakthroughs have been. Oh, what's up?
You see what I mean? She's denying the concept of incentives mattering because of like the idea that in psychology, it's recognized that people have internal motivations. It is absolutely not. I challenge it to fire source that's the only incentive that matters in every case. As you said here, that's absolutely false. Again, ask yourself anything about it here. If I paid you $1,000 to read my tweets, would you do it? Yes, you would. Right, or any amount of money, right? But do you do it naturally? Do you wake up, or like if you paid me to read end wokeness tweets $1,000 a day, I would do that.
Yeah.
Normally, I would not. So intrinsic motivation is not the only thing that matters. Everyone knows this. This is so bad. Like all she does is just like posture as if she's like some big academic and just say, "Oh yeah, this is 100% whatever." And then when
I'm sure she's read so many papers.
Maybe psychology papers, maybe sociology papers, but nothing empirical ever. None of these people read anything empirical ever. It's okay not to understand causal inference. Like not everyone needs to, but just shut the fuck up. Just shut the. No one needs you to talk. No one needs to hear your opinion. No, really, is that crazy to say? I don't know.
How many followers does this girl have? It's in the like millions, isn't it? Or is that at least hundreds of thousands, right?
No, certainly not. Certainly not. No, I think about 50K. Maybe.
Okay, thank God.
Let me see. She could have grown since. Let me check.
She has 26K.
Yeah, 50K.
Yeah. Okay.
I was right. Yeah, I think when I saw, look, she can be good. I was one time I was scrolling TikTok and some like Nazi guy was on my live, and then she joined the live and she debunked him, and that was really good. Yeah, I forget what it was. I think it was, maybe it was citing the Richard Lynn IQ stuff. I forget what. But she did a good job debunking him. I remember that. It's like he didn't read anything he's citing, and so she can do an okay job. But it's just like why are we doing this slop of like, oh, people did stuff without a profit motive, so it's not literally the only thing. So my system can be literally the only thing. Are you okay? Are you good faith? If you talk to her, which may it's your prerogative, just know this: she will like say a bad point and then talk over you to make it again and again. So you got to be very.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's right. I'm not leaving.
Okay. Incredible. Why are we not very doesn't have the effective altruist charities? You need a theism pill here too. I'm not very theist pilled myself. I don't really focus on religion that much, but listen, if he wants to talk to Bethan's bulldog, I would not subject him to that. Oh my god, that'd be horrible.
That privately owns means production and forces people in this position.
What college did you go to?
USC.
You went to USC. What did you major in?
Sociology.
Sociology. Who's your hero as a professor? Who's the professor you look up to?
This doesn't seem like a topic that's related to capitalism.
The reason why I ask this question is because somebody convinced you of that. Somebody convinced you that that is
psychology and studies convinced me of this fact about the human mind.
But unfortunately, to your claim, results show that the greatest
economical
system is
capitalism that
allows
and more
people to go
profit
above and
than
beyond
anything
and
like
solve every single issue out there.
It's coming close.
What was your claim again, mister?
I'm going to incentive. The entrepreneur who has an incentive to go out and build their lives. And
I told you not.
So I'm saying that this incentive that you're.
Do you think the lib-pilled Micah rant on the other way might have been on to something the other day? I don't know. What was the lib-pill Micah rant? I didn't see it. I don't think. Patrick is so cringe. He is. It's so horrible. It was close to a good point. I mean, I'm most familiar with the evidence on healthcare. It does seem broadly like there is just evidence on healthcare. Like if you reduce, if you expected future profits, you do see a reduction in medical innovation. You do see a reduction in patents and stuff. But okay. The Trump health thing, I saw it on your stream. Oh, I do remember that. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I think maybe. It does seem like Trump is not doing particularly well, but...
You're talking about?
Yeah.
What predicts the best incentive, the best drive, and the best creativity
what do you think about
has been
Elon
proven by
Musk? What do you think
psychology.
about Elon Musk?
I bet it'll be okay for at least the next 3 months.
Can we respond to my claim?
This is about...
I mean, my way to ask Renoff I went to school, I will discredit him by asking about his features.
So you're arguing that incentive is intrinsic and tied to extrinsic motivation.
Dude, that reminds me. I'm gonna write this down. I had to reach out to one of my old teachers when I have dinner with him again. I was going to before the Shrimp Welfare Subathon, but then I did the Shrimp Welfare Subathon.
What we find is that the best incentive comes from intrinsic motivation.
So a person that's passionate about solving an issue is going to build something.
Proven by psychology. Can we respond to my claim?
This is
proven by psychology.
So you're arguing that incentive is intrinsic and tied to extrinsic motivation. What we find is that the best incentive comes from intrinsic motivation.
So a person that's passionate about solving an issue is going to build something bigger than somebody else that's not.
Yeah. So someone who has a true passion for this.
Yeah. So
exactly. So profit motivation.
In my opinion, incentives of healthcare evidence is super strong. In Ralph's paper, the Ralph paper is pretty good. It's the Ralph paper one, probably the one Sam sent me. That's like it doesn't actually reduce like novel medical innovation particularly much.
Is not the thing that's driving innovation, right?
Psychology.
Of course. So psychology proves that's not the case. That profit's not the reason that we have the greatest inventions that we do today.
I don't know if I disagree with the fact that there's a passion behind it. Are you saying people with passion, even if there wasn't the incentive to make as much money as they would make, people would still pursue it even with or without money?
That's what psychology says.
Well, your claims are wrong because
that's not true.
Whoever your psychology professor is,
that one's also good though.
You find out how America, that's only been around for 249 years, schooled all the other countries that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years more. They did better than others because the incentive
because they accumulated profit, right, to 1% of the population and continue to produce on that
basis.
Right, we have this market.
It's not necessarily.
Do we want to respond because you can say that?
You've been interrupting the entire time. So if you're saying about the 1% are the problem and they're the only ones that make money, a lot of people make money. You said the profit goes to the 1%.
I'm explaining how it is that America has become the dominant power that it is now, right? What we see is that because we have this engine, right, this desire to accumulate profit, we morally justify things like going to other countries, imperializing them, colonizing them, extracting their resources, right, to funnel our country.
Oh, there's no
right? Social democracy.
I forgot, by the way, Bob Marley when he said when Sample was in a call then every country should be rich. The incentives are intrinsic. You fail to consider, Bob Marley, that every country is just overexploited. Okay.
That's true. When Poland was like really poor under the Soviet Union, which was very not socialist, clearly, and then
obviously
after liberalization they became uber rich, like historically unprecedentedly rich. That was because they colonized everyone, even the United States. Not many people know this. This is so unserious. These people are such clowns. This is why I'm like sociology phobic. I said it. I said it. I said it. I don't regret it. The beef between economists and sociologists is real, and economists come up on top every time. It's very clear. You look at the research, you look at the arguments, you look at the I'm sorry, it's just everything. And economists are so good, bro. She's unlistenable. She's unlistenable. Like, yeah, I don't know. She still lost the debate to me, so that's fine. Whatever.
Sure. What U.S. got rich is by going to other countries and exploiting their resources. I know.
Countries don't do this. So yeah, they might not be the wealthiest power, but they have higher rates of education, literacy, human satisfaction, etc. Right. So it depends on what we actually value in society. Do we value well-being or do we value profit accumulation?
Validates your point. If that's the case, people would.
By the way, all of those, like basically any one of those measures is going to be pretty heavily correlated with even just GDP. But all right.
They don't. When you judge a great restaurant by the amount of people that come in, you can say the food sucks here.
Yeah,
you
so
can say the service sucks here. But everybody's lined up to want to come here. They're not lined up to go to those countries. They're just used by professors as theories.
There were millions of people that also lived in Germany in the 1920s.
I lived in Germany before as well for 2 years.
Hey, before we go any further,
what? Get this bullshit off my screen.
With us on this episode. Now, let's get into it.
My next claim is capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other system.
I don't have. This is going to be tough. I don't know. This might be an okay claim. Presumably, I'm going to talk about China. I know Indonesia, by the way, but like absolute numbers. I think has listed actually a similar number of people out of poverty, but some of that is also probably due to just a welfare state.
That's a layup. That's a layup. Maybe I doubt. Maybe one of them is going to mention China, but that's a layup claim. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they say China, I mean, it's very clearly because they liberalized.
Because they liberalized. But I think they would say that's still not capitalism or whatever. But I mean, I agree.
Well, no, it's you move in the direction of. It's like saying when people are free, they can breathe more or something, or like when people are not strangled, they breathe more. And then, well, actually, the biggest increase in people breathing was when I stopped. I like loosened my choke on this guy, and it's like. Oh yeah, but that's because you loosened the choke, right? You made him more free to breathe. But he wasn't ultimately free, right? I still choked him somewhat. It's like, yeah, maybe, but I mean, you moved in the correct direction. That's why you got the good results. I don't know.
Sample talking about breeding.
About what? Breathing? I said breathing, not breeding.
I don't know. Sounds like breeding. No. Now we're talking about choking. No. Sample breeding kink. Sample breeding choking kink. What
breeding
the hell?
And choking. Maybe guys. Maybe guys. Only with your moms. Only with your moms.
Yeah, I don't know. I doubt Patrick Bethel is going to be able to defend this very well, but this is a graph I've seen before. Indonesia has a similar like percent of the population decline from poverty. And they're obviously not particularly socialist.
Patrick.
How are you? Gabby?
Yeah,
good to meet you.
So I would argue that governments have actually lifted the most people out of poverty. If you look historically, we look at China, for instance, had the most significant poverty reduction in all of human history. They pulled 800 million people out of poverty using state-owned enterprises and state centralized planning. They did work with the capitalist system, but they did it, most of it was done through state-funded infrastructure, education, and contributing to strong literacy programs.
Layup. Listen, I mean, I just think like it probably is just gonna depend on how you divide these things. Like I do think that like, you know, poverty is an issue that is pretty well addressed by like a welfare state. Like it's fair to say that like the welfare state keeps a lot of people out of poverty. Now I do believe sort of the conditions for a lot of those welfare states are enhanced by the market. Obviously, like if the market leads to more growth that we are able to redistribute, like that's gonna have a downward effect on poverty too, as well as just, you know, growth is going to increase people's productivity and incomes, and that's going to decrease poverty naturally. But like,
redistributing the wealth. I think that my other argument would be that there hasn't been an opportunity for alternative systems like socialism to pull enough people out of poverty.
CIA.
There hasn't been enough opportunities for them to succeed. And so when we say, I think that is partly because of the U.S. and I think because capitalist forces and global market insecurities have sabotaged these attempts to do socialism. So we look at an example in Chile in the 1960s. They elected a democratic socialist, and he proposed literacy reform, wealth redistribution, land reform, and all of that was a threat, obviously, to the United States because McCarthyism was on the rise at the time. And so instead of allowing Allende to have a chance with that, the U.S. Orchestrated a CIA-backed coup to take over and to have a military dictatorship that led the country instead of Allende, who actually was having a lot of success in reducing the poverty rates before the U.S. interfered. And so I think we look at other parts of Latin America, like Venezuela, for instance, and we see the same thing. We see that the U.S. has interfered several times. You know, with Chavez in Venezuela, he was able to reduce the poverty reduction in half in the first decade of him being in office, and he was sabotaged
I need to put you on
by the U.S. and by
this
military
is
dictatorship.
real.
So that the people that replaced them were actually.
So may I respond?
Makes me so mad that PBD's an idiot. I know.
It's a lot of different cases here. So thank you for that. So let's go China first. Okay. So when you say China was able to recover and because they use state-funded, nationalized systems. So in 1978, Xi Jinping, the leader of China, went to Japan. He saw what was going on with Japan for 2 decades. Every year their GDP was growing by 15%. The economy was doubling pretty much every 4 years. They go over there, they say, we got to find a way to compete with Japan. How do they have fewer people, but they're beating us?
Venezuela,
they sit down with their leaders after a few drinks. Eventually,
well,
they say,
you're failing
to
here. Consider Sansaram, the U.S. CIA coup interference.
They asked the question from Xi Jinping, the Prime Minister Fukuda, asked the question, how many banks do you guys have in China? He says, we have 1 bank. He says, it's a nationalized bank? He says, yeah. That's it? Yeah. How many loan officers do you have? Not many. You want to compete with 1 bank? Yes. He says, if you want to compete with us or others, here's what you have to do. You need 5,000 banks with 35 branches, with 30 loan officers. That's a total of 5.25 million loan officers and a population of 600 million people that are living there. You do that every week. You take 10 applications with these loan officers for small business owners, and you allow the small business owner to compete. They did that. China started competing. By the way, in America in the 1920s, we had around 30,000 banks when we were really, competing in a marketplace. In the 80s, we ended up having around 14,000. Today, we only have 4,100 banks in America. That concept of allowing just 1 bank to compete,
I feel like
it's not going to work. China takes on the idea from Japan.
Nailed down the banking point.
They start growing with certain
buddy.
You're thinking about this in very capitalist terms, which makes sense for a
We
capitalist.
got to the very end. He got to the relevant part.
You're only thinking about these scenarios in a situation where market mechanisms are in place, and this is the problem that I have with so many capitalists is they can't.
Capitalism is not the market.
Their worldview and try to see a world where socialism could be in place because they don't understand the untapped potential of socialism. And I'm a democratic socialist. I think that we need to build forward towards that with reforms, and I think we need to work with the government. I don't think that we should abandon the state. I also don't think that we should give state elites the complete control over society. I do think that we should work with the state to instill these reforms and then eventually erode capitalism.
But unfortunately, socialism has had hundreds of years to produce results, and it hasn't worked. Do you know why it doesn't work, though?
It's been sabotaged.
It's been sabotaged, or it's because it forces people to do something they don't want to do?
Does capitalism not do the same?
No, capitalism gives you
There's 7 million people in this country who have to work multiple jobs just to get...
Oh, man. Patrick McDavid, why? Patrick McDavid, why?
They're forced to do that because either they do that or they starve. So if the options are to work or to starve, that's not freedom, it's economic coercion.
Respectfully, if you do that for a period of your life, I understand it. If you're doing that for 30 years, you're doing something wrong. You shouldn't be working multiple jobs for the rest of your life.
So, first of all, I'm not...
They're not even talking about the claim anymore. I'm not even talking about the claim anymore.
I'm not going to argue with this moral argument. I think that people who live in poverty, especially when we look at how many people live in poverty in this country, and also it depends on how you define the poverty line, but there's 40 million Americans who live below the poverty line in this country.
That's excluding government benefits, right? Funnily enough, she's excluding the very mechanism that she thinks she thinks is actually responsible for the for reducing poverty. Oh my God.
There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth. How does that work?
It's not even
in a country
3 guys?
There's 3 guys in this country that own 40% of the wealth.
I don't even think that's true. Especially not if you include Social Security measures of wealth inequality. But I don't even think BlackRock and Vanguard own that much of the wealth collectively. This must be making some pretty weird assumptions. I have no clue. Oh, she might mean more than the bottom 40% of people? Yeah, okay, that might be, if you don't include Social Security and government and other entitlements, that might be true. But
I'm jaking it.
Nice one, Game Boy, thanks.
Oh, so good.
I don't a lot of this stuff is relatively sensitive to assumptions you make about unreported income and what we should include a measure in, whether or not we should include Social Security, for example. I don't think there's particularly good answers on it, but it does seem like pretty pure slop to say 3 guys own more than a bottom 40% or whatever, when certainly there's evidence that says that's not particularly true. And also, you'd have to, there's still board work ahead, unless you're going to say inequality is an intrinsically bad thing. You'd have to, prove that, instrumentally, that inequality isn't worth it or whatever. And it could totally be the case that, even if that is true, it just doesn't have catastrophically negative effects on society. Also, do people never heard of market socialism as a mate? I'm sure there's going to be market socialist, whatever, people on this.
How does that work in a country that is
You really want to go there? You want to go there? Okay, so let's talk about it. So when we talk about the rich people at the top, okay, and you say, well, the rich don't pay enough taxes. Do you know what the bottom 50% of taxpayers in America pay towards the revenue that the government gets in taxes? Do you know what the bottom
negative 20% or whatever?
2% of taxes. Do you know what the top 1% pays.
There's been several years.
Do you know what
that
the top 1%? Do you know? No, hang on a second. This is from the IRS. I'm not writing a blog from Huffington Post. This is not Daily Beast. I'm telling you the story. The top 1% pays 42%
I'll say this: the
of all
top 1%
tax
is
revenue.
about to pay a lot less in taxes because of the provision that
They'll
just went
actually
into
end up paying
Trump's,
even
your
more
guys'
revenue to the
big beautiful
government.
bill.
Yeah.
Real.
Thank you so much.
Still wild. You don't have that you don't have egalitarian intuitions. They're just stupid. They're just stupid. And I think to the extent that people do have that intuition, we have very good air theories to explain why we have those intuitions. Okay, it's a very good post by. Oh my God, what's up?
You read a comment about egalitarian intuitions. Where is it on the screen? It doesn't show up on the screen. I don't know where you read it.
What do you mean? It's on. He probably sent it a little bit ago, so it might not be on my stream anymore because it disappears after some amount of time.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, yeah. I moved back next. I was like, no, because I'm not seeing Charsky's messages, and maybe he's typing in the shorts live. I don't know where. I don't know. I cannot see his live.
Yeah, no,
his messages on the.
It was in the shorts.
Yeah, Charsky, move to the regular YouTube chat. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's right.
God damn it, Simple Text. You made me undock this chat and now it won't redock. There we go. What's Simple Text Twitter? I don't think he usually wants to say. Yeah, but I don't know. This is very good. It's a good post explaining the air theories about why we probably have the egalitarian intuitions. Okay.
That was fast.
Hi, I'm Anne.
Anne, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I do want to.
I've been told this girl is smart by Simple Text.
Address part of the claim about poverty, but I also want to address what you brought up about like paying taxes. You said the top 1% pays a large amount of taxes. The problem is that the bottom two quintiles can't pay taxes because they quite literally have no wealth. Do you understand that? Like the bottom quintile of the United States doesn't have any wealth. In fact, they're in debt, so they have literally like negative wealth.
Why do you think that is?
I think that's for a lot of reasons. I think that's because workers have been exploited. I think that they haven't had the opportunity.
Oh, okay, that's cringe show. There's like one way of viewing this, which is like. And it goes by they, them, by the way. Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's like one way of viewing it, which is like these people get, net transfers. And that's why they don't pay taxes because a lot of them don't even work to not fond of these style of debunking args. Like what Anne is doing or what she's doing. Top 1% should pay 101% of taxes for it's at a diet reel. Like the way I would view what she just said, it's like, oh, like the U.S. system is already like relatively progressive because a lot of the people in the bottom two quintiles like get net transfers. They don't really pay much in taxes. Most of them are on government benefits that try to provide for their needs. Like those are the government benefits that I do think like keep a lot of people out of poverty. But
Opportunity to gain social mobility.
Why do you think that is?
Because of exploitation.
You think they're being exploited?
Yes.
Oh, so people are being forced to work at companies. They don't have a choice.
I didn't say that they were.
So people are being.
They are being forced. If the other option is starve or die.
What job do you have right now? What do you do for a living?
I
think it's. Wow, great spelling there, buddy.
I do work from home, so like because of exploitation.
You think they're being exploited?
Yes.
Oh, so people are being forced to work at companies. They don't have a choice.
I didn't say that they were.
So people are being.
They are being forced. If the other option is starve or die.
What job do you have right now? What do you do for a living?
I do work from home stuff. I don't want to discuss that.
So you chose to do that, right? That's your choice, correct? If somebody works at Starbucks as a barista, it's their choice. If somebody has a job that they're working, it's their choice. If somebody is not utilizing their time properly and accordingly, of course the market's not going to pay you.
Do you think that they brought up single mothers earlier? Do you think that single mothers are sitting around playing Fortnite 15?
I don't think most of this stuff is particularly relevant. So like I understand the. Maybe some people care about this more. I don't care about sort of like the moral claims of all this. Like it seems, I will say, like to me, it seems weird to say a lot of people are forced to work when we do have a welfare state. And like, I don't think there's a good way you could define force where like you're forced to work, but you're not forced to, for example, like talk to other people. Right. But, I don't know. The real question is just like what system best, allocates labor, what system has the best incentives. Presumably some people at least are going to be forced to work in any system, even in a social system. you'd have to force really some people to work, presumably. You know, what system is going to do the best with that? But capitalism when you hate the children. This is me for real. Me for real. That's the only reason I'm a capitalist, in fact. Just imagine, sample text providing a brilliant utilitarian. Whatever. Have you read Rama on this? I have not. I've not read much on it. I've talked to, kind of, like I said, I don't care for some of like the weird moralistic stuff, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, single mothers were manipulated on what happened.
Is that a yes or no?
Single mothers were manipulated by what Lyndon Johnson came out with. They changed the benefits on giving single mothers
what?
To have kids on all the welfare programs.
There's
changed our system in a
there's some truth to what he's saying. But
the feminist movement got single mothers to believe they don't need men and they're going to do everything by themselves and they don't need a man to help them out.
Like, there are welfare cliffs, and I believe like there are welfare cliffs associated with being married versus unmarried, but I don't think that's particularly relevant to what they're supposed to be talking about.
This division that's happened between us caused many people to be in the situation that they're
most
at.
households are 50-50. They're closer to 50-50 today, so that has nothing to do with feminism. Feminism didn't just like convince women because they're too stupid.
Feminism was one of the worst things that happened in America because it pinned men against women.
Do you think that women are so stupid that they've been brainwashed? Okay, so you don't think that they've just fallen into this feminist propaganda? You don't think they're idiots?
No, I don't think that, but I do think people can be manipulated
but they're
and brainwashed.
not stupid enough to do that because
he's talking about the soul nonsense.
There are so many people that bought into a philosophy that stole decades away from their lives. Decades away from their lives because they bought into an idea that didn't produce the results.
What are you talking about?
That's true.
I'm talking about capitalism is the best economical system that provides the best results for people.
But we can't just jump back and forth between claim to claim to claim. So the claim about feminism brainwashing.
Oh, she's doing it. God damn it. Oh no, she's doing a good job at holding Patrick McDavid to the stupid shit he said. Oh no, we can't go on to the real debate because.
No, I said feminists originally brainwashed women to believe men are the enemy. That led to where we are today. Last week report came in.
Single mothers?
Yes, in many cases because they don't need men.
Do you have evidence for that?
100%.
You really think a single mother wants to be a single mother?
Absolutely, we have evidence of that.
You think the single mother making minimum wage down the road, like working for some
He's
grocery
trying to
store,
get
having to take
linear.
care of her
Sorry.
is just like, I just
Jesus,
don't
I'm not woke enough.
What percentage?
I'll live in abject poverty.
What percentage of the U.S. revenue that we get in do you think we use for entitlement programs? What percentage?
I don't remember the exact.
What do you think the number is? So we bring in $4.9 trillion. We bring $4.9 trillion in. Okay, the U.S.
8% or something.
Revenue comes in. What percentage do you think goes to entitlement programs?
I don't know.
What do you think is a reasonable number?
Well, what you're calling entitlement programs, I'm actually not sure what you mean by that.
I'm talking about Social Security. I'm talking about Section 8. I'm talking about any of these.
It's much less than other OECD countries.
What percentage do you think?
I don't remember the exact percentage, but it's much less than other OECD countries.
Do you think it's 10%,
far behind.
20%, 30%? What do you think the number is?
No, but it's relatively low compared to other OECD
countries. What do you think it is? Can you guess the number?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I've already said that.
68%. How much more entitlement?
I might be thinking of. I was thinking in terms of percentage GDP, I guess. Obviously, we, as a percent of the budget.
Can we fact check that?
You can fact check that. Okay. Please do so.
Please.
Wouldn't surprise me. In 2024, 60% of federal spending went towards entitlement, including Social Security, Medicare, and federal government pensions. The government spent $4.1 trillion on those programs and brought in $4.9 trillion in revenue. Yeah, okay. Hold on. I guess I'll just do entitlement programs. Entitlement spending as percent of GDP US. 11% of GDP, yeah.
68% goes to entitlement programs.
Of our federal budget?
No, of the revenue that comes in. 68%.
So the GDP.
Not GDP. You're confusing the two different things here. Actual tax revenue that we get.
Okay, so tax revenue.
68% of it goes towards entitlement programs. 68%. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
Grace?
Yes, Grace.
Good to meet
Hi.
you.
I want to say that I think it's pretty comical that an elite such as yourself has the goal to tell
Oh
us
my
average Americans who's in
God.
poverty and who's not. A lot of
I
times
wasn't ever
you're not
saying
anymore.
that.
You're not anymore.
You can also
and you're
change.
very.
You can also change.
Anyways.
Also, he has not told anyone who's in poverty and who's not. He has not cited any data so far.
Yeah. A lot of times that the market for poverty is actually very low. So a lot of times like $2 a day is the line for how they measure poverty.
$2.15, yeah.
And that's ridiculous. So if I make $5 a day.
That's not ridiculous because that's with regards to global poverty, and that does put you above the poverty line in a lot of countries.
Yeah, I'm not in poverty.
And that is, by the way, like adjusted to inflation and like PPP and everything. What's up?
First of all, they call it extreme poverty, right?
Mhm.
So they don't. That's all poverty is, by the way. And second, they don't just pull it out of their ass. They have like a whole book with detailing the methodology. Everyone can go read it, but they won't. They won't. To the extent you care about regular poverty in the United States, guess what? That also goes down. Now, a lot of it is the welfare state as well, which is important. But if you just smash capitalism, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I don't like you. Shut up.
Oh my God.
live, I can pay the rent.
That was Sam Flotrowski. He's a mod.
But we're talking about this country, right? We're not talking about around the world. I've noticed that you like to do that. You like to like skirt from America and talk about
this
other
claim is certainly talking about the whole world.
America's the greatest country in the world.
Anyways, it's the greatest country. We are at the highest that we've ever been with homelessness since we started collecting.
Wow. I don't know. That might be true since we started collecting data. I find that unintuitive. That we're at the highest homelessness rate ever.
Pay rate since 2009.
Do you live
Our
here?
minimum wage nationally is $7.25.
Okay.
And you
well, the minimum wage. Whoa.
Can you
Really very unwelcome in space. Sample text, censorship, unbelievable.
I used to work for $4.25 at Haagen-Dazs.
Right.
Then I went and worked at Burger King for $4.75.
And how much do you make
Then
now?
I make millions today. Then
right,
I worked
and that's
at
why you
Bob's
like
Big
capitalism,
Boy.
because we're not all making that. And that's my point. A millionaire is critiquing the people in poverty and saying you should work harder. You should work. You know, you can be me. We can't all be you.
My hope is.
I hate both sides. Me too, brother. Me too.
You can change and improve. That you believe you can upgrade yourself. That's my
belief.
Very,
you know what? That's what rich people like you want to keep telling us. You can be just like me. Do you want to be like me? If you work hard enough,
I'm not saying that.
It's not very realistic.
It's actually you wouldn't be able to be like me because you wouldn't work that hard. Would you work that hard?
I'm not going to tell you. I don't have to answer that.
If you don't
choose to, I don't have to measure my work ethic to be worthy.
You don't have to. Then you can't be upset for others who do so. You can't be upset
for people who are struggling.
No, because they work harder than you.
Capitalism, because
but
you
go back
think
to
that you have
homelessness.
to work so hard.
Do you live in the state of California?
I do.
Okay, you said homelessness.
Yes.
What do you think about your Governor Newsom? What do you think about him?
I don't like it. I'm a progressive. He doesn't do enough for the people.
Do you know when he was?
He takes corporate money. He takes money from people like
when
you.
He was. I've never given him money. But do you know when he first became a governor? I would never give him money. But when he became a governor first, from then till today, he's raised the amount of homelessness in this state by 36,000 people.
They're both so stupid. What am I supposed to say here? A big problem with California is probably just they don't build enough housing. I don't know. Gavin Newsom probably blocked some shit. I think he's gotten better recently. I think social housing could be good if we were able to do it efficiently. The big problem is it's hard to do it efficiently right now. I don't think we need to decommodify everything, own all the means of production.
Sorry, why are we not looking at per capita? They did this with the South Korean GDP as well. Why are we not? Why are we not looking at homelessness per capita? California has tens of millions of people. What are we doing? This is
it's probably, I would imagine it's high per capita too. I might be wrong, but
okay, sure, but do it per capita to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I'm saying the population probably grew from 2019 by somewhat. It's probably still increased after you just per capita. I doubt it grew by 20% or something. Even 10% would be surprising. But yeah, I'm just saying, yeah.
People like you are. Billionaires like you are the
gave him $24 billion. Taxpayers gave him $24 billion, and he didn't do nothing with it.
Vote him out.
You vote him out. You have him. It's not that.
I have no clue. What Gavin did with that $24 billion. But I don't think just the fact that California spent public funds inefficiently necessarily goes against using public funds to build housing at all. I do think there are reasons to believe there to be skeptical of public housing, but.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to defend new stuff.
Why not? You rather a capitalist pig run your workplace. Don't you ever step out of your front door. Yeah, nice one, buddy. He sent it all to Israel. I just think that's typically associated with negative outcomes. Online human. I think it's sets up bad incentives.
You can
but you're not much different than him. That's all I'm saying. You're in the same class.
But you're sitting here blaming a person who's changed their lives for the better. And it's their fault. My dad was.
This is not the United States of Patrick Bet-David.
Do you know
this is the United States of America.
I know. The fact that we have Kelly homeless rate going around and we don't know if it's actually the highest per capita is probable. That is fair.
You say that, but are you willing to pay more taxes so that other people don't suffer? Are you willing to pay more taxes so other people don't suffer?
I am so grateful to be here.
I see you're skirting the question. You're not willing.
My dad was a cashier in Inglewood at a 99-cent store. We had nothing. No, I don't tell you that's great. We had nothing. I'm the guy that had.
That's total population. That's not per capita.
But what you don't.
As compared to the national homelessness ratio. Okay, kill me.
What you don't want to hear is that because it's the truth. Can I ask you a question? When's the last time you read a business book? When's the last time you read a self-help book?
I don't need to answer.
California's up there.
I wrote a self-help book. I'm a writer. I'm a creative.
Tell me what self-help book you read. Give me one. Give me one you read. Are you willing to take one recommendation?
No.
You're not. Then I can't help you.
That's okay. I don't need your help. I didn't come here for your help.
I don't know why. I don't. The optimal capitalist strategy is not to say, have you considered reading self-help books? I don't think that's
flagged out. Awesome.
Socialists can't read. This is so real.
What's your name? Armin?
Yep, Armin Crow. When you said capitalism is the best form of economic organization the world has ever seen.
Oh, Harmon.
It made me think of a very particular picture from history. So I don't know if you know this, it's a little history lesson. In 1900, King Leopold II of Belgium determined that the entire land of the Democratic Republic of the Congo was his personal property.
God.
And within 10 years, capitalists came out, they exploited all the land, extracted trillions of dollars.
What am I even supposed to, like, what? I don't think that's very clearly defined as capitalism. I don't think it's, I don't think that type of colonialism is like 100% incompatible with what might broadly be considered capitalism. But I also don't think it's incompatible with a lot of things that happened under socialism. But okay, what's up?
No, you don't understand. We must fucking collectivize McDonald's because, like, last century there was a monarch that killed a lot of people in Africa, bro. You don't understand. You
I
need to
know.
be very high IQ to get this. And frankly, this is like a 200 IQ argument. You're like, I could see 98. I could not see above that. But no, this is like, bro. And then I see people post this guy. And he's like, he schooled PPD or blah 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 blah. It's so. This is why, like, this is why, again, to reiterate, you should absolutely not tolerate all the people with like, I have a wonky model that is socialist. And then every time I talk about socialism, I have to say now, well, not all models. No, shut the fuck up. You need to prove to me that you're capable of understanding such models. Otherwise, I'm just going to assume you're like these people because they outnumber you 1 to 30. Okay, what do you want?
Nah.
What do you want first?
I think that if you're going to assume all socialists are this guy, then I get to pretend that you're Patrick Bet-David. I get to pretend.
If someone, no. It went so. I said this already. People who call there are 20 of him, 20 of them. Only one of Patrick Bet-David. If they had 20 people who call themselves capitalists and they were all like PBD, maybe you'd have a plan. But right now we have the governor.
90% of
We
them
have
are
the governor of
PBD.
California calling himself. No. People who call themselves.
You don't
no,
think so?
absolutely not. We've had Biden and Gavin do that. All the people who call themselves socialists, like maybe Bernie, who's not really. So I mean, 2 of them were like normals, dem socks, whatever, normal people. Like there was the one guy who cited like the medical bill study. He cited it wrongly. Yeah, Anne was okay. But I don't know what Anne believes. But either way. But
I think Anne's just
some
like
are
a
okay. But
yeah.
it's just fucking, bruh. It's so bad. Like right now we have Gavin.
Most people who believe most things are really stupid and silly, and I think that it's silly to pretend that like socialists are uniquely like this. Like, I don't know, man. You think average, like, maybe if you're just talking about like average globe emoji Twitter user.
I don't think the average capitalist would even be able to draw supply demand curve. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they're good or well literate. I'm just saying their positions are not evil and motivations are not as evil as like fucking people like that who are like, by the way.
I don't think most of these people are motivated by evil. I think they just want people to have like homes and health care, and they hate rich people.
They say that, but then they're
I
like,
think they have,
by the way, death to the United States.
Well, I think they have populist slop intuitions. Okay, so I think that leads them to the.
But I think most people have populist slop intuitions. Unfortunately,
that's what we're finding.
Well,
That's the purpose of the non-fun channel, the non-fun community.
Technocracy now, technocracy forever.
I just think we need to have 10% less democracy. That's what I think.
Interesting.
Let's go.
I just think
it's a book.
Oh, Jesus. Is that worth reading? Do I have to read that?
Non-fun went over a bit of it on the stream. I didn't read it, but like he cites some of the central bank independence stuff, which I don't think is too great. I think the overall point.
No, they did go in and say like they went over like the more recent stuff and was like, actually, it turns out it might actually not be that good of an explainer. I forget what
that's great
paper they cited is.
There was a paper that looked at this. It's in my notes, but whatever. I mean, you just need to understand. Like, I think one of the biggest issues for existing people in the United States, not future generations, but existing people, is housing. And housing. It's pretty much democracy versus markets. It's like you have local. I guess maybe democracy that doesn't price in people who are not living there already. But it's if we had less democracy in housing, we would have better results. Or whatever, but
I think that if we had like I don't know. I mean, I agree that like there's insane issues with like populist slop, NIMBYism or whatever. But I think that the problem is there's just this incredibly selective democratic mechanism, right, where the people who have the most incentive to not promote development are the only people who get to make these decisions, right? So genuinely kill all homeowners, by the way.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, I'm also not like, I'm not actually.
That's why I want to. That's why I want to call
democracy,
unions. I want to rename unions to like worker homeownership associations. So people would get the right information.
No. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like dogmatically pro. I'm in favor of democracy instrumentally at some points, but I'm not. I'm like I'm technocracy.
Econoboy is, yeah, Econoboy. Well, yeah, you're a China fan though.
Not sort of, but yeah. Is
said, have high IQs there.
That's right. I've been citing some. This guy on Twitter. Anyway, but is Econoboy for real? Not thinks democracy is like not instrumentally valuable, but it's like intrinsically valuable, or?
So on his blog, he said,
yeah, on one of his blog posts.
I'll tell you what he said. It was funny. So
for like
he said
solely Rawlsian reasons, or?
No. Here, give me a second. I'm looking at. I sent the screenshot. Okay, Discord has image. Okay, here we go. I should find this 1 second. Here we go. So he said this. I believe in democracy. Democracy seems to be both intrinsically important on egalitarian grounds and instrumentally important. But notice that he said egalitarianism is intrinsically important. So you cannot say democracy is intrinsically important because it achieves more equality.
Because it achieves egalitarianism.
That's saying it's instrumental.
Yeah.
That's saying it's instrumental. But then
Well, I guess I can see what he's saying. If what he's saying is just the reason why this is valuable is because it's egalitarian, and egalitarianism is valuable.
Yeah.
Right?
Just don't see intrinsically and instrumentally.
Sure,
he says,
yeah.
So I don't know what he believes. Like he was asked one time on stream, like in June or something, why do you think equality is intrinsically important? And he says, oh, because look, and it like seems to cause some social stress and crime, and so that's why I don't trust people when they tell me it's like intrinsically important. It's like I think they're just confusing intuitions. I think people don't get to.
I still we'll have to talk about
this. People cannot conditionalize. Okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I gotta get back to the video. I gotta get through this shit eventually.
You're too mean to Econoboy. You're too mean to the goat, man.
I wasn't mean enough. I regret not being mean. Oh, by the way, Charsky. Hypothetically. Do you miss Econoboy? Do you miss the 3 walks?
Yeah, of course.
But you can tell them that
they had like a. Oh yeah, I'll tell you. Let me call you. Let me call you. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well.
And within 10 years, capitalists came out, they exploited all the land, extracted trillions of dollars of resources, 15 million Congolese died. For reference, the Holocaust killed 6 million people. And the most famous picture from that time in history is a rubber worker staring at the disembodied hands
of his hand cut off,
because he didn't hit his rubber quota. I'm willing to bet that man worked harder to hit that rubber quota than anything you've ever worked for in your entire life. And I think when you say this is the best system that's ever been created, to me, that's the result. That's what happens when there's no rules.
It's devastating when you hear stories.
That just like does not... maybe that could be relevant for the incentive one, but that's not even relevant to this claim at all.
They worked very hard, and they had risk on the line. Many times it was their lives that was on the line. And you see that in many different places when you go back and study history. That's why today in America, that can't happen. In America, you have a choice to do what you want to do with your life. When we go back and look at those stories, we can go to see what communism did. How many lives were killed because of communism control? You don't need to go through that number. The number's between 60 to 100 million. We can go that route. But if you're talking about which provided the best economical system, today you judge it by how many want to go live somewhere that gives you that opportunity, and that is America.
Do you know why kids can't work in America?
Why kids can't work in America?
Why there's child labor laws.
Yeah, because of child labor laws.
It was labor unions. They were getting shot at by police officers to fight for the weekend, to fight for the 40-hour work week.
Sure, that's not even really... That's definitely controversial at the very least. Labor laws due to unions. Child labor laws, I know in the Ben Powell book at the very least, there's evidence that like most of the decline in child labor did not happen because of child labor laws, but it actually happened just because of economic growth, and parents started having enough income to just send their kids to school rather than needing them work or whatever. With working hours generally, that seems to be the case. But I don't have studies on that like on hand, but I'm sure we could look it up. I know if you poll economists, the majority of them believe that economic growth is more responsible for the decline in working hours than unions are, but I don't have like a paper on that.
Another good example is the 1908 mill children's strike. It was thousands of kids who were working 80-hour work weeks striking so they would only have to work 50 a week. That's what happens when there's no rules, right? And then the government had to come in and say,
wow, that's not even like that's not even like really. I don't think that's intrinsically or incompatible with like capitalism either. Like, I don't think unions are like intrinsically anti-capitalist. I think insofar as like the government grants some artificial protection or whatever, you could say they are, but
you can't employ children. So I think capitalism.
We don't disagree here with that. I don't think we're sitting here talking about child labor. Right? Are you hearing me talking about capitalism is the best system because it provides child labor in America?
I'm saying that capitalism, there's no guardrails inherently. The government has to come in. People have to go and organize. And I think what you've seen for the past 50.
I know I've seen this poll before. There's a poll by that. What's the institution that just polls a bunch of economists? There was a question along the lines of were unions or economic growth more responsible for the decline of working hours?
50 years under neoliberal politics, is that slowly being chipped
away?
All the good things of the New Deal, like Social Security,
I do think you need law and order. I do think you need law and order, but also at times, you know, the amount of rules you put in place can prevent incentives. Right now, if you think about drones, warfare is changing, okay? And 70 to 80% of all drones that are being built today are being built by a company called DJI in China. Ukraine was building a.
How are we on this now, man? How are we on this?
Thousand drones a day at
I mean, this is just. I mean, I guess you could. You can just look at this. Like, obviously, I don't think substantial legislation on working hours has been passed in the U.S. for probably since the 70s. I could be wrong on that, but you know, obviously, working hours and the annual working hours have continued to decline.
$500 and going and hitting $5 million equipment of Russia, destroying them. 68% of their attacks was from drones. When you come to America, look at us. We're at 1 to 2% at the top. Let me explain my point to you here. Part of it is overregulation. Overregulation, FAA laws, this laws, that laws. So 500 startups that got into the drone business, they walked away because it's overregulation. Many cases, when you say, I want to put this rule in place. Great, another person, no, I want to go this much. No, I want to go this much. No, I want to go.
They have not said the word poverty the entire time. This is totally unrelated to the thing.
It eventually gets to the point that it chokes the innovator, and that's also not good.
I would disagree. I think regulation is the reason why there's no lead in our gas. You were talking about incentives. The only incentive that really matters to a good capitalist is profit. It is profitable to put lead in the gas. It doesn't matter if it lowers the IQs of kids living nearby.
They didn't even we didn't even know that. Did we know that lead in gas was like harmful when we were doing it? I don't think we knew, right?
Someone's convinced you.
I could be wrong.
Unfortunately, someone's convinced you at a young age that these capitalists are bad people, that they're terrible human beings.
Wow. Like, what an incredible argument. Thanks, Patrick Wade, David. Like, you're not going to cite any data. You're not going to cite any, like, empirical evidence or, you know, like, any model or anything at all. You're just going to say, well, it's unfortunate that someone convinced you at a young age of these of these things. Like, okay, dog.
Why are they fighting against taking lead out of their gas?
Think about it this way. You know, the main thing, I don't know if you know Michael Burry. You ever seen the movie Big Short? You know, at the end of the movie where it says Michael Burry now is focused on water because he thinks water is the future gold or whatever he calls it, right? Okay. Go to the company that's Coca-Cola, that sells Coke. And how much criticism have you had over the years with Coke, right?
I think Nestle's had a lot of criticism because they don't think water is a human right for the...
That's a different conversation. If I may finish the point, one thing with Coca-Cola is the following. Do you know even Coke got to a point that they realized in order for Coca-Cola to be around 50 years from now, 100 years from now, they went and invested billions of dollars to fix the water issue around the world. They're trying to get cleaner water. Capitalists eventually get forced to take care of the person because...
Over-exploitation sounds like to me.
Surrounded is now a podcast. Available...
What?
It would return to... My next claim is if all the money in the world were divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. What's your name?
Caleb.
Caleb.
Yeah, so you just said that you are proposing if we divided all the wealth equally in like 5 years. How would you propose we divide the wealth in that way? In this thought experiment, again, if we're going to give it a serious look, I want to understand, how would you propose that happen?
I hope you realize this is just a question we're asking everybody, right? But if you take all the wealth, which is around $500 trillion, okay, give or take, you divide it by 8 billion people, it would be around $62,500 each. Within 5 years, the people that don't know how to handle money themselves, they would lose it all. And within 5 years, the same wealthy would get the same amount of money.
I bet, like, obviously, I don't know why we're doing this to ourselves. I think there is a general point here you can make about certainly incentives and stuff, at least, and like, you know, certainly like for example, like it would be the case that like a lot of that wealth would flow back to Jeff Bezos because everyone likes using fucking Amazon, right? Like that's, you know, that's just a broad-based benefit of people that everyone is going to like using and that's a good incentive to have. But like, why are we? It's such a stupid way to argue.
As someone who certainly doesn't make that much money, I'm willing to take that as a gamble just for fun.
Right,
I'll be honest, but at the same time, like, okay, so you're just now claiming that people who don't have wealth don't know how to manage it, and that's fair because a lot of them have never had it before. So what do we do to basically ensure that people like myself, who are currently, thank you to the United States, thank you to the state of California for giving me medical insurance to get blood work.
But infinite redistribution would work if we were all just educated enough.
So I can have food. I've applied to I don't know how many hundreds of jobs. I can show you the receipts. I can show you the email confirmations. Like, I am trying my best to use my values with the freedom that we have.
So if I give you a job, you would work 40 hours a week?
If the job is in alignment with something that's noble and good, I think I could. The issue is, and again, you may say that this is a personal weakness, but like right now, substitute teaching, tutoring, trying to help in that way is making it so that I'm able to scratch by.
Yeah.
But without the supplemental income and the help from the society of people who make more money, I'm going to not have enough food.
I want to address something which you made a point that I agree.
This is real quick. This is stuff from Penn Palace book about child labor. I think he cites two different studies here. In the United States, Massachusetts passed the first restriction on child labor laws in 1842. However, that law and other states' laws affected child labor nationally very little. By one estimate, more than 25% of males between the ages of 10 and 15 participated in the labor force in 1900. Another study of both boys and girls in that age group estimated that more than 18% of them were employed in 1900. Carolyn Moling also found little evidence that minimum wage laws for manufacturing implemented between 1880 and 1910 contributed to the decline in child labor. Claudia Golden and Larry Katz examined the period between 1910 and 1939 and found that child labor laws and compulsory school attendance laws could explain at most 5% of the increase in school enrollment. The United States did not enact a national labor law limiting child labor until the Fair Labor Standards Act was passed in 1938. By that time, the U.S. average per capita income was more than $10,000, a level far above that of most sweatshop countries analyzed here. I'm gonna caveat this a little bit, I think that some of these things in per capita income are probably a little bit misleading, but there does seem to be evidence that just like generally once a country reaches like above like $8,000 or something in per capita income, like child labor like virtually disappears regardless of what laws they have.
Agree with on why don't some people create wealth? In my family, when I was growing up, and I was telling this young lady over here, when my dad was a cashier at a 99-cent store, we've never owned an insurance policy before. My parents, we've never owned a house before. I've never lived in an apartment with a swimming pool before. We've never had a 401k stock mutual fund, none of that stuff. I had no clue how money worked. So for me, when I got out of the Army with a 1.8 GPA, out of high school, I went straight to the Army because I didn't know how money works. If you look at our system today, in high school, we learn about a lot of different things. They don't teach us about taxes, finances, mutual funds, stocks, bonds. Colleges don't even teach a lot of that right now. So
you
come
work
out.
in high school?
Did I?
They do sometimes. Problem is that eventually run out of people's money. This is true.
Essentially on those front lines working.
I've worked with many high school teachers and the directors of psychology to talk to the youth. Yes,
so right now, I'm in a position where I have options, like you said. I do have some options, but they seem to be somewhat destructive and exploitative of me, of my peers. So I'm trying to
I think you're too selective for jobs right now. You don't have the ability to be selective at this stage.
Well, but the thing is, I do because I'm instilled with a freedom that is maybe God universe given, and I don't actually have to because of the system. Like you said, I don't have to.
You know who's the most selective for jobs? Me, okay? Exclamation point TTS in the chat, all right? So we can start making some money from this gig, okay? Donate to me and we can make the non-fawn channel happen, all right? Or I won't need it if Chorus steps up, okay? It gives me my 8K a month stipend.
To play along with some corrupt game. So I gave up
I think California is perfect for someone like you.
Well, thankfully, California agrees. But you mentioned earlier in a previous discussion that we have free speech, we can say what we want.
Right.
But the thing is, have you been punched on the train for how you look and how you share your ideas?
Do I look like an American too? Do you see this nose?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm Middle Eastern. You know what's happened to this guy? You know what's happened to me when I was discriminated all over the place?
What? I have no commentary. I have nothing to add.
But I don't mind it. I don't mind it because I understand there is a risk that you may be disrespected. They're like here. I've been disrespected here many times. I've been offended here many times. A lot of you are coming here finding a way to attack me, tell different stories. I'm okay with that.
I don't want to attack you.
You're being very respectful.
Oh, what's up?
Non-fun. Do I look like a Gentile? Do I look like a Goy? Look at this nose. Look at this nose. You have no clue what this nose is. What is this? What are we doing?
I know. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I hate it. Wait, real quick. Do you have any? Oh, God damn it, he's gone. Can you believe this guy? Unbelievable. Let's see if he comes back. Unbelievable. Oh, there he is. Do you have anything, you might have heard me say this, do you have anything on like the whether unions or just economic growth responsible for the decline in working hours?
For the decline in working hours? I think, I don't remember if Richard Hanani had talked about it. or not, but no, I don't have anything on that. But I mean, it's pretty obvious why there was a decline in working hours. You make more per hour, so you need to work less. That's it. And unions are not responsible for the wage gain. That's pretty evident. I mean, how would someone say that unions are responsible for the decline in work hours if we?
Well, he was just citing like, oh, the reason we have all these good things like 40-hour work weeks and child labor laws is because of unions or whatever.
Yeah. But they're saying so we work less than previous generations, but we have right now less unions than we did in the 70s. So.
Well, but he would just say the unions were the things that led to the laws or whatever.
But we have less unions.
Yeah, but we still have the laws.
So the laws from before are what laws?
The laws that unions lobbied for are what reduced working hours.
Okay, but did the laws change? So no, I mean I don't think I understand the question, or the argument. But well, if you look at a graph of
he said the reason that we have child labor laws and the reason that we have laws that restrict working hours is because unions.
Yeah.
Child labor and laws that reduce working hours.
Plausibly, unions are why we have child labor laws, but that's not why we have no child labor. Child labor was virtually gone before unions, you know this, or before the laws. And similarly, working hours are decreased, even though we didn't. What big working time reducing legislation did we pass since the 90s? But we have less working hours. It's
no. Basically, yeah, I said that right. Yeah, I mean, I showed the Fred chart. I was like, I don't think we've passed anything since the Fair Labor Relations Act or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, at the risk of this is very dog shit causal inference, but it's better than anything these guys were doing. Again, since the 70s, unions dramatically down, and working hours also down. It just doesn't seem to be that impactful. Again. Course, caution, very not good causal inference. You need to look at a counterfactual, whatever, all that. But fight fire with fire. If they're not going to cite anything high quality, I'm going to cite something that is not high quality but still better than them. That's my strategy. Okay, and if you apply that strat, if both players are playing that strategy, they're both going to cite the optimal evidence, right? Game theory, right? Either way, whatever. I'm sure you could find something about.
Yeah.
Maybe Cato has some stuff about that. Yeah.
Yeah, what Richard Donatia has on it. I mean, you can see. Oh my God.
Also, very very quickly, if you talk about working hours with people in capitalism, inevitably you're going to get peasants used to work 150 days a year. Do you know how to debunk that?
I don't know. I don't have anything on hand to debunk that. I know that's like a meme slop thing, but I don't.
That's why we need to do it. That's why we need to do a stream where we prep for debunking every socialist argument. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we should do that. That'd be fun. I have my notes. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about you, but what I'm saying to you is, when you say, have you ever been punched in the face on a bus? You don't want to hear about what things has happened to me because of the way I look.
Because I feel like
I don't want to use
you've
that.
been through a lot of trauma in your life, and now you're kind of clinging to things.
I'm not. What I don't want to do that. I have my son is sitting right here, my 13-year-old son, I have 4 kids. I bring them everywhere. I want them to see that it's okay. People are going to disagree with you. You have to be comfortable with this.
All the time.
You are with 13-year-olds all the time?
Because of my job. Because I'm a substitute teacher and a tutor. The thing.
Yes,
all the time.
You are with 13-year-olds all the time?
Because of my job. Because I'm a substitute teacher and a tutor.
Oh man,
you can imply many.
That could be true, Charsky. I haven't read a lot of Cato stuff on union. I haven't read a lot about unions in general, to be fair.
And that is your right. But what I'm saying is, right now, I care deeply about having a good experience. The incentive that I feel is for peace and prosperity.
I respect it.
And again, I'm using my freedom now. But the issue is, you're saying we have all these options. But whenever I tour the globe, I see franchises that have monopolized pretty much everywhere. So when you talk about options, it's really there's these select few people who have this infrastructure that's really benefiting them more than others. And without some sort of conscious, spiritual, moral awakening, what can we do except for beg and appeal and amass?
Well, no, you can't be too selective. At the beginning, when I worked at Haagen-Dazs, I couldn't be too selective for a job.
I can't whenever I can.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, nice.
Appreciate you for being respectful.
I'm glad y'all.
I've seen this. I've seen some of this clip. He gets offered a job just like the other dude. Kill me.
How's it going? James.
James.
So one of the things that you have stated is that we have options. Okay. So just to give you a little bit of my background, I come from a divorced family, and we lived below the poverty level from the time that I was born until now, frankly. So I'm one of those people that you're talking about that isn't pulling themselves up by their bootstraps enough. Which, I didn't have boots to begin with, and I don't know if you've ever had boots, but legs are load-bearing structures.
I relate.
And you can't really pull up a boot when you're wearing it, So where exactly am I failing when I am working 80 hours a week? I am taking the only jobs that will hire me. I have put in...
Oh my God. Stupid format.
477 applications over the last 2.5 years. Not even gotten a call back once.
Why do you think?
You tell me. You're a job creator.
But I don't know your resume. You know your life better than I do. Why do you think you have not gotten a call back on 477?
Because I do not have a degree.
Okay.
Because I do not have a degree because I could not afford one.
Okay.
I live in an area where the physical job market is very limiting.
Where do you live?
I live in rural Texas.
Okay.
So in that, like in the town that I grew up in, for instance, there are 8 jobs. Period.
Does your family live there, mom, dad, everybody's in that same city?
Everybody was at one point.
Okay.
Most of them are dead now.
Okay, sorry to hear.
It is what it is. It's poverty. You know, we're kind of used to that on this side.
Why do you
wow.
feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like you're a victim? Why do you feel like the way you speak, like, you know, you're the victim where all this happened to you?
Because I exist and things happen to you, and as such, things happen, and that's why I say that they happen to me.
You're a good-looking guy. Why do you think you're a victim?
Me for real, things
happen. Got into
happen.
this situation because it's not fair what happened to me. Let me give you a couple options.
Sure.
Are you open to leaving the city you're in?
I've already left it.
So what city?
I've left multiple cities.
So if somebody else gave you a job in a different place, you'd be willing to move there.
100%.
Okay.
Isn't it nice, by the way, that you probably have an incentive to move, based on where the best paying jobs are.
Hey, on your resume.
Like
on your resume.
Isn't that just like a cool feature that we can have, allocate labor that way?
What do you have on your resume? Skill set. What do you offer?
Not that you could. There are obviously models of socialism where you wouldn't entirely lose that.
Transportation expertise, logistics expertise.
You consider
real proletarian anger on display.
That's a hard worker.
Sure.
How about we do this? How about I interview and I give you a job? Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Ooh, that's Florida. Sure, why not?
Would you move to Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, why not?
How about you and I document this? After this, you come, I do an interview with you, and I give you a job. And let's see what.
By the way, none of these. I totally forgot. They're not even talking about incentives anymore. They're supposed to be talking about if all the money in the world were divided equally, or returned to the same people within 5 years. They're not even talking about this shit anymore. Okay.
90 days later.
Okay, I'll look up your company and all that kind of stuff, and I'll see it. But
like,
regardless,
Mike, watch what you just did.
Sure.
You just said you applied to 470.
I know people who had no money, who got scholarships, so took out loans and worked in college. Yeah, but I mean, you can. Maybe want to go into debt or whatever, but like it's not that hard to go to college in the U.S. even if you're broke, because we do have subsidies for that shit. But they did fine. Not being able to afford a degree is a meme.
7 companies who's not gone back to you.
Yeah.
A business owner who's hiring aggressively just made an offer to you. You said you're willing to move. Then you said, I'll look at it. You became selective.
I didn't say I'll look at it. If you'd let me finish my sentence.
Go ahead. I want to hear it.
I would like to look into your company to see exactly what you guys do.
You would like to?
Because I don't know what you guys do.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, I may be wasting my time going. If you guys are a finance company, if you guys are a bank or something like that, I don't have the certifications, I don't have the degrees. So even interviewing me would be a moot
if I
point.
gave you a job, period, to work 80 hours a week, would you take it? And I paid you a reasonable wage.
Are we talking a livable wage or a reasonable wage? And whose version of reasonable are we talking about? Your version of reasonable or my version of
reasonable? But you see, so now for me, what I'm noticing from you is
I need specifics?
No, not necessarily. No, most of the people I hire need specifics. The difference is I'm trying to hire them. In this instance, you're trying to get a job and you're being selective. It's going to work against you.
I'm not trying to get a job. Originally, I was trying to ask you where the moral failing.
My offer's off the table because you're going to be difficult to work with.
Okay, sure. But my question was, where is my moral failing? Like, where is it that you are saying that I am not working hard enough and I am not doing enough?
I just experienced it right now because the way you just handled the situation.
Got it. So I should accept anything that somebody gives me at first blush if it is a guaranteed thing.
No, not necessarily.
I agreed to do your interview. I agreed to be interviewed by you, and you agreed to consider me for hiring.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm taking that opportunity. I've chosen to. But because I am asking you for specifics, your immediate reaction is that, oh, well, you're trying to be picky. When I'm not. I'm asking
specifics. You could have simply
I said I need to look up your company. That's all I said.
You could have said is I'm willing to have the interview.
And I did.
You would have the interview.
And I did.
No, you said it depends.
I said, yeah, sure.
Let me look.
Yeah, sure. I would look into your company. That's all I said.
I appreciate you. Thank you, James.
Hi,
What's your
I'm
name?
Faye.
Faye?
Yeah.
I've seen this clip. Dude, she also just gets offered a job. Oh, you banged my table too hard, guys. I'm gone. Not being able to go to school because you're broke is obviously real. I think I could be wrong in this. I'm fairly certain if you are like dead as broke in America, there might be like some cases where obviously there are other expenses you have to pay for. So like if you options are, between going to school and working, you're going to have to choose working. You're not going to be able to take a, sacrifice of income now or whatever. Maybe you have kids or something. Yeah. But my understanding in America, if you are like dead as broke, okay, like you can get almost free college. Like if you go to like an in-state college and get financial aid, like you're probably fine.
Yeah, nice to meet you. So how would you define socialism? Because I think you're kind of misunderstanding what anti-capitalist ideals look like. I think we are just trying to advocate for basic rights for our people in this country and across the world, of course. But I don't think it's necessarily about equal wealth disparity around the world for most people that are anti-capitalist. I think it's more about...
I'm spelling your name right.
So how would you define socialism? Because I think you're kind of misunderstanding what anti-capitalist ideals look like. I think we are just trying to advocate for basic rights for our people in this country and across the world, of course. But I don't think it's necessarily about equal wealth disparity around the world for most people that are anti-capitalist. I think it's more about just standard rights that are provided by the government.
Standard rights that are provided by the government?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I don't trust a woman without eyebrows.
When the claim here is,
I mean, it can make it physically possible. That can be true.
The same pockets within 5 years.
At least if
do you
you're
disagree?
single.
Yes.
Tell me why you disagree.
Yes.
If the money in the world were divided equally,
so
it would
I
return
think
to the same pockets within 5 years. Do you disagree?
Guys, they're actually talking about the claim for
Yes.
once.
Tell me why you disagree.
Yeah, so I disagree because I don't even think many people are trying to argue for that.
People are not trying to argue for that?
So, like, who are you arguing in this
Yeah,
debate?
what I'm trying
There's
to say...
like a very select amount of people that are trying to argue for equal wealth disparity.
Yeah.
Most people are at least trying to advocate
I'm gonna game in
for wealth
myself.
and at all for people that don't have access to healthcare right now, that don't have access to a good education right now, that don't have access to their basic needs like food.
Do you think our system right now allows people to stay in those situations long term?
They force them to stay in those situations long term.
Okay, so part of me actually agrees with you, but why do you think they force them to stay in those situations long term?
I think because
only because of welfare
trying
cliffs.
to convince the working class that they don't have rights.
I actually don't think that's what it is. Although that's fair to your point here. What's the chances that any of you here voted for Donald Trump in 2024? Exactly, right? What is the chances that all of you here can't stand the phrase MAGA, Donald Trump, any of that stuff? Is that a fair assessment? Fair. Okay.
Yeah. So what's your point?
Think about it this way. So maybe you're right that the Democratic Party that's been earning your vote for a long time wants to keep you there because they'll have your vote for the rest of your life.
They have never.
Are you kidding me? It's not even because of welfare cliffs. It's because the Democratic Party wants to keep you there because they'll to make you vote for them. Oh, dog, what are we on about?
Who did you vote for in 2024?
In 24, I voted for the Socialist candidate.
Who was that?
Claudia de la Cruz, I believe.
Who did you vote for in 2020?
I was actually not able to vote. I was in a hospital.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, because of results of capitalism.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I didn't have access to proper health care or even access to a proper job that would sustain me as a disabled person.
Are you comfortable being specific on what happened?
I guess so. I mean, I'm also mentally ill, so that was something I had to deal with.
This bitch is everything wrong with the left.
Because I am disabled in a capitalist
country. This debate is everything wrong with both sides. But I understand your point, yeah.
Tell me more about mentally ill. Who qualified you as somebody that's mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
Who convinced you that you're mentally ill?
Me and my doctor team.
What's the specific category of mental illness? Is there one? You know
why? Why do you love PPD? I don't. I think he's been doing a pretty bad job.
Let me explain why I asked this
So
question.
I don't even like the psychological industry. I don't really stand for like Sigmund Freudian politics or anything like that. So if you're going to debate the ethics of psychology.
I'm not. Where I'm going with this is going back to the same thing with.
This person isn't that bad. This person is that bad for public appearance.
The money
like in terms of like how well people are gonna like how much she's gonna appeal to conservatives if she like in front of a conservative audience.
Equally,
like
that's the within 5 years. My trouble is, in many cases, somebody you and I look up to will say something to us that we choose to believe for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, it could be something where you have ADHD, you're mentally ill, you're poor, you're this, you're that.
Bro.
You get to choose to buy into that.
The Democrats are trying to convince you that you have ADHD to keep you in the lower class forever, so you keep voting for them.
Not. And if you do...
So you're saying I'm not mentally ill or I'm not disabled?
saying you are or you're not. I would challenge you to go a little bit deeper to see if there's anything you can do about it.
So you're asking me about my health. You're asking me about my disability.
I'm not. I will say we are in a market where, stay with me here, there is a market where there's profit to convince you that you have issues to take the medication because they're making money.
Yeah, but I don't have access to the medication. I don't have access to even a result or a solution to my disability as someone with a connective tissue disorder. It's genetic.
Have you been able to go to different doctors and get yourself tested?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
And in California?
Yes, but not enough.
Provide so much pharmaceutical profit.
I can't find a specialist for who I am. I can't find anyone. Well, they could, or they would if they had money. But
would you be okay if I pay for a specialist for you to go see?
Yeah.
Would you take money from a capitalist to help you go see specialists?
I mean, yeah, sure. Why not?
I'm gonna have you go see two. Do you live in California?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you go see two specialists. But would you also be open to seeing somebody else I choose as a psychologist that may?
No.
You're not.
No. So you choose as a psychologist.
The job shit. It's kind of funny. I think Patrick that David looks like okay there when they're like kind of, refusing the job or whatever. No one should go to Patrick David's psychologist though. No one should. This is totally valid, man.
You're choosing who gets to determine what my mental health looks like. No.
Okay, then I wish you nothing but the best.
Yeah. So I think. All right. Thanks for talking.
Thank you so much. Yes, anytime.
How you doing, man?
What's your name?
Seth.
Seth, good to meet you.
How's any of this relevant to capitalism or socialism? The real question. Most of it isn't.
I think your claim kind of doesn't make any sense because it would not inherently be a capitalist society you're describing. Because I'm surprised nobody's really addressed this issue. We haven't even defined what.
Everybody's obviously retarded, but he looks like a genius talking to some of these people. I don't think he looks like a. He's not looked like a genius to me at any point, but he has come off better than some of the other people to me. At least in some of these conversations.
Is a system in which all businesses are funded by millionaires and billionaires, investor classes. If this society everybody has the same amount of money. I don't really know how the money would be generated up and down. I don't know in this theoretical. It sounds more like an anarchist society, which would make more sense.
You know, we're using this as a hypothetical.
Yeah, so
I want to make sure I qualify that we're not.
We haven't even described what capitalism is.
But stay on this point here because you came here. Let me go back to this one. If all the money in the world divided equally, it would return to the same pockets within 5 years. Do you agree or disagree?
Well, I disagree.
Tell me why you
because I
disagree.
believe in a system more akin to that kind of system. I think that a system with people with more wealth and
But do
equality.
you know why the wealth would go back to the same people and the same people
I
at the
know why
bottom
it
would be poor?
wouldn't.
Why do you think it would?
Well, it wouldn't go back to the same thing or places because I don't think that we have an inherent equal starting point in the beginning.
But this is a starting point. What I'm saying to you is if we
right now did a case
study,
go to the same places because we've never even tested some sort of free market. We've never seen any sort of system akin to that, a genuine free market, not one that's distorted by capitalists, by business owners. Capitalists generally.
I got nothing to say.
Protect their own class. That's why people rise to the top. Yes,
I don't know about that. I actually think it's a very competitive place to be.
No, there's not at all. People start at the very bottom. They have no shot to even.
Do you know why I make the claim of if all the money in the world were divided equally, would return to the same pockets within 5 years?
I'm assuming that you think that because people work harder or something like that. But I would argue the people that work the hardest are the people that make the least amount of money. The people that work the least, live on their yachts, are the ones that are owning all these companies. Never been inside the businesses that they own.
I don't know if I agree with that. I was just in Arkansas 3 days ago.
The richest
I
people.
was just in Arkansas a week ago, and I went to a city called Hot Springs, Arkansas. It was two friends from high school started a Windows company, 250 employees.
Yeah.
The city loves them. They work their tails off.
I'm not really referring to small businesses.
But I'm talking about, but many big businesses started small. Walmart wasn't big day one. Walmart was small when it first got started.
Why are they still a monopoly? Because they exist.
They're not a monopoly.
They own
oligopoly, whatever. They own a large market share because of their ability to use their money to.
Do you know how many jobs they've created around the world? Walmart has.
I'm not even referring
to
3
million jobs worldwide.
The point being is capitalists distort the market so it's unfree. How could it be a free market?
Okay,
if everybody in the market inherently wants to make it unfree because they want to rise to the top.
I'm watching
if
you.
Everybody has the incentive to maintain a free market, then that's something that.
So let me go back. The reason why I said if all the money in the world were divided
me when oligopoly tendency has free marketers ever considered tendency towards monopoly, guys?
It would return to
there is no class mobility in America. This is real.
Pockets within 5 years. To me,
I have no strong position on upward mobility.
It's because of market value, what value you bring to the place, your contacts, your relationship, how hard you're working, all of those combines. Habits that you have in place, habits that you have in place, and also habits at the bottom. The habits at the bottom are not long-term thinking, it's short-term. When I didn't have any money and I was broke $49,000, if I had $500 to my name, we're driving on the freeway to go to Vegas to party for the weekend and come back. If I had a penny to my name, I'm having a blast. Until 25 years old, I changed my habits financially. Then things changed. But this point here that we're talking about with the wealth.
Some people are so far off from that point. They're so far in debt that small decisions would not alter.
It's not true.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not true.
You're just privileged and you lived in a certain.
You think I'm privileged?
Well,
I'm privileged.
My dad worked. That's amazing.
My mom ran out of money and went back to Iran. You're talking to a guy that would have done 20 years in the army. If one guy doesn't call me, if one guy would call me,
the army is the government funding you.
I understand that, and I joined the army because I had given up on life.
Social programs.
No,
absolutely.
I was not confident on what I could do.
I'm fairly certain, like I said, Patrick Bet-David's dad owned a big lotion company.
But I changed. So can you. Look at the way you're speaking to me.
You can change. You can work hard, but
do you know somebody like you? Do you know somebody like you that speaks this eloquently? If somebody gets a hold of you in real estate, insurance, finance, you can learn how to sell, and you can make some real good money. Somebody like you that
everybody's born with those abilities. You have to be somebody who's white, tall, 6'4", whatever.
I'm Middle Eastern. I'm from Iran. Do you realize a lot of stuff that goes against me?
Okay, but many people have no choice.
But that's an excuse language to be making. That's not a language.
If you never have the opportunity to compete because you're pre-designed.
I appreciate you being respectful. Truly, you need to know that. And I'll be respectful to everybody. But I appreciate you for being respectful. Right now, everybody that's here, me changing your mind, it's not a very high likelihood. Okay, the audience that's watching. 40% of them are going to agree with what you say, and they hate me. 40% of the audience is going to agree with me. 20% of the audience is in the middle saying, I don't know, man, what do you think I should do? Should I feel like a victim or should I not make excuses? Or what is that guy saying? Or should I do this? Or should I sympathize? The 20% that's watching.
Of how 80% of this debate is not talking about capitalism versus socialism and just talking about people's mindsets.
That has a fighting chance. I'm hoping they realize they can do something about their lives. We're not going to be able to solve 100% of people's problems, unfortunately.
I don't think people should keel over, but that doesn't mean most people have an equal competitive advantage to some.
I think everybody has a certain gift to offer.
Somebody like me is more privileged
inherently. I think everybody, listening to her present, she could be a lawyer. Listening to her present, she's got fire in her belly. Everybody here has got a gift. Every single person here has got a gift. Whether they choose to use it in a way to help them advance in life, that's not my fault.
Not everybody can afford to increase their market value.
You can.
No,
You actually
not
can.
everybody.
Well, we respectfully disagree.
I appreciate you.
Thank you again. Appreciate you.
Surrounded is currently casting passionate 55 and older Trump supporters who are ready to have a thoughtful conversation about politics, generational differences, and the current administration. If this is you, apply using the link in the description. Feel free to spread the word to your family members, relatives, or friends who might be interested.
My final claim is the U.S. is more socialist than capitalist today. If you hate the system, you're anti-socialist.
Hello.
You're back at it again.
Yep. Yeah, so I think it's super important here for all leftists alike, but for the audience in general to define what these terms are. I think the best way to do it would be to look at the theorists, right? Over history, we've seen communism and socialism talked about by governments and by, I guess, programs, but we never actually read the actual theory. And what theorists all agree on is that socialism would be a transitionary state between capitalism and communism, where the means of production are specifically owned by workers, not privately. The idea that any country now is anywhere near socialist, let alone communist, would simply be ridiculous and just it wouldn't reflect theory whatsoever.
What is the definition of communism to you?
Stateless, moneyless class of society.
And you prefer that?
Yeah, So I think that we should be moving towards,
communism.
Yeah, stateless, moneyless, classless society.
So you don't think a person like me should exist with the amount of wealth that I have?
Yeah, because I think that we're getting to this point where we're creating fake scarcity for people like you to accumulate the wealth that you have.
Wait, the idea that any country is close? Has she even ever heard of Norway?
Yeah, I know. Has she heard that Norway is? But I think if you use the definition, like socialism is just a transitory state, and like communism is a classless, moneyless, stateless society. Norway doesn't really approximate that. But
well, it approximates collectivization of the means of production.
That I agree with, but
It's a democracy. Well, it's actually not a democracy because it oppresses the global south. That's right. That's what it does. That's so true.
That's true.
They don't send more aid than other countries to the global south. They actually exploit them more because they have timber and stuff. That's right. No, but yeah. Apparently, by the way, at least in 2016, Norway owned like 35% of all stock volumes. So, yeah, that's interesting. Not socialism. Still, by carnivore definition, not socialism. That's so awesome. Norway is the worst Nordic country. I said it. Norway is the worst.
Wow.
The best. It's probably. I'm a quarter Danish. I'm biased. It's probably Denmark. Maybe Sweden. I have friends in Sweden. I don't know. But yeah, that's right. Either way.
On the basis of private ownership.
Okay, so you're not not capitalist. You're definitely not capitalist. You're not socialist. You want to go full communism.
So what do you think that looks like, though, is the thing, right? So what Marx actually wanted was for us to...
Doesn't matter because it's all oil money. This is true.
We no longer have the scarcity of resources that is kind of predicted in history as it looks like now. It wouldn't happen now. It would happen as we automate. At this point in time, we can decommodify housing and food and education for around 5% of the government budget. That's one...
What? All of them?
We can decommodify housing and food and education for around 5% of the government.
Also, education is already maybe college, I guess she means. Like, we already have public education for, kindergarten through 12th grade. And we have public colleges that are relatively cheap to go to, but all right. It's not realistic. For instance, consumers and entities spent $2.6 trillion on food alone in 2024. The government spent a total of $6 trillion. She complained about that on her TikTok or whatever, but it didn't really make any sense. And also, is she saying for around 5% we could also decommodify housing and education? That's crazy.
Budget. That's 1/5, a little bit over 1/5 of what we spend on military already. We don't, because we were living in the state where it almost seems utopian that things like food and shelter.
How old were you the first time you thought you wanted to be a communist? How old were you?
Is that a response to any of the statistics?
No, because the statistics are against you. It's never worked. There's so many Cubans that moved to Miami. They love their country. They hate the politics.
Wow.
In Russia, they
considered like Cubans in Miami.
Because it didn't work. It killed so many people.
Almost like it wasn't communist.
It's almost
was there a state? Yes, there was. Was there class? Yes, there was. It's almost like you're not replying to any of the statistics that I've presented to you. I think that's the biggest problem.
You're a dictator telling
Dictators would not be allowed under communism.
Dictators end up, of course, running communism.
They weren't.
If somebody's taxing 100%, what is a dictatorship?
So again, how much money do you think?
What? How is this the level of conversation? How is this the level of conversation? This is why I say PPD is worse. Someone taxes 100%. What is a dictatorship?
How much money? Taxes. What is communism?
How much money do you think? How much money do you
Communism equals 100%
think
taxes.
would take to allow everyone food, shelter, water, and education in this country?
How much money would it take?
Yeah.
But going back to your question here with communism, stay on that point there with communism.
Nothing I say is responded
but
to.
I'm trying to find out from you here. You're saying communism is not dictatorship.
No.
Define dictatorship.
Yeah. So when one person or one small entity is able to enforce its will on the people, when we have a private ownership, when we have a system based on private ownership, that's what happens.
That's dictatorship.
Yeah. So
dictatorship is private ownership.
Yeah. So private ownership.
Under communism, under communism, doesn't Elon Musk exist?
Yeah. No.
No. So that's dictatorship. Thank you.
That's completely incorrect. Under capitalism, we don't have the freedom for people to.
You do.
Okay, so under capitalism, right? We don't see that the commodification.
Would you consider China communism right now? Would you consider China communism right now?
Shelter or water or education when we can with 5% of the budget. Why don't we see that?
Would you consider China communism?
Why haven't you answered any of my questions?
Would you consider?
I don't even know. Again, like we already do essentially ensure education and food to everyone.
Would you consider China communism?
It's almost like we're not having a conversation.
We are having a conversation where you have an argument that's been proven that it's not worked.
It's almost like I just gave you a definition of communism for you to critique, and you haven't been able to.
If it's such a great system, why are other nations not?
It hasn't happened yet because we've never been at a point for it to happen.
Because we've not found a noble person that can do it the right way. That's not a dictator.
If you were to read the plain text of Marx, we would see that he wanted us to reach.
I've read Communist Manifesto.
I promise you, if you have, you wouldn't have said that capitalism today is socialist.
Have you read Wealth of Nations?
Yeah, so I've read Das Kapital. I've read Communist Manifesto as well. Engels Collective.
We read Wealth of Nations. Really, this is the level of.
Etc. What do you think? If you think that communism is in any way us having wages privatized means production, you don't know what it is.
You choose my dreams, and I refuse to do that.
Who are you arguing with?
Dictate my
Where did you get that from?
Bro,
What's up?
Next time Econoboy is like sample text. Have you read The Public Wealth of Cities? I'm gonna be like, well, I have read Odenbach's, demystifying the destination-based capital tax. I have read. Bro, what is this? This is slop, guys. What are we doing? This is like the worst Jubilee video by far. So now that I
It's
promise
the best I can come up with easy money. I don't really know
the highest IQ?
how to do
Holy
something
shit.
better.
Charsky's typing in chat. Holy shit, what the fuck? Yeah.
Real. You really think she read all of Das Kapital? No shot. But
no, she obviously hasn't. I mean, yeah, she thought Marx defined. When I called into her stream, she said Marx defined communism as stateless, mindless, classless. The argument that I'll let you know right now, Marx. Well, that's early Marx, but in the German
wait, real quick,
says,
explain this to my chat while I go get a drink.
There you go for it. You'll still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Marx in the German ideology, which is pretty early communism, or early Marx, my bad. He says explicitly capitalism is not, communism is not a system. It's not a state of affairs to which reality would have to perform. It's the real movement that abolishes the present state of things, right? That it probably just means the class relations that exist and in the current form of property rights or private property. So there's that. And then the Communist Manifesto, which is also earlier Marx, they say the theory of communism may be summed up in one sentence: the abolition of private property. Okay, so clearly they don't just say stateless, mindless, classless. The only inference people give to get stateless, mindless, classless is them saying that ultimately communism will lead to the withering away of the state, which is also not clear exactly what each side means. But the withering away of the state, and like Marx,
I think Marx is pretty clear, at least about the sort of classless and moneyless. He's pretty vague about what he means by.
It's on definition. He's saying that would be the result.
Sure, yeah. These are characteristics of the mode of production, not the sort of definition now.
Yeah. It's like me saying that capitalism would lead to more innovation, and actually ultimately we see people getting richer. Capitalism is when people are rich and we have innovation. No, probably not. Yeah. so that's why I don't like. And when they challenged her on this, she was like, "Oh well, I'm a sociology student. I study sociology. What did you study? Data science? Oh, but it's so boring, slop." But yeah.
Well, like Marx doesn't distinguish between. Marx uses the term socialism and communism interchangeably. He uses socialism as like a sort of epithet sometimes to attack.
It's mainly Lenin and afterwards that like really made like
the stagist conception.
Yeah. Socialism is earlier stage communism. Like, that's why it's boring.
Marx does have the lower and higher phase distinction that he had in a bunch of texts. I mean, the one he's most clear about it is in Critique of the Goethe Program. But why would you pretend to have read books you haven't read? I don't get it, man.
I mean, she also is like, this is a consensus among psychology that only fucking intrinsic motivation matters.
That's right. The reason why I worked at a grocery store.
It's just I was born. I was like, Mom, I want to be a grocery store.
I've got to put food in bags, man.
That's so true. No, yeah. I don't know. I think.
I assume if she's out there, she'd probably revise it to like something where like that's like the most effective way to motivate people or something. But which I think we should move to near the end of the conversation. But
I suspect that. So she said now she's not going to do any conversations about this topic in a platform that she doesn't have creative control over, because she gets cut off a lot by David. So I don't know how one conversation with someone can make you infer that no one can talk to you about this topic normally. Sure, she did a live stream and I called in and I was like, look, do you want me to cite you the evidence or whatever? Or like I'm citing Marx directly. Do you want me to show you where Marx says something that directly contradicts what you're saying? She's like, actually, we don't, like whatever. And then I think she either kicked me or she said, we got to move on. So whatever.
That's a good one. Soft drama.
Right to claim, but to cry about it.
Sure. Well, I mean, I do think that she's entirely right to complain that Patrick Bet-David just didn't respond to anything she said and just instead started talking about his personal life.
I struggle to think of someone less impressive relative to how impressive they try to present themselves as PBD.
As PBD. Yeah, no, the mural is my favorite thing in the world, dude, because it's just it encapsulates his brain so well that's how he sees himself. It's so beautiful. He's hanging out with Tupac, Einstein, Milton Friedman.
That shit. Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, it's also It's also like, I don't know. Every time someone is like, "Oh, have you read self-help books, bro? Kill yourself."
I know.
We need to give proletarians access to the 48 laws of power. That's what we need.
You know what? He's gonna be like, "Have you read any self-help books?" And I'm gonna be like, "Have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad?" Ooh.
It's called reading theory, Chud.
Have you read 20? What is it called? Like 23 something things we don't tell about capitalism, or is it 7?
Oh yeah, 23 things they don't tell you about capitalism. I think is yeah.
That's so right. That's so right. I haven't read it, but probably a solid 70% of it is false. But this is just my priors, okay. But yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I think you'd have to be crazy to think that Patrick Bet-David isn't like worse than at least like, I don't know, like 2/3 of these people in terms of the way that he engages.
2/3, I don't know, but I think it was better
never
than
engages with what's said.
Yeah, well, like look. When did you work your first job?
True.
Bro, this is so dumb. I agree. He's like very. I don't know if it's boomer brained or if he's just like actually.
I think it's a distinct boomer brain rot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I gotta get back to it. But there is a suggestion for you, Sample Text. Okay, Sample, you gotta conduct a study. Okay, you gotta conduct an experiment. Okay, does the overconsumption of education lead to more retarded socialists? All right, this is the question we need answered. This
is true. This is true. Our results suggest that there are heterogeneous returns to socialists. It's only in sociology where this happens, but that's right.
Look at all the like hard science socialists I know are actually super sick. Like I know like 3 physics majors who are like,
what's his name? Leophilus. What's his name? Oh my god.
What?
Leophilus. Oh my god, this guy who makes physics content. He's also market stuff. He debated Destiny and IRL and the modern day debate stuff. Leophilus. Oh my god, you don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
No. I have a surprising number of friends who are like pure math majors who really, really hate the value form.
Oh my god, I'm gonna find him. Oh my god, bro.
No, you can find the dude and link him to me. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I mean, he's just he says some wrong stuff, but like he clearly is trying to be well read. He's just like a big fan of co-ops, and he's like, we gotta mandate them. And he debated Destiny, lost.
Sure. I feel bad for hijacking the non-phone stream. I'll hop off, but
I do it all the time. I don't feel bad. But before you do that, what should people read from
Neurath? From Neurath? I like. He's written on like an insane variety of things, so it depends on what you're interested in him for. For like planning stuff, I think the final section of his collected works that you will put out on the system of socialization is really good. I like. There's a really good paper by John O'Neill that goes over him and his preparation for his debate with Hayek that unfortunately never happened because he died before it could happen. They were planning to have like an in-person debate. It would have been so chill if it had happened, but that's pretty good. I think cool. In general, just pick whatever title sounds interesting.
Hayek died or Neurath died? Who died first? Neurath.
Neurath.
Okay.
Oh, my girlfriend is home with food. I gotta go. I love you all.
Okay, well, whatever.
Nerd.
Whatever. That's so sad. Yeah. Look up what an isotype is. Chud. That's right. Either way. Yeah. I don't like PBD.
Brave.
What do you mean?
Well, haven't I? That was interesting.
Let's go. Justin, nice
Justin,
to meet you.
good to meet you.
How you doing, Patrick?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. So I need to pick your brain a little bit. You're saying U.S. is largely socialist. I want to focus on the word largely.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you believe it is largely socialist?
Because 68% or so of the money that we take in goes towards entitlement programs.
So I think one of the things that is going to be major to me, it's like Zena was touching on earlier.
Why is what type of fucking definition of socialism is just what percent of government spending is entitlement programs? By that logic, you can have government spending be like 5% of GDP, but so long as entitlement programs are 70% of that, like you're still socialist? What the fuck are we talking about? Meanwhile, you could have a country where government spending is like 60% of GDP, but maybe only 50% is entitlement programs. Are they not so like what the what crack are we smoking, brother?
It's going to be the fact that socialism is a big part of it is going to be workers owning the means of production. When we have President Biden, for example, telling that the railroad strikers, it's going to be illegal for them to strike, I don't see that as much of a workplace.
It's not really what he
democracy.
He just like mandated they accept whatever contract, right? But it's also not really that also doesn't really have anything to do with the workers like owning the means of production.
Oh my god, the rail workers deserved it. Oh my fucking god, I hate socialists, bro. I fought with them so much, bro. I love workers so much that I'm not gonna let a small group of workers fuck over all of work.
That's true.
Fuck the rail workers. Based Biden, they deserved worse. Quite frankly, they deserved worse. Okay, yeah, that's what I think.
Listen, any union workers in transportation industries can just get fucked, okay? Because transportation is like an input for everything. So
just saying the fact that you don't agree with President Biden and what he said.
I'm just saying a core tenet of socialism is the workers owning the means of production. The workers currently do not own the means of production. So why do you believe it is largely socialist?
So you're saying the workers should own the means of production?
That is correct.
Okay, so to you, that's the definition of socialism.
That is a core tenet of it.
What else would you define as socialism? I'm curious.
There's a lot of different things, like Zeno was touching on as well. Moneyless, stateless class of society, but I think more important than not, workers owning the means of production and workplace democracy.
Are you more socialist?
They're the same term, man. Marx use them interchangeably.
The only difference I would put is because what I see in America, I think we are extremely getting close to being a socialistic nation with the amount of taxes that we have in place right now.
That's great.
But at least under communism, I can't survive. I would prefer us staying at the 10% tax rate. I think
he's not. No, Patrick McDavid isn't even engaging with his own fucking prompt. He's just saying, "I don't like taxes."
Paying way too much taxes.
And I would not be able to survive.
I wouldn't be able to pursue my dreams that I have in place under communism. My mother's family, they were part of the Two-Day Party. The Two-Day Party in Iran was a communist party. They had escaped Armenia and Russia and came down to Iran, and they pursued communism. I grew up in a family where everything was about the rich are greedy, the rich people are bad, the rich people are this, and the rich people are that. My dad's side, they were imperialist. My dad's side, they said poor people are lazy. So one side, rich people are greedy. The other side, poor people are lazy. Who's right?
I would say that neither are right, of course.
I would say both are right and wrong.
Okay, just like my goat now, actually.
And wrong. Both are right and wrong. Because I do believe there are extremely greedy rich people. And I do believe there are extremely lazy.
Why it seems so it's so entirely stupid to me to debate like any of this stuff.
But I also believe there's a lot of hardworking poor
like
people.
Like who gives a fuck if rich people are greedy if it leads to good outcomes? Who gives a fuck if poor people are lazy if either that leads to good outcomes or if the counterfactual of giving them money leads to better outcomes overall, at least in terms of human happiness. Like
found a way to get out of it. I agree with that as well.
So that's actually a major point right there. They're not able to get out of it.
You can get out of it. You could actually get out of it.
But you just said they're not able to.
No, because they're choosing not to. I just made an offer for a book recommendation here, so I'm not interested. If I sit there and somebody's giving you feedback and saying, what about if you think about finding ways for people to
then I'll check it out.
Read the book?
Sure, why not?
I'll give you a handful of them.
We'll talk about this
I'll give it to you after.
Yeah,
the point I'm trying to make to you is, if you can exist under a capitalistic society, and I can exist under a capitalistic society, so can she. But
we can both exist under a socialist society.
Not under communistic, and under socialism, the incentive would be bad. Think about it this way.
Incentive is high under socialism.
Now they're back to incentives.
Take the two states, California and New York. They lost $1 trillion of wealth that left. Do you know where they went to?
Where
they went to? Texas, Nevada, Florida, Tennessee.
We're doing capital flight memes now.
Because it's a better climate for entrepreneurs. Today, if you look at New York.
I support DI and social programs because it's a minority. I would benefit the most giving free shit alpha on base. Do we turn everyone capitalist? No, we have the worst capitalist ever in existence.
That's just how the market works. I understand how it works.
You know who Mamdani is? Are you a fan of Mamdani?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Now we're on Mamdani.
Love Zoran.
Zoran's up there saying he doesn't believe billionaires should exist.
Correct.
I hope he wins. You know why? Because he says, I don't believe billionaires should exist, and he's going to be the mayor of a city that has the most billionaires in America, 123. I hope he wins so we can see what happens to New York when the billionaires leave. When they leave, here's who's going to pay the price. The people that are left behind, who were taking advantage of the taxes that billionaires were paying. You think the government's going to change their budget
when
expenditure?
When there's a $30 minimum wage, I can't imagine that
Middle America is going to take the biggest hit if billionaires leave the state of New York. You'll see.
Dude, Patrick McDavid did not even focus on its own fucking prompt. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna game it myself. All we did was like capital flight memes and communism is when 100% taxes. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, you're back.
Hello,
how are you? Good to see you.
Learn a bit more.
Okay.
Firstly, I want to start by saying that the U.S. is not largely socialist because that's not what socialism is. Socialism is social or collective ownership by the workers or a community of the means of production, right? So we're talking about like city-run grocery stores, or we're talking about worker cooperatives, or even in some cases credit unions, where a local community owns the bank that they take part in, right? That's what socialism is. Socialism is not when the government does stuff for you. It's not when they build roads. That happens under capitalist economies. That happens under socialist economies. But I'm also
he didn't even. By the way, you know what's crazy? He did not even. He said the reason we're socialist is because 60% of our government spending, or 68%, went to entitlement programs. That's not, those are transfer payments. That's not even production. That's not even government production. It's not even the government building roads. It's the government giving old people money. What are we doing? It's like, whatever.
I'm sure you entirely know what capitalism is. And if it's okay, I'd like to ask a couple questions about your job.
Sure.
Because you're offering that. I know that you're valuetainment, right? You run a YouTube podcast. You also run PHP Agency, right?
Yep.
Yes. And you sell life insurance policies, right?
Life insurance and annuities.
Yes. I read an article by the Daily Beast which argued that you make more money from recruitment fees to get people to work for you than you make money from selling those policies. Capitalism is when you provide a service and sell the labor of yourself or the person who works for you in return for money. But you're not really doing that, right? You're selling being part of the company through recruitment fees. I'm not sure that's capitalism.
How familiar are you with the insurance industry?
Oh, it's an MLM, is it?
Pretty familiar.
Are you?
Yes.
You've been in the industry before?
No, my grandfather was.
Okay.
I don't think this is really, it's not really socialism. I think you can like
service and sell the labor of yourself or the person who works for you in return. Economies happens under socialist economies. But I'm stores, or we're talking about worker cooperatives, or even in some cases credit unions, where a local community owns the bank that they take part in, right? That's what socialism is. Socialism is not when the government does stuff for you. It's not when they build roads. That happens under capitalist economies, happens under socialist economies. But I'm also not sure you entirely know what capitalism is. And if it's okay, I'd like to ask a couple questions about your job.
Sure.
Because you're offering that. I know that you're valuetainment, right? You run a YouTube podcast. You also run PHP Agency, right?
Yep.
Yes. And you sell life insurance policies, right?
Life insurance and annuities.
What's up?
Bro, what is this guy's name? What is this guy? He's the best.
Hunter?
By far.
Yeah, no, I think Hunter came up earlier. He was doing well when he came up too. I think he's been.
You should talk to him. That would be great.
I was planning on reaching out to basically everyone except for Xena, probably, but we'll see. I don't know.
No, you should reach out to Xena. That would be a fun debate. I mean, you should just realize you're not going to talk to someone who's in good faith here. You're going to talk to someone who's like thinks you're like a conservative for this probably, and like will be like very TikTok-y about it.
Mm-hmm.
But at least she's not like Dini in the sense that she doesn't go for gotchas. She just like makes slop arguments.
Okay.
She's not gonna be like, you're racist for supporting a history of colonialism. Well, she's not like Athena, and if that makes sense.
Sure. Good.
Yeah, you should. But I think personally, let me voice my opinion. Hunter is here the best by far. You should talk to Anne. They're great, and you should also plausibly maybe try to reach out to like the dumber people there, not including Xena. I'm talking about the people who are like. I think it'd be funny if you talk to the person who's like, "It's spiritual, man," or whatever the fuck he said. I think that'd be funny. Yeah. Either way, I said my piece. But yeah, go finish the video already.
Yes.
Maybe I'm not understanding what his business is exactly.
I read an article by the Daily Beast which argued that you make more money from recruitment fees to get people to work for you than you make money from selling those policies. Capitalism is.
That's not really. Recruitment fees aren't even really ownership. So like MLMs, it's not really like ownership or whatever. Like even if it is an MLM, which maybe I don't want to make, I don't want to make accusations that are unfounded, but that's not really ownership. It's not like it's not really any more ownership than just, for example, like salesmen receiving commission on stuff they sell.
Is when you provide a service and sell the labor of yourself or the person who works for you in return for money. But you're not really doing that,
right? Look so unhappy. He does look unhappy. He knows it's coming from him or whatever. He knows the multi-level marketing. It's about to be exposed.
You're selling being part of the company through recruitment fees. I'm not sure that's capitalism.
How familiar are you with the insurance industry?
Pretty familiar.
Are you?
Yes.
You've been in the industry before?
No, my grandfather was.
Okay, so in the insurance industry, when you're in it,
yes,
you get paid by selling life insurance policies, and you get paid by selling annuities.
Yes.
We built a distribution channel of a company right after I left Morgan Stanley and Transamerica. We started the insurance company. We grew it, helping middle-income families who didn't have another opportunity to create wealth for themselves. I just came back from our event in Vegas.
Hold on, I'm not sure that's correct, though.
It is though.
It's not correct though, because what do you make more money
I just came back from. We don't make more money from recruiting.
I read the Daily Beast article that did that. I also watched Coffeezilla's debate with you, where you pulled up receipts of the majority of the employees of your company.
Goddamn.
Here's a question for you. Bring up Coffeezilla.
It goes deeper than I thought he had a Coffeezilla debate.
Of course.
Do you think if I was worried about my business model, I would go on
As a streamer, the capitalist?
What do you think?
So I am a capitalist. This guy here, Patrick David, it's the capitalist in a Jubilee video defending.
I think that it's not really capitalist.
Defending capitalism.
If I was worried about my business model, I would go on.
I don't. I could be wrong. Traditionally, you don't get ownership when you're part of an MLM, right? It's just like you're. I mean, it says here, associates, independent business owners, independent agency. It's like, it's more. I mean, you're a contractor essentially.
On Coffeezilla. They were actually very strong when they came back after me. We had a 2-hour conversation. We finished it.
And actually, if you want to say it's socialism and that's like collective ownership or whatever, it probably counts as a negative against your system, honestly, because MLMs just aren't good. Like,
was good to go, we moved on. Their claims that only 1% or 2% make and nobody makes it in insurance, they're right. Most people don't make it in insurance. Just like most people who move to California don't make it in Hollywood.
So I believe
and
the
most people
technical
don't make it in
term
real
for when you
estate.
make more money from getting people to be part of a company than from actually selling a service is called a multi-level marketing scheme. Do you think that that's
No,
a fair
not what it is. Not
characterization
at all.
of your company? Why not?
Do you know what multi-level
Socialism is like a pyramid
Multi-level
scheme
from
based
sort of
on, I
pyramid
know.
scheme wherein you make more money from getting people to be part of it and selling them to be part of the company.
A pyramid scheme doesn't have a product. That's criminal. A multi-level marketing company is more like an Amway, an Herbalife.
I could be wrong, but I am pretty sure even if you have a product, a pyramid scheme is still like it can be called a pyramid scheme if it just meets a certain definition of like the percentage of income you get from selling your product versus like your recruiting fees and things like that. Why are you a capitalist over a socialist? A lot of reasons. I don't know. Like, I just think it better aligns incentives. Typically, it leads to better allocations of resources. I think most of the people I think most of the problems that are supposedly addressed by socialism aren't like that big a deal. Like, I don't think inequality, for example, is like a particularly big deal. And I think there are mechanisms for dealing with it and other problems that people cite under capitalism generally. Like, you can have a tax code that does redistribution to reduce post-tax income inequality and things like that. Like, yeah.
A new skin, those companies.
But
because it pays you.
You are making more money from getting people to be part of your company than you are from making money from actually providing a service.
That's not true. It's a claim by Daily Beast. By the way, do you know what equality of earnings is?
Yes.
What's equality of earnings? Tell everybody what equality of earnings is. Go ahead.
Fair point. The quality of earnings isn't that like the value that's produced from when you make the money? Like how much from the labor that's...
I feel like you're already owning it to be like, it's not a pyramid scheme, it's an MLM. Lol, yeah, exactly.
What is quality of earnings?
That's probably why you look so upset earlier.
Okay, so quality of earnings is I sit there and I want to sell the business to you. Yeah. You make an offer of $250 million, okay? I tell you, this is my business, here's how much profit we make. You leave and you say, great, let's make a deal. I'll pay $250 million. We shake on it. Then you validate whether it is worth that or not by going and paying a big company a few $100,000 to check the quality.
So same deal as like having someone look at the quality of the gold that you're going to buy.
PwC came and they do a quality of earnings to say, is this company really worth this? They get to make a decision whether the company is truly doing what you or Daily Beast claims to do.
The value comes from your brand. It comes from going on podcasts like that, even when they expose the business model, because you are not selling.
Do you know what ended up happening? Don't make claims.
Do you know what you're selling?
Do you know what ended up happening?
You know what you're selling, right?
Do you know what ended up happening?
Do you know what you're selling?
The company
you're selling
ended
your
up
personal
buying-
brand. You're selling the idea, because when you're offering people here jobs, right? You're saying that they would have to pay you money to get that. So in reality, you're trying to convince them to pay you money to be part of your company.
Defaming. Be very careful defaming when you don't know the facts.
Oh wait, is that the job he was offering them? But I kind of just assumed the job he was offering them was like some like bullshit at his podcast or something. He's offering. I didn't even think of that. He's offering them the MLM shit, isn't he? Oh my god, this is true. Hunter's base. I love Hunter now. I forgive him for any bad opinions he has.
You have a recruitment fee.
Be very careful making a claim when you said people here have to pay to work on our company. It's recruitment. Be very careful. No, those are two different things.
Typically, I could be wrong, but yeah, typically you do have to pay to do MLM shit. Like I know people who were caught up in like the essential oils shit, and like you have to buy the essential oils from the company before you can try to sell them and recruit more people and everything. That's why most people end up losing money in MLMs.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Tatiana.
Tatiana?
Yeah, it's Anya. But yes. And your name's Patrick, right?
It is.
And
You think greed is a good? I don't want to just debate the chat the whole time, Durant. But you think greed is a good incentive to base the economy on? I think like generally a profit incentive leads to a good incentive with regards to an efficient allocation of resources and with regards to innovation. Things of that nature. I think it's a little harsh to just broadly define that as greed, but certainly I think the profit model or the profit motive is like an overall good thing. Seems like a bad value to base alignment interest on. I prefer collaboration and public welfare. Plato's Republic analyzes it. They've never considered that. Yeah, but yeah. I don't want to just spend the whole time debating chat. Exclamation point Discord in the chat. Okay, you guys, we do have a Discord community for those unaware. We can chat to me and other people about this and other things.
We're coming in today, but why do you use socialism and capitalism like in this instance? I've noticed a lot of people.
What's this girl's name? She doesn't come up yet. I need to write it down.
Good. How are you? Tatiana.
Tatiana?
Yeah, Anya. But yes. And your name's Patrick, right?
It is.
Okay. Well, I don't know how to do the accent marks, but.
And I don't know a lot about you before coming in today, but why do you use socialism and capitalism like in this instance? I've noticed a lot of people have defined the vast differences, but you're insisting that we're still like a more socialist like country. Why are you insisting on that?
That's a fair question. So for me, there's different definitions you can have. Under communism, to me, it's 100% taxes, meaning I can't go create my own property. If I want to build
I can kind of understand the point he's making, but 100% taxes is like the worst way to frame it. Like, what are we doing?
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, I guess it is.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
So capitalism, I would ideally like to see taxes between.
You know what's disappointing?
What
is that, like, you'll hear him and you'll agree with, like, let's say 40% of the points he makes. He calls himself a capitalist, and then you check on his channel. And what does he support? He supports Trump.
Dude, I know. Yeah, exactly. I was talking about this with hamsters yesterday because he was like, as long as he's a capitalist, it's like he's good or whatever. But like he's not even a capitalist when Trump doesn't like capitalism. He hates immigration. He loves tariffs. He he wants to fire the Federal Reserve people. He wants to lower rates and everything. Like he's not even. I mean, I guess you can say the Federal Reserve isn't capitalist if you really wanted to, but like, kill me.
Then Milton Friedman isn't a capitalist. Truth Nuke? Read Read theory.
Real.
No, that's what's frustrating. It's like this guy is barely capitalist, and that's the truth. He's just like it's so silly that like some boomer who's like an entrepreneur who's probably a scammer, I don't know, like fucking, there's like the face of capitalism when he's like supporting very anti-capitalist policies.
None of this even. It's so. Weird. Like he said, like right now, by the way, he's defining capitalism, or he's like defining capitalism and communism in terms of like percentage of taxes. And it's like,
yeah.
Motherfucker, you love raising taxes if it's tariffs. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we?
No, and he might like, do the apology of like he's a genius. He's negotiating and trading.
Yeah.
This guy's a businessman. He's an entrepreneur. You got to understand, in entrepreneurship, you make deals. Like this is how the fucking guy talks. He's a complete retard. The problem is that like these people don't actually respect markets. You need to respect. You need to fear markets. You don't need to just like glaze them. You need to fear and respect them and appreciate them for what they are. This guy doesn't have it. He doesn't have that iron in him because he's a faker. He's a fraud. That's right. That's what I think. That's what I think.
10 to 30% max. I like a flat tax, but somewhere between 10 to 30%.
We're not even at that. We're pretty sure taxes are like 18% of GDP in the U.S. or something. U.S. taxes, or federal taxes at least, percentage of GDP. State taxes, you get closer to 25 or 30% or whatever. But like we're not even. We're 16%. We're at 16% on the federal level. Does Fred have a series for state and local taxes? Fred, state and local. Or do they have a combined one, I should say? This is just, no, I guess I could divide it by GDP. I guess I gotta add them and divide it by GDP. But it's gotta be one that's done that or whatever. All governments.
Because I still do think there's certain things that the government needs to do. Military, protection, certain things. Socialism to me is 30% and up.
Socialism is 30% of taxes going to, dude, that's like half the fucking countries in the world. I think this is tax to GDP. This is from, where's this from? This is from OECD, so it should be good. We're at 25%. We're 5% away from being social. First of all, even under his definition, then we're not socialist, but okay. Is he just citing the nominal top marginal rate on something? Or like, what are we...
Anything above that you're...
Like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Czechia, Japan, Canada, Poland, Germany, all these countries are France, all these countries are socialist. Is this Austria or Australia? I think that's Austria. Australia is probably socialist under this definition too, though. But oh no, Australia is not. But it's an asterisk. What is asterisk? Australia and Japan are unable to provide original data. Original 2023 data for 2022. Okay.
You're taking the money away from me without my choice to use it for things where we get to 68% of entitlement programs. I'm not a fan of that.
Okay, so let's talk about where we're...
Why does he keep citing the percentage of the government spending that goes to entitlement programs?
expert at. I believe you said reasonable wage and minimum wage. What about a livable wage? And we haven't really talked about livable wages because they
what
kind
do you
of
think
differ.
about minimum wage? So what do you think?
So I think we have a long way to go.
Okay.
I'm not really.
Dude, you could have government spending again be 5% of GDP, or taxes be 5% of GDP, and have 100% of that be entitlement programs. Like, what are we doing? And then I guess like, what do we? If you had a sovereign wealth fund instead of like government spending or whatever, that's not like, it's not included in government spending necessarily. If you just have a sovereign wealth fund that pays out transfer payments, right? Or is that including government spending? I don't know if that's including government spending or not. Would you not be socialist or whatever? Alaska's permanent fund, for example, like the transfer payments that Alaska's permanent fund gives out, that's not included in Alaska's government spending, is it? I could be wrong there.
Really a big fan of these little increment things, especially when it's like, it's not like rent, it's, stopping and leveling out. It's like, it's, far exceeding what most people
I don't disagree, for
make.
sure. Yep.
And so I'm just wondering how you still can sit here and say that when I know you like to talk about you came up from Haagen-Dazs and all this other stuff.
In Glendale Galleria, 20 minutes away from here.
Great, love that for you. But we're talking about where you are today and where I am, a majority of these people in the room.
Should I just ask ChatGPT? Got a sovereign wealth fund instead of government spending. That's incoherent. I mean, like, instead of the government, like instead of Social Security, if we had a sovereign wealth fund that gave out transfer payments, right? Like, are those included in metrics of government spending? I think they might be.
Sure.
And I haven't really heard. Yes, we can change, but I think that there's certain systems.
Are you talking minimum wage? Do you want to address the minimum wage?
We can talk minimum wage, but I like to say livable wage because I think they're two very different things.
What do you think it should be?
I think that we should go per state because every state is different in
terms
of what they
Where
have.
do you live? You live in California?
I live in California.
What do you think it should be?
Based on the MIT living wage calculator, it's an actual livable wage calculator. It's $27.81 should be the starting, and then if you have kids and so forth, then you can like go up from there. Okay. But starting at about.
Oh my God, we're gonna discriminate minimum wage based on whether or not you have kids. Oh my God, kill me. Wait, why wouldn't we at the very least then? But are we also going to have exemptions for like teenagers living in multi-earning households? We're going to go the other way around on that?
Hey, so two things. One, if there are people in the YouTube chat who are curious about white nonsense and capitalism, they should join the Discord. We're friendly.
I told him to join Discord, and he did. I think he typed in the econ chat. I haven't read it yet or anything, but
that's sweet. So yeah, they can maybe join VC in Discord or in the chat. That's sweet. Second, see, this is what I mean by like, if people don't, I don't know, maybe I'm a wonk, so like that just like fucks my brain. But like, to think, okay, yeah, we need people to have a good safety standard of living, like minimum standard of living.
Yeah.
The way we achieve that is not by compelling businesses to pay them that much. It's by transferring money to them. Just give them money, bruh. Just give them money. If you care about people affording TVs and whatever, give them money, bruh. Don't even give them TVs. Give them money to buy TVs if they care. And if not, they spend it on something else that you care about equivalent. So that's what, I don't know. People should have a wonk brain. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe if I do something, maybe like have a cute YouTube channel where I just like upload stuff and explain very basic concepts and wonkyism. Or maybe even causal inference. That'd be cute. But yeah, I don't know. Once you take the wonk pill and you understand causal inference, you're like, your IQ is above like 90% of people. No, I'm sorry, 99%. More than 67% of people. 67? What? Wait.
What the fuck?
$7 hourly.
So let's look at case studies of what happened. California chose to increase the minimum wage.
Oh my God. I'm going to game it myself. Oh my God. He's not going to say any. Please at least cite a study and not just some bullshit.
For fast food workers to $20 an hour. Restaurant workers.
Please at least cite the study. Please at least cite the study. Please. There's a study you can cite here. I believe it's only a working paper. I don't think it's been published yet, but there is a working paper you can cite here.
Do you know what happened in the state of California? Mass exodus. People left and went different places. You know what restaurant owners did? Like, I can't compete with these guys if you raise the minimum wage. But the challenge with minimum wage is
I'm going to game it myself. There is, by the way, a study you can cite for this, or working paper at the very least. Let me see if I can. People mentioned it in my server a while ago, I remember. But I found like overall disemployment of like 18,000 or whatever. Not fun is dumbfounded. I shouldn't be surprised, but Like, oh my God, like, what are we doing here, dog? Am I not going to be able to find this shit? God damn it. Oh, thanks, sample text. Like, there's this, which like I said, I believe it's a working paper. I don't believe it's been published anywhere yet. It's relatively new. But it's found disemployment effects from that. Yeah, 18,000 jobs. Our median estimate translates into a loss of 18,000 jobs in California's fast food sector relative to counterfactual. I think it also found unemployment in California's fast food sector declined by 2.7% relative to employment in the fast food sector elsewhere in the United States. Adjusting for pre-AB 1228 trends in this differential declined to 3.3%, while netting out the equivalent employment changes in non-minimum wage intensive industries further increases that decline. And there are like there's decently like mixed evidence on minimum wage generally, but it's dumb to, first of all, it's dumb to even, in my opinion, talk about this in like a capitalism v socialism thing, because obviously I don't think minimum wage is like super anti-capitalist. I don't think it's like particularly relevant to it. We should just be talking about markets and private ownership and all that jazz. But
also the following. So say there's two companies.
We also just should not be. People are too obsessed with minimum wage, okay? Because you can just do other types of welfare that's probably like more efficient. Like
you have Walmart, okay, in Bakersfield, pick a city, and you have a different supermarket that's been in the same family for 60 years. The governor here says we're going to raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour. Who do you think can afford it? The market that's been within a family, the small business, or you think Walmart? Who do you think can afford to go to $20 an hour minimum wage?
So that's why I think we have to factor in other systems other than capitalism. I think you're kind of making the point that's been made a few times today, where you can't just look at one thing.
No, this hasn't been made. The point I'm making here is
under socialism, even small businesses would pay $27 minimum wage.
A Bernie Sanders gets up and says, let's raise the minimum wage for $15. And he was caught in his campaign not paying his own workers $15, $13 an hour. And he had to talk about it and apologize.
Oh, no.
That even a guy that's a socialist wasn't paying a minimum wage. But if you raise it to $15, Amazon celebrates. Okay. Walmart celebrates. Do you know why? Because the employers from this supermarket.
I don't think what PBD is saying there is incorrect. I do believe that it does probably benefit large employers more when you raise minimum wage, or hurt them less at the very least. Oh, this is just the actual paper sample. Yeah, I mean, I could have gone to Sci-Hub, I think, and probably seen it, but
that have been working for this family for the longest time, they can't afford to pay that. So they leave and go to Amazon and Walmart. What happens? The bigger companies keep getting bigger. The small businesses go out of business because of minimum wage.
Okay, so you mentioned Bernie Sanders. I didn't mention him. Cool, for Bernie Sanders, whatever. Do you pay a livable wage or a minimum wage for your employees?
There's not a single soul in our company that I pay $15 an hour or $20 an hour.
Okay, so are you paying them livable wages?
Yeah, they pay me to join my MLM. I ain't no sucker.
Absolutely.
Okay,
of course
based on your standards or based on like the stats?
Because of my choice.
So you're determining what people's livable wages are?
Well, no, I look at the marketplace and I see what's going on, and I get to pick and choose what percentile of people I want to hire. Do I want to hire bottom 10%, 25%, 50%? I'll pay a little bit more because I want to get somebody that's got a little bit more experience.
Okay. Okay.
Tanya?
Titania.
Titania? Thank you.
Titania? Did he just call her Titania?
Hi again.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Can you remind me again why?
Who is this?
You think this country is largely socialist?
Out of the $4.9 trillion of revenue that we get in, 4.8, 4.9.
This is still his definition.
68% goes to entitlement programs. That's the reason why I say.
Is there there's not a single author in the world that agrees with this, right? No one has ever published any paper using this definition of socialism. Like literally no one has ever done that.
Should have a say in where our taxpayer dollars go?
That's why we have elections. Okay. And you vote for it. Yeah.
So you agree that we should have a say in where our taxpayer dollars go?
If you're asking me who should have a right to vote, I would change the system in a major way of who would have the right to vote.
I'm not asking you if
people should.
I'm not asking you who should have the right to vote.
Only business owners should vote.
The current system
taxpayer dollars
allows,
should be dictated by us.
The current
Did you guys see that paper? I saw King of the Coast post this paper on Twitter. That was like boomers, like people over the age of 65 or whatever, have like very similar interest in voting to those of Jeff Bezos. So it's a funny paper. Progress is a democracy. There's a synergy between I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, technocracy ruled by the old and anti-labor policy. Simply put, the economic interests of a 70-year-old retiree who owns shares of S&P 500 closely align with those of Jeff Bezos. So the real solution is just to only let old people vote. I voted. I'm left wing and still think old people should vote, believe it or not. I mean, it makes me more in favor of old people voting, really. I just don't like that old people vote on the local level, you know.
Allows you to vote and decide who you want to be your candidate.
Absolutely. Okay, so I would argue that the biggest handouts go to billionaires because we give billions and billions of dollars in subsidies to billionaires every single year. Elon Musk just got a huge raise. Not sure why. He's worth over like hundreds of billions.
That wasn't a handout though. That was the board. First of all, the board. I'm not aware of where that went, but the board sued to have Elon Musk not pay him out that much. I think it was blocked. It might have been overturned by now, and it might have been. If it was overturned, it might have been because Elon is, you know, powerful in the government now, or at least was. Elon payout blocked. I believe there was a judge that blocked it, but I don't know if it went through. Or more limited one went through, it looks like. Delaware Chancellor Kathleen St. Jude McCormick reaffirmed her ruling that Tesla must revoke Musk's multi-billion-dollar pay package. She found that Musk engineered the landmark pay package in a sham negotiations with directors who were not independent. The pay package, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Musk appealed the order in March. A month later, Tesla sent a regulatory filing that I was creating a special committee to look at Musk's compensation as the CEO. Tesla also faced and testify, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Under pressure from shareholders last month, Tesla scheduled a new annual shareholder meeting. Investors have, okay. Where's the 29 billion thing? Okay, so awarding CEO Elon Musk 96 shares, a restricted stock valued at approximately 29 billion, just 6 months after a judge ordered the company to revoke his. Okay, so one of his pay packages blocked. He got 29 billion instead of 56 billion. I thought she was going to cite like SpaceX or something that, you know, the government subsidizes, but.
Of dollars.
You're talking, be specific. You're talking about SpaceX?
I'm talking about SpaceX, Tesla. I'm talking about the companies that we fund as taxpayers. So why did we never vote for that?
Why did you never vote for the money going to somebody's?
How much did we fund Tesla? I think we gave Tesla a loan via the whatever Department of Energy loan thing. But they did. I don't know how preferable it is. I don't know how like sweet those loans are. It might have been at a very low interest rate or whatever. And then we, you know, contract out SpaceX. But
do you see an issue with the fact that we as taxpayers?
I guess we did. We do protect Tesla with tariffs from and like banning Chinese EVs and stuff. So there's that.
And first of all, electing this tech oligarch.
Once you elect somebody.
Deciding where our taxpayer dollars go.
Once you elect who you elect, what they do next, you don't have a say during that time.
We didn't elect
until the next election. No, I'm talking Congress, Senate. They make a decision on who they give the money to.
But he's been getting this amount of subsidies through every administration. I'm not just referring to the Trump administration.
Let's talk about how he's done. Okay, so the NASA was shut down many years ago. Okay, since then, how has NASA done? Trying to find a way to go to space. What has SpaceX done? So the NASA was shut down many years ago. Okay.
So the NASA was shut down many years ago.
Trying to find a way to go to space. What has SpaceX done? SpaceX has been able.
Since then, NASA. How is NASA done trying to go to space?
What has NASA done? NASA gave us the satellite, which you use every time you use your phone.
If you let me finish, NASA versus SpaceX. Elon Musk, as much as you hate him, Elon Musk was able.
I mean, to be fair, like I think there is a good reason to believe that SpaceX and like private companies are going to be like more efficient than government companies, like generally speaking or whatever. But like, you know, we stopped giving NASA very ambitious goals after the like space shuttle program. Like the space shuttle program was like the last kind of big thing NASA did. And SpaceX gets a lot of its money from NASA. And now I think that's a beneficial relationship of capitalism when like you can have government agencies contract out work to private developers who are competing for contracts. I think that's a good system, but it seems very silly to
cost because government.
I think it's both silly to argue that like this is a big government handout, and I think it's silly to argue that like this is
Elon Musk has the
NASA is just like horrible at what it does or whatever.
Ability to eradicate.
Satellite missions have tentatively done more for us than ambitious moon projects have. That wouldn't surprise me at all, Maddie, and welcome to the stream. But
extreme poverty in this country, and he chooses to send rockets into space and make extremely ugly cars that we never actually funded.
So I would liberals drive his car. So
well, I would say the Cybertruck's it's a poor decision aesthetically.
The Cybertruck.
I'm not discussing the aesthetics of his products.
It's so funny because when you say what you say about the Democratic side on the climate
change. In fairness, I mean, SpaceX does deliver most satellites by now, right? But
the guy
it is contracted, some of them probably.
Until he supported Trump. Elon was your favorite 8 years ago until he supported Trump. The moment he went into Trump, this guy's a horrible guy. This guy's a terrible guy.
To be fair, I've hated Elon Musk consistently throughout my adult life, and I also think that he is someone who has benefited immensely from the government. That's why I find hypocrisy in what you're saying.
I don't disagree on that side.
He's benefited immensely from the exploitation of labor overseas. He's benefited immensely from his extremely aggressive union busting tactics. So I'm saying, like, why
is he a net positive to you for society?
Is he a net positive for?
Hold on. What was my understanding? There was the Department of Energy has some DOE's Department of Education, Department of Energy loan to Tesla. My understanding, there is a Department of Energy loan that was going to Tesla. I don't know how I want to know how favorable the terms are. Like, I don't know if it's like a significantly better loan that I could get on a private market. If it's like a sweetheart deal or whatever. So Anna only came up once, sad, unfortunately. Although, I mean, she could have come, or they could have come up more, and Jubilee cut some stuff out. But 9 years early, and by doing so, the company had paid an early repayment penalty. What the hell? I mean, that's silly. So it looks like couldn't have been that good of a deal then, but maybe, I don't know.
For me personally,
is he a net positive for society? Not for you.
I wouldn't say so.
You don't think he is?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Who to you is a net positive to society?
Elon is almost certainly not a net positive for society when he's doing the Doge shit with the USAID stuff.
Right.
Like
Bernie Sanders.
I mean, Bernie Sanders is.
I think the rest of the stuff Elon Musk has done, it might be a little bit more difficult to say, especially because like how much Elon is like really responsible for some of this stuff is controversial. Like, how much is he really responsible for Tesla? Like, he didn't found Tesla, is my understanding, right? And like, how much of the day-to-day stuff does he really manage? If anything, he could be a drag on Tesla, considering his public image and everything. But SpaceX, I don't know how much he's responsible for. Presumably, he does some good things for SpaceX or whatever. But anti-USAID stuff this weighs all of it by a billion times. This is true. Literally, no one has any clue about Elon's government contracts. This is real easy money.
I would say he's a compromise candidate, but I would say
especially neither of these people.
Compromise candidate.
Yes, I would
is
say
AOC a net positive to society?
I would say net positive, yes.
More than Musk is.
Yeah. Candidate, but I would say that
he's a compromise candidate.
Yes, I would say
AOC a net positive to
society?
I would say net positive, yes.
More than Musk is.
Yes, absolutely.
Really? Tell me why.
Because AOC wants to introduce a Green New Deal, and I think that the New Deal is the closest
for $30
thing.
trillion.
Okay, Trump literally just added 3.4.
It's a Green New Deal, even 30 trillion. That seems like a overestimate.
$1 trillion to our deficit, so I really don't want to hear.
30 trillion and
okay, so I'm saying that I think that when we look at the system that we currently have, I think that we need to redistribute the wealth.
So this Green New Deal is 93 trillion. What? It might be 30 trillion over 30 years or something. I have no clue what he's citing for this at all. I think he's just pulling it out of his ass.
Wealth in a significant way, and we need to reintroduce something like the New Deal. And I think AOC has been the closest to doing that. I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of her, but I'm saying that we need a marginal tax rate.
Right.
That is something similar to the New Deal, 70 to 90%. Ideally, I would go.
Introduce New Deal. 90% tax rates. Wow.
For a wealth tax, anyone over $999 million has to pay every year. But I'm saying that.
Wait, did you say hold on. I thought it was like 90% capital gains tax. This is 90% wealth tax?
The New Deal, 70 to 90%. Ideally, I would go for a wealth tax. Anyone over $999 million has to pay every year.
Oh, no, okay. She didn't specify the wealth tax. Wealth tax over 198 million.
But I'm saying that.
Say that one more time. You would do what? Anybody that makes over.
I would introduce a wealth tax. So
okay.
I'd say that anyone who makes over $999 million needs to pay. So I think that no one should be a billionaire. I think that we should put the cap.
No one should be a billionaire.
Oh, okay. So 100%.
Absolutely not. Do you think that people can survive on $999 million?
This isn't how life works.
Do you think someone could survive on $999 million? I'm asking you, do you think someone would be okay? Do you think someone's life would be impaired if they had only $999 million instead of $1 billion? You're not answering the question.
But also, no analysis of incentives, no analysis of spillover benefits, no analysis of anything. It's just him saying, you don't get to dictate that, you don't get to dictate that, you don't get to dictate that.
Companies that continue to grow.
Why are you avoiding my question?
Created jobs for others.
Do you think someone could reasonably survive on $999 million?
How big a person wants to build their business? That's not true. By the way, why don't you elect someone that pursues those policies? Bernie was your hero for many years. He became compromised.
I never said he was my hero.
But how did Bernie become
compromised?
He became compromised?
He is a compromised candidate. Why is he a compromised candidate? I mean, he was definitely compromised by the Democratic Party, who didn't want him elected.
Oh, that's what you mean.
He's a compromised candidate in that I would go further than him, but I also know that he's probably the best we have right now, and I would like to see him as president, ideally, or someone similar. I think Zohran Mamdani, who you mentioned earlier, I think he's an excellent candidate.
I can't wait for him to win. You know why I can't wait for him to win? Because I can't wait for
the same thing again.
I can't wait to show you all the numbers in the next 4 years after he wins.
If rich people have to flee New York because of his policies, that means that they're too economically fragile
to handle those taxes. No, because if you don't appreciate people that create jobs, they will go somewhere that they're appreciated.
We have to look past job creation.
They pay high-paid jobs.
Many of the jobs.
By the way, like I would imagine the elasticity of wealth to taxation, or it would be like significantly higher in New York than just the entirety of the U.S. But I do think like wealth taxes are probably decently easy to avoid. They're probably relatively high avoidance of wealth taxes.
The reality is that Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, they have huge monopolies over our market, and they're able to pay as little wages as they'd like.
Wow.
They quite literally control the wages and the costs in our economy.
Right.
What did she said Jeff Bezos and who?
When Amazon has past job
creation,
they pay
high-paid jobs.
Many of the jobs
you bring value to the market.
The reality is that Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and
Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos have a monopoly. First of all, if you're talking about the labor market, technically it'd be a monopsony, not a monopoly. Okay.
Jeff Bezos, they have huge monopolies over our market.
They can set
and they're
wages.
able to pay as little in wages as they'd like.
They
quite literally control the wages and the costs in our economy.
Right.
The only company that has a monopoly is the government.
Amazon has 60% control over e-commerce. They can quite literally decide what wages and what costs people can earn and pay.
Your candidate AOC.
I never said she was my candidate.
She's a net positive for society.
What does she mean set cost? I think I could see. I mean like from suppliers, I guess, and stuff. You probably. I mean, you don't necessarily set them, but you can have influence over them when you're buying at volume. Like there's a reason Walmart has lower, pays less to suppliers than like local chains do, right?
Positive for society.
I don't. That's not. That doesn't necessarily tell you like you have a cost setting power or whatever. At least not entirely.
Perfect. When AOC was,
it could just be economies of scale.
Amazon wanted to bring 25,000 jobs to New York. These were jobs that were paying $150 a year.
Because from what I understand, the people who work for Amazon have to walk 10 to 15 miles per shift. They have higher injury rates than the industry average.
These were jobs that were paying $150 a year. She went against it. They went to a different place. 25,000 jobs they lost in New York.
And what would those jobs look like?
$150K a year minimum.
Thank you.
I don't even like the. It should just be comparing what these jobs are like to the best reasonable alternative. Now, I don't know in her world whether we wouldn't have those jobs and they would be all on like welfare or if they would own the Amazon company and have better conditions or something. But
thank you. I'm going to go with my friend here.
I'm glad it shows he's not entirely cowardly that he chose Mason, because I think Mason's relatively smart and did a decent job. Real Chad would have gone for Hunter, but
I chose Mason because he was the only one that came up to me and said, Pat, I'd like to have a reasonable conversation with you. You came up. There was 3 other people I was thinking about, and because you were fair and respectful, I chose you.
So my claim is America has never been a meritocracy.
Okay. Tell me why.
So I think that when you see wealth disparity and the amount that it gives influences to certain individuals, specifically from a starting point, if we're looking at America like a race and someone is starting 2 inches from the finish line and somebody starting a mile back, we would not say that this is a judgment of their merit. We'd say that this is a system that allows those with the most influence to continue to be successful.
So is it about some of the people that got generational wealth have an advantage over others that didn't get it?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that that's a moral failure. I'm just saying when people claim that capitalism is a meritocracy, that's just factually inaccurate. And we shouldn't be allowed to lie here. Like we should try to be coming to a common consensus.
So capitalism is not a meritocracy?
No.
So you mean to tell me...
Hamsters wrote an article. Time for bed night. Well, thanks for stopping by, Tessico Johnson. I appreciate it. I'll see you tomorrow, most likely. Hamsters has a blog post from one of my buddies, famed non-fun orders hamsters. How do I search on Medium? Just call like meritocracies are bad or whatever. I don't agree with all of it. We talked about this. Oh, I hate meritocracies, and you should too. Wow. But I think some of it is like property tax stuff, and this is by the way total slop. I'm surprised he hasn't removed it. Hamsters, you're watching, remove this shit. This is the dumbest shit ever. This is like 100. This is total slop. He's citing like a Cato thing of some guy citing his own like old blog post, which at the like once you follow like 5 different footnotes, you get to like the worst. Not been taking a full-time streaming too seriously, real. You get like the worst ever like paper, quote unquote paper. It's not a published paper. It's for some bullshit congressional thing written by some PAC. Dude, I can't even find it. I have it somewhere, but it's bullshit. Don't listen to this part of it. But
nobody here can go out there and win if they wanted to at the highest level.
No, I think that there's a probability that people can have social mobility or increase their economic conditions. It does not mean that everybody is able to. So while some people could be a billionaire in the circle,
if you're saying not everybody's able to, I fully agree. I can play baseball.
By the way, I haven't read a ton about this yet, but basically the data I've seen suggests one or two things is true, essentially. Either upward mobility in America has declined like a little bit since the 40s and stuff, but like still remains relatively okay. And also there might just be instrumental benefits to declining upward mobility. Like that might result from, or essentially there's not necessarily instrumental benefits from that alone, but like, that could result from a system that just has, broader based benefits or whatever. Or we just like never, like no society's ever been that upwardly mobile. Like Gregory Clark, I know, makes this argument, and he has some weird genetic bullshit too, which could be weird or something, but he talks about, nice one. He talks about why he doesn't believe we're not any more meritocratic than we were in like the 1700s. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Is he a race realist? I don't think he's a race realist, but he does believe highly in the like heritability of intelligence.
Meritocracy.
No.
So you mean to tell me nobody here can go out there and win if they wanted to at the highest level?
No, I think that there's a probability that people can have social mobility or increase their economic conditions. It does not mean that everybody is able to. While some people could be a billionaire in the circle, not everybody could be.
If you're saying not everybody's able to, I fully agree. I can play baseball, but I'm probably not going to play in Major League Baseball.
I can spend money on a lottery ticket. Doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to win.
It's really 1.5.
So what's your point? I agree with you there.
So my point is that America's not a meritocracy. You said
there's two things. Anybody at what levels, you can have success. To me in life, there's 3 different types of people. You got overachievers, you got achievers, you got underachievers. Let me unpack this for a second.
Wow.
You can overachiever, achiever, underachiever, okay? You can find a guy in school. We all remember the kid in school that we're like, that kid's gonna win in life, and he didn't. He was supposed to be an overachiever, he ended up being an underachiever. And there were kids in school that we looked at, we said, that guy's not gonna do anything with life, dude, stay away from that guy. He ends up winning, he's an overachiever. So it's not about what you're, end up doing in your life, it's how close you reach to your capacity.
The winning that you're talking about, quote unquote, is wealth accumulation.
Not necessarily wealth accumulation.
It is, that's exactly what you said.
If you end up, I have friends that make $120,000 a year, they have a good life, they're happily married, got 2 kids, and they're chose to go live in a place like Victorville. They chose to go live in a different place, but to me, that is winning. They're contributing to society.
I have a genuine question for you, Patrick.
Please.
Do you think that a nurse or a hedge fund manager offers more social utility?
This is documented. 14 years ago, I made a video talking about the 10 most honorable professions, and a hedge fund manager wasn't on that list, but a nurse was.
Wow.
I believe what nurses do, when my father's at the hospital, and I see how they attend to him, you have no idea how much respect I have for nurses.
Right.
It's a tough job.
However, but I would say the hierarchy of what our society looks like does not prioritize that in the same way that you're saying
that it does. There's a difference. So there's a difference. Do I think a...
By the way, I don't the real truth nuke here is that, okay, the hedge fund manager is probably the one investing in all the shit that makes being a nurse possible. But what's up?
Holy shit, I feel fucking powerful. I feel fucking powerful. You know why?
Why?
I just realized the biggest truth nuke in all of truth nuke history.
Okay.
Whenever someone references anything to do with school to explain a concept about like real life or whatever, like that kid in school, whatever, that is like the most immediate low IQ indication. Like that's the
sure, yeah.
It's such a like that's a huge truth nuke. Like I'm struggling to think of a counterexample. This is like Yeah, especially the trope of like the dumb kid who ends up becoming a billionaire. Like, shut up, you're low IQ. You're the type of person that likes like Elon Musk inspirational quotes on Twitter. Shut up. Shut up. You're barely sent in. You're worth less than a shrimp. That's right.
This is true.
By the way,
this is true.
What did you say about the creme shrimp poll? How many shrimp are your family worth?
The question's too ambiguous for me to answer. I don't. Are we talking about wild shrimp or like farm shrimp? Because I think it's likely that both wild and farm shrimp probably have like net negative lives. So if the question was something like, if we were going to torture this many shrimp for 10 minutes or whatever, then I could answer it. But it's not. It's pretty ambiguous. I don't want to answer it.
No, I said a million just to like see. That's probably closer than like a billion, but yeah, maybe. That sounds too little. That's like $500 to the shrimp over project. Well, whatever. But either way, no, I'm saying. What was I gonna say? No, I'm saying that poll is depressing, bro. We are like on the back end. Utilitarians are on the back end. That's what we got to stop.
Dude, did you see the? I might have saw this because I tweeted it or whatever, but the who has more value, your immediate family or 100,000 serial killers? It's like 95%. It's like, what the fuck are we? Yeah, exactly. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's like insane. Yeah. Right? Oh my God. I mean, do they think that like 100,000 people are getting killed because of this? Like,
yeah, I don't know if they assumed the hypothetical was like 100,000 serial killers like out on the streets or something, like killing more people. But oh my God, like yeah.
I don't know, very silly. Like I interpreted the question to be just like 100,000 serial killers who are like just their lives specifically, not their effects on other people.
Exactly. Yeah.
You should have been more clear, I guess, but still, hard to believe it would be less than a 90%. Still, so whatever.
A nurse is more important to the market than a basketball player.
I wonder if there is data. So there's data on like institutional investors in the housing market being more efficient. There's got to be similar data on like institutional investors in healthcare. I wonder.
But the market wants to watch a basketball player play, so they pay Steph Curry $60
we
million
both agree that America's failing, right? Your last claim was about how America's socialist, and that's a bad thing. I assume that you're saying because of government intervention.
Absolutely.
So you think capitalism can exist without government intervention?
I think you need law and order because there will be abuse if you don't have it. In our insurance company, when I was run the company, I had.
Should I go to Google Scholar? Ooh, I wonder.
To make sure there was a law and order in there. If you don't have certain compliance, abuse will come in. When abuse comes in, if it's a free for all.
Are part of those laws like labor laws?
That can also be abused. No, it's a fair question you're asking, but a part of that can also be abused. A lot of those guys go in with the right intentions. Then they become dividers and they pin the employer against the employee. So then the divide and conquer model is very effective.
I just want to break this down. Do you think that there are not mutually exclusive interests in owners and workers?
Do I think there's mutual interest with owners and workers?
Do you think that they have a symbiotic relationship and when they're trying to achieve the same goal?
I like to give
obviously
my employees equity because if you own equity in the company, you
oh my God.
No longer are an employee, you treat it as if it's your own company. So I prefer to give my employees equity, but it's my choice. I don't want the government.
Oh my God, Patrick, David, you're
forcing me to give them equity. I'll give you a story. You remember the story of a guy who said, "I pay every single one of my employees $70,000 a year." What was this guy's name?
Oh, he's smiling because he knows.
I don't know if you remember this guy. This story went viral. Socialism, what a noble guy! Everybody retweeted it. The Bernies of the world, phenomenal guy. I invited him on the podcast. He comes on the podcast. I said, "So tell me about your noble cause that you pay everybody $70,000 a year." He says, "Well, I don't think anybody should make over $70,000 a year. You can live off of $70,000 a year." I said, "Perfect. How many employees do you have?"
American College of Surgeons. I don't think this is a paper, or like this. Is this a? Certainly not an economics journal or whatever.
Let me make the point.
I know what you're saying, but I don't think that this is conducive to our conversation.
I said, how many employees do you have? He says 100. I said, how many of those 100 own a single share of your company? None of them do. Who does? I do. You're a socialist. Claiming everybody should make that much money, but you're not giving equity?
I'm not endorsing this particular person. I'd love to look into this, and maybe I'll watch the interview later.
There's a lot of contradictions in socialism when it comes down to action.
There are contradictions in the way that workers are trying to get as much wages as possible. That's just guaranteed. I want to get the maximum amount for the labor that I put into it. An owner that wants to do the exact opposite. It's not that they want to pay people what they deserve. They want to pay people what they can get away with. That's just virtually true.
I don't think that's the case.
No, you already agreed that coercion.
I don't know why Patrick David's saying this, like not the Case, that's just this is part of the mechanism by which the gains from trade are realized.
In the system, you're just saying that socialism. You're saying that socialism is the government mandating others to do it, but you're saying that markets do the exact same thing. You just said that the market price determines.
Don't put words in my mouth. I like you. You're respectful. You're a nice guy. Don't put words in my mouth.
Did you not say that markets determine market rates?
I haven't. What I'm telling you is there will be abuse in business, and if there's a person
I'm
like
gonna ask you the same question as soon as you're done. But continue.
There is abuse in business. Some people will take advantage of that. But the benefit of a free market capitalism is if I don't treat you fairly, you go work for him. If he doesn't treat you fairly, you go work for him. Eventually, if you bring enough value, guess who can't afford to lose you? I can't afford to lose you.
Do you think that markets determine market rates?
If I can't afford to lose you, guess what I have to do to you?
Do you think that markets determine market rates?
You didn't answer my question. If I can't afford to lose you, guess what I do to you?
Do you know what a monopsony is?
Tell me about it.
So do you know the difference between a monopoly and a...
I know.
Patrick McDavid not know what a monopsony is?
Monopoly, tell me about monopsony.
Okay, so a monopoly is a single seller who has rare competition within the selling of the distribution. That creates like inflated prices for consumers. But a monopsony is one single buyer. So this is an employer. There are things called company towns. You brought up the example of Walmart outpricing small businesses. Sure. I think that's a fantastic example.
On the minimum wage side.
Right, of how there are large businesses.
That's not really necessarily monopsony. You can...
that utilize their leverage.
I guess that can lead to a monopsony if you are saying Walmart is going to outcompete like all the local grocery store chains, and Walmart's going to be the biggest employer in the region.
Influence in their capital in order to determine what those wages look like in a given particular place. So what I want to argue is minimum wages seem to stifle monopsony.
What's up?
Bro, I was hopeful. I was like, wait, is he going to make like an actual argument? And you're like, it's monopoly, and it's, by the way, it's like Walmart pricing out workers. Like, what?
Yeah,
what
I know. It's like...
What are you talking about? It's very straightforward. Monopoly, one seller. Monopsony, one buyer. Very simple. Very simple. They're struggling.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. The monopsony model is fake, okay? I've been more against minimum wages lately. I think at least in high quality literature is pretty much against it. But, either way, it's not fantastic policy. It is good politics, though. I mean, no denying that. Yeah. If Democrats pass $15 minimum wage, they're like very popular. They're just like, they're going to be very popular. I think it's going to be net harm economically, but maybe it would just enable. The problem is, fucking lefties won't give us credit at all. That's what's disappointing, right? Like we passed $15 minimum wage, and they're going to be like, "Wow, you should have passed it 8 years ago."
Yeah.
Shut up.
It's a pressure release valve, okay, just to make sure the workers don't revolt. That's the only.
Even if they pass like $30 minimum wage because of like the MIT lab, whatever thing. Which, by the way, that's another low IQ sign. Whenever someone cites the university and like a website, not a study, they're low IQ as well.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. If you had to pick, okay. Would you suppose tomorrow you get into a car accident and you become like mentally debilitated? Would you rather be like Emma Vigland, Hassan, or let's see, who else? Let me think of other people that are really bad. Maybe let's go with like second thought.
Probably Emma Vigeland, but maybe I just haven't seen enough bad stuff from her. I don't know. Is she?
I think probably second thought, because I think second thought is intelligent. He just knows he's lying.
That could be true. That could be, yeah.
I think Hassan is legitimately dumb, and he just like knows the aesthetics. Emma Vigeland is obviously very dumb and very mad. And second thought, I think he's just like very evil.
Oh wait, no, I thought that Emma Vigeland did the Egypt thing, right? With the
I watched Destiny 2, bro. I watched Destiny 2. Okay, bro. I watched Destiny 2. You don't need to tell me what Destiny said on his last stream. I watch him too. Okay. Pipe down.
What?
Pipe down.
I didn't. What? I'm just okay.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe Destiny. He streamed today, and he was like, so Emma Vigeland was talking about the chorus thing, and he was like, "Remember when Emma Vigeland said the black thing about Egypt?"
No, I didn't watch that, but I did remember her saying the black thing about Egypt. Yeah, that makes me want.
Yeah, that was so fucking insane, bro. It was in Africa, bro. It's in Africa. They're all black, bro. That was so bad, bro. That was so bad. Oh my god. Yeah, I know. I think. So yeah, who do you think so far? So who do you think was the best of all the people here.
I'm not quite done yet, but I think Hunter was the best. I think Mason's probably the second best. I think I feel like Anna did not get that much time to speak, but I think they did well for the 5 minutes they spoke. Everyone else I don't think did particularly well.
I think Hunter would be the best for you to talk to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think he would actually listen. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful he would actually listen. He kind of looks like Micah. He looks like good Micah, if that makes sense. Not Erfan.
Good Micah.
Good Jubilee Micah.
Yeah.
Good Jubilee Micah. You can see it, right? You can see it.
Yeah, I guess. I think I don't know, where is he in the video? I guess
Micah is evil Hunter, okay? Micah is evil Hunter.
This is true.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Either way.
I gotta
finish the fucking video, bro, so I can go to sleep.
Real.
Because they allow people to start at the same floor rate. You're saying that big businesses have
you're talking about minimum wage
leverage and their influence and their capital in order to determine what those wages look like in a given particular place. So what I want to argue is minimum wages seem to stifle monosponies because they allow people to start at the same floor rate. You're saying that big businesses have an advantage when there's a minimum wage because they can pay more.
They do.
We are also.
This is like true, but I'm not convinced monopsony is like a huge issue. And also, I don't think that he would use this frame of analysis for almost anything else. Like, I don't think he would. I don't think we'd be, thinking in terms of supply and demand graphs, and if it wasn't this specific thing, but.
So advocating for higher taxation rates and capital gains taxes on these businesses that are supposedly taking advantage of the system.
I think.
Wait.
How do we get to that?
Monosponies because they allow people to start at the same floor rate. You're saying that big businesses have an advantage when there's a minimum wage because they can pay more.
They do.
We are also advocating for higher taxation rates and capital gains.
Oh, okay.
On these businesses that are supposedly taking advantage of the system.
I think.
Wait. You can invest this in tax breaks for small businesses for people that have less employees. Maybe you say that less than 5 employees.
Wow.
They have certain tax incentives, so they're not taxed at the same rate as the.
If there's a monopsony, we probably shouldn't be that concerned about the effect on small business because they've already been outcompeted or whatever. But.
Large conglomerates. But that does not mean that a minimum wage is a bad idea because, like most people here said, you can't survive on less than $7 an hour in most places.
You know what's the great thing about business and numbers and data?
Almost no one gets paid minimum wage anymore. It's like I think it's less than 1% of workers.
It's every idea.
And obviously, some of the people who get paid minimum wage are are not people who need to earn a living income. It's teenagers, working part-time jobs in households that have 2 parents that are earning a lot of money.
Being exposed. During COVID, all the policies that came out from the leftist side, they're all getting exposed today.
Name 2.
Within time, everybody realizes what works and what doesn't work.
Can you name those policies?
When
Just saying that they
states who
failed?
chose kids to stay home instead of going to school.
When is that a socialist policy?
That is a control because when a government is ran in a way that they're controlling.
That's not socialism, my friend.
Socialism is.
Why are we trying to cite natural experiments now when you clearly are not familiar with any of the literature of minimum wage, buddy? What are we
socialism is
doing?
workers' control of their own
ultimate control.
No, socialism is workers' control of their own workplace.
Socialism is a form of control. Communism is the ultimate control.
So you're using this rhetorical device and saying that capitalism equals freedom, socialism equals control.
I want to be respectful to you, and I've given you a couple questions that you haven't answered yet.
I'll answer any question.
I want to go back to the question.
The rhetorical strategy that you're using might be beneficial for a large media platform. It's not based in reality.
If you bring value to me, and you're so effective to my company, if you get to a point that I don't give you a good salary and I don't give you equity, what's going to happen to you most likely?
I'm going to try to start a union with my workplace so that way we can collectively bargain on how to raise the floor.
That's one of the options, but guess typically what ends up happening.
What happens? They're busted?
You leave and you go to a different company and they
Are you saying the owners bust the union? Is that what you're saying?
No,
it's
that's
not
not what
successful.
I'm saying. I'm not talking union. You're talking about a different candidate, different person. I think in some places they work. I told you earlier, in many cases they're divisive.
We agree. You also mentioned Wealth of Nations. You like Adam Smith?
I think a lot of his.
He didn't even get to. Patrick David's point was going to be you switch jobs, right?
Yes. Do you disagree, or do you also agree that landlords are parasites?
I don't agree. Landlords are.
Oh my God.
Adam Smith,
I love quote sniping Adam Smith. I love quote sniping Adam Smith.
Asian author said that. He said that rent is.
You're cherry picking. I don't.
What's up?
Oh, no. He's gonna say. Oh my God. Okay. Wait. Did it already happen? I heard him say you love Adam Smith, and I already know. It's like he didn't like landlords. Oh,
yeah.
I saw Twitter.
Yeah.
He didn't like landlords, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy from 300 years ago didn't like landlords. I don't love landlords. Siberia George, bro. Be educated. Be. Have manners. What are you doing? Have manners, okay? What are you doing citing Twitter memes? I was gonna say, his name is Mason. Right?
Yeah.
He annihilated him on the you're just using rhetoric.
That's obviously true.
Yeah. Yeah, I would start a union. I would collectively bargain. Oh, you're saying either we bust the union. Yeah. I thought that was really effective. I mean, I don't think you should be good faith with PBD for what it's worth. I mean, the guy's very clearly dumb. But I don't know. I just very clearly a midwood boomer. I don't know. I don't like that. I feel like I would save a shrimp over that guy. I don't know.
Based.
This is a good argument against utilitarianism.
True.
I don't think landlords are parasites. I think in many cases, when you think about what's happening with New York right now, this is why I'm telling you guys, I hope all of us reunite in 4 years and we have a conversation, and I hope Mamdani wins. I am hoping Mamdani wins because that case study is going to get opened up and all of you guys are going to see it.
Can we both agree that corporate Democrats are a stain on this country?
Are already like studies you can cite on like rent control and stuff, but all right.
Corporate Democrats that utilize their leverage and utilize their influence to maximize their own private wealth is a bad thing that we should discourage?
I think if it's their choice. I don't think you and I get to tell them what to do and what not to.
What's up?
Oh, holy fuck, bro. Fuck this guy. Fuck Mason. I would save a shrimp over Mason. What the fuck? You're talking to like a demon fucking dumbass who supports Trump and all his tariffs. He's like, okay, well, can we at least agree Democrats bad? I'm sorry, corporate Democrats, whatever the fuck that means. Democrat bad. This is what I mean. This is what I mean. I hope Charsky's watching. This is what I mean. This is like the evil people. They are not motivated by improving people. They're not. They don't have hopeful concerns. No, all their effort goes to opposing America, opposing the West, opposing like capitalism, and opposing Democrats. They hate liberals more than they more than they love the working class. You know, Bertrand Russell, he said about Lenin and Marx. I'm sorry, I think he just said about Marx. About Lenin, he said something else about Marx that like you know he wanted the suffering of the bourgeois more than the happiness of the proletariat. That's they want the suffering of liberals more than they want the happiness of the proletariat. These people suck. These people suck. They don't have any underlying understanding of policy. They don't appreciate the nuances and achievements of America. They just don't get it, and I don't like it. Very frustrating. Very frustrating.
True.
To do.
So you think that like insider trading should be allowed?
I'm not for insider trading.
You just said it's their choice.
No, if you're
you can use your influence.
If you're specific with insider trading, that's a different conversation.
I just think that all of these are examples of why capitalism is not a meritocracy, especially when you're saying that politicians who utilize
insider trading really is a big example of why capitalism is not a meritocracy. Like that's
you could be right. You're talking about landlords who are profiting off of necessity for people, or you're talking about business owners who.
That's the example. How's that anti-meritocratic? There's simply competition in markets where things are a necessity. Obviously, that's not anti-meritocratic. Like even if you want to say there's market failures in some of those cases, doesn't necessarily mean it's anti-meritocratic.
For people that just want to collect
you could be right if the data was shown. I'll shake your hand. Absolutely, I'm not trying to disrespect you. No,
thank you.
You've been very respectful. No. But for me to tell you this, everything here can be proven based on data.
Correct.
If your policies are so attractive.
Brother, you have not cited any data.
I'm going to come to you.
Empirical data shows that worker cooperatives are not only more sustainable to market collapses, but they also provide more of an actual attachment to the work that those workers have. The alienation of
this guy would not like if I guarantee you if you cite any of the data that like worker co-ops tend to lead to like wage compression and brain drain or whatever and tend to like have less allocative efficiency and everything, like you would not really care for that evidence or whatever, but
labor market collapses, but they also provide more of an actual attachment to the work that those workers have.
We're deciding like psychological benefits or whatever.
Absolutely making people hate their jobs. Why do you think most people watching probably don't like the workplace that they're in, but still agree that there's some problem?
Because it's not a worker co-op. That's
whether they're saying it's immigrants or whether they're saying it's billionaires. What the problem is in America is people don't feel an actual attachment to what they're producing in the world.
What do you think about Social Security? What do you think about what FDR did?
Wait, actually, do you have nothing to say about those worker cooperatives?
Your point's been made. Go back to Social Security. This has been done.
Oh, thank God.
I have a couple minutes.
My guilt now.
What do you think about Social Security and how FDR came up with it?
Yeah, I think FDR, from most historians, are placed in the top 3 of all presidents.
Well, damn, I guess they are just going to move on. What's up?
No, exactly. If I showed this person that like right to work laws increase the happiness and life satisfaction of the workers, would he care? No. They wouldn't care. They want to complain. They want to complain about capitalism, and so they listen to this one professor who speaks very convincingly that told them worker cooperatives are awesome, and now that's what they like. Do they have a model in mind? Do they want to mandate worker cooperatives across the economy? That would be disastrous. No amount of studies from like very selection bias and endogeneity about like cooperatives in Spain and Italy. I wonder why these are the countries with the worker cooperatives, by the way. No amount of studies from them are going to be like, going to give you good evidence to look mandated across the economy, bro. But like, I don't know. It's so fucking, these people are not well interested. Like, I don't know what to, I don't know. And then I need to get gaslit that this is not like, I don't know. This is not who we enable when we call people socialists who are like not really.
What did that by the way, just real quick, what did that the paper you're talking about a few days ago or whatever with the worker co-ops across like Finland and then a bunch of other countries, did that have any tests for how resilient they were or whatever? Because one thing he cited, which I've seen people say before, I don't know if it's true or not, it's like, oh, they're more resilient during downturns or whatever.
I've not read into that much. What I know about like co-op survivability mostly is not published stuff. It's mostly from like cooperatives or awesome.coms or like that.
Mm-hmm.
It might be legitimate papers, but most of it is comparative. Like none of the data about cooperatives is like that high quality or causal. A lot of it suffers from extreme endogeneity and selection bias, like workers who work in a co-op or workers that like working in a co-op.
Right.
And so that's why the new study I cited about worker buyouts. This one uses pretty good methodology. It has some causal design that like plausibly eliminates endogeneity. But it's still I think not too convincing because the data was very limited. It was only limited to Italy, so the external validity there is doubtable. And I think if you look at the actual results of the synthetic differences, there is a plausible harm to productivity. It's just on the cusp of being non-significant.
Yeah.
So I think we should be careful of stuff like that. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know about survivability. But again, if people want to work in a worker co-op, if all you do is want to raise awareness, that's awesome. Good for you. Even if you want to give them some fucking help with getting capital, I don't support that. But like, whatever, bro. You're not a socialist at that point. But whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But from this to fucking Democrats don't care about you. They're enemies of the working class. That's not how any reasonable person thinks. You only think this if you have other motivations. I don't know how to fight against these people. I don't know, because every time I say you should not call yourself a socialist, you're enabling these people. I somehow need to believe that I'm enabling PBD by calling myself a liberal capitalist. Like I just don't see it. Whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's from conservatives and Democrats. I think that FDR got a lot of things great. I really like his second bill of economic rights. I think it's very vital that we provide people with housing. We decommodify things that are necessities. Do you know the difference between elastic and inelastic goods?
Stay on Social Security.
What? Dude, Patrick David's not even gonna engage with the stuff he said, but what's up?
These are elastic goods. Did you know that?
Believe it or not, I did. These
are goods in Alaska. Not many people know this, but markets for food don't work because it's in Alaska. Right? Not many people know this. This is how it works. Guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like these people like.
There's gotta be a good paper that just talked about generally markets with inelastic demand and why markets still tend to have optimal outcomes. There's gotta be a paper like that somewhere. I'm sure
on like Econ Lib or something, or Brian Kaplan probably wrote about stuff like that. He's probably the guy who addresses stuff like that. But it's like, it's not. I mean, inelastic demand is a problem. It's just like mostly when also you cannot shop around. That's the biggest problem.
Right. So exactly.
With medicine, it's mostly the problem there. But like with food, yeah, you need to eat something at the end of the day. You cannot forego buying food. But there's a lot of diversity and you have time to choose. And so firms do face individually declining supply curves. I don't know if that makes sense. Right. Like,
obviously.
Yeah. Individual. And of course, not all foods are perfect substitutes. So that's also a thing. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like people hear two memes and now they're like, yeah, we gotta pass the economic bill of rights because elastic demand and because of the Menaspanes. Like, what are we doing, bro? Don't pretend that you care about economics. Don't pretend you're there. You're not there. You're close to being there. You're getting there, but you don't care about economics. Right. Someone gave you the arguments against worker co-ops. You wouldn't care. So I don't know. If you want a good defense of co-ops, there's this guy on Substack, Bob Jacobs. I don't know if you know him. You know?
No. Nope. Don't think so, at least.
He has interesting articles. I still disagree with them, but he cites like studies and stuff, and it's interesting. He's a good read. I still disagree with, like, I don't know what his policy prescriptions are. That's the problem.
I was gonna ask,
he has
is
a
he
blog
even
called,
is even he like mandated co-ops or whatever? But
yeah, I
guess
don't know. I don't
yeah.
know, but he writes in favor of co-ops. He has a blog called Collective Altruism. He doesn't write too much about them, but he seems to have read the literature. He seems to be in. He said stuff I never saw. So that he said like some. He wrote an article about like a response to the idea that, like, if co-ops are more productive, why aren't there more of them? I mean, it is somewhat true to say, like, oh, maybe they wouldn't lend to them because, like, they get less profit in a return, even if they might be more productive, that all that the profit wouldn't go back to the lenders. Like, that's plausible, but it still doesn't fully get you there. Like, I mean, why don't the co-ops like have an agreement to like return more to the investors, but they still like may have a managing structure or whatever? Yeah, I don't know. I assume banks can sell something out. I think mostly it's because co-ops are either actually riskier and less efficient, so banks don't want to lend to them, or because banks don't know what a co-op is, and so they think it's risky because it's like a new scary thing. And so, to the extent that's the former, then okay, yeah. I'm sorry, the latter. To the extent it's the latter, then yeah, okay, maybe you just raise awareness. But I don't see a good argument for like mandating them or like pushing them too unnaturally to be a thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Also, it seems like towards the end of the blog post, I read it yesterday. It seems like towards the end of the blog post, he like says, co-ops internalize externalities, and the externalities.
Oh my god!
Like inequality has bad outcomes.
Oh my!
And I'm like, I don't think. He cited a bunch of regressions and whatever, and that's like, for one, that's not an externality.
Yeah, it's like,
really? But like, it's like second order stuff, whatever, some messy stuff there. But like, I don't know. But yeah, he's probably the best defender of co-ops I've read. And even then, he's like, man, I wish he wrote what he actually believes should happen. But I don't know. I think even then, a lot of these people are motivated. I don't know. That's a prejudice of mine. Maybe I'm prejudiced, but I think it's true. I don't know. That's why. Look at Micah. How awesome. He started off as a tanky Maoist Xi Jinping lover. And then, went to like market socialism. He really tried. He looked for everything. He read the models and then, came out against it. And now he's a based DNC shill. Absolute shill. Do you think he's part
now
of
he's
Chorus?
got that chorus money? He is part of Chorus. He announced it a while ago.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, I thought they're not able to disclose their affiliation.
They definitely are. Yeah, he announced it a while ago. That I think I saw him posted on his Instagram story or whatever that like he was part of Chorus or whatever. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. You applied, but like that would need to significantly change your content structure. I don't think you would like it.
I don't. I said this on stream. I don't know if you're here. I technically wrote words that gave me a non-zero chance of being denied. But primary intention was the screenshot that I knew would do well on Twitter. That was the primary intention with that one.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, for the memes, yeah, of course, yeah. What do you mean you wrote words that wouldn't make you get rid?
I mean, like I didn't like there. So they like there in the application they just like ask a ton of questions or whatever. Like if I was doing it like 100% like purely for the screenshot, I could have just written like gibberish. But I did write just like, oh, I'm fucking non-fun. I do streams. It's like,
yeah. I mean, I think if you do that, that would require you to like make slop clips about like, oh, JD Vance is dumb or something. It's like, maybe. I don't know. I don't want you to get your fund. Okay. I hope that's not offensive.
Never.
But Mike, I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I miss the old Micah. Okay, I miss the old Micah. Like that song. Yeah, that's what I miss. I miss the old Micah. It's true. He knows. I told him, but I don't like the DNCification of. I think I asked him in October. I asked him like, is the DNC shilling direction, is that not intentional? I think he said something like yeah, clearly I'm focused on it. But yeah, it's like, okay, based. Good. I think that's good. Great. We love you being electorally effective.
I might have lied, by the way. I think he might not have been Chorus. He's part of Adam Volkler's media, whatever, policy advisor for Adam Volkler.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you get some help, which is good for him. Good for him. I think that's awesome. I think anyone who thinks Chorus is bad is like 70 IQ. But by the way, when I say IQ, for people who don't, I don't actually commit myself to like IQ tests being good or something. I just call people dumb. It's like a funny way to call people dumb. But yeah, I don't know. I've had people like, wait, do you actually believe in IQ tests? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't have a strong position. Probably they're okay, but like, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, either way. Micah is awesome, but I don't want you to be Micah. If that makes sense, not okay. Does that make sense? Is that okay? Am I allowed to say that? Is that okay?
Never happen unless they pay me $8,000 a month. In that case, we might be DNC posting, but
you would do it for $8K a month? Maybe. Think of the shrimp.
Exactly. Think of how many shrimp I could save if I.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's another reason why like globe emojis are better than rose emojis. Like, how many roses do you know that raised money for shrimp?
True.
Practically zero. A vanishing amount. Yeah, I don't know.
It's really, really bad. Illegal immigration isn't as big of an issue as the media makes it out to be, if anything. And if anything, it helps so much. Don't believe me, I can send you a link to a very good video with zero bullshit, good arguments, and sources. I don't need to look at a study to realize that having a bunch of uneducated people that don't speak my language coming into my country to do, in most cases, almost all cases, completely fucking unskilled labor. I don't need a study to tell me that I'm wrong about that. It's obvious that that's bad.
True.
People constantly go, but if
what's the
you look at
PPF?
this study shows.
What's specialization?
This study, in a lot of cases, by the way, a lot of these studies that they do are deliberately misleading. They are deliberately misleading, and they create false narratives based off of
unlike the anti-immigration studies, which are never deliberately
the way the data is collected.
Misleading.
They don't look at second-order effects. They look at things inside of a vacuum. They analyze it in a very narrow way, and they draw a conclusion to the entire outcome. That's it. You can lie in studies. Yes, we're not. People have a study. Oh, there's a study about this. It says there's a study about this. I don't need to hear about that. Absolutely not. Nope. So the fairy bag data. Yeah, absolutely. What's happening now in Indonesia and what's happening in the Philippines?
Truly incredible. My favorite political streamer. Let's go. And Boras is peak of the inference. This is real.
Security.
Oh, so you don't know the difference.
What do you think about Social Security? Stay on that.
Okay. Well, Social Security, I think, was initially had as a social safety net to add a supplemental income to people's pensions. So most people going into like the 1950s all the way up to the 1980s were given pensions by corporations as a promise to if you worked.
Is that? I don't know how true that is.
For my firm,
it wouldn't 100% surprise me if that's true, but I bet he's exaggerating. I don't know what I would exactly look up to find that.
Sure that I supplement the exact same salary that you're getting throughout the rest of your life. Now, what Ronald Reagan did was he changed the pensions to contribution-based retirement, which means I could put this in the 401k, I could put it in the stock market, and if the stock market collapses.
Do we not know what incidence is? Excuse me?
If you work for people's pensions. So most people
stay on that.
Okay. Well, Social Security, I think, was initially had as a social safety net to add a supplemental income to people's pensions. So most people going into like the 1950s all the way up to the 1980s were given pensions by corporations as a promise.
Like the corporations just like gracefully gave workers pensions, but didn't decrease their wages at all.
My firm, I'll make sure that I supplement the exact same salary that you're getting throughout the rest of your life. Now, what Ronald Reagan did was he changed the pensions to contribution-based retirement, which means I could put this in 401k, I could put it in the stock market, and if the stock market collapses.
You can still get pensions on certain jobs. It's less common nowadays, obviously, but.
Do you think Social Security ended up being a system that worked?
I think that Social Security is definitely needed as a supplemental income. And right now, since we have contribution-based retirements, it's absolutely needed. Because if you don't want old people eating cat food, we probably need some sort of sustainable income.
When he came up with Social Security, do you think his intention was to have 74 million people use it today? Do you think that's what he thought was going to happen?
Yeah, and I think it's because you're not gutting the program in its entirety.
So
you can say that Social
how are we even, what a dumb thing for Patrick David to focus on. Oh my God. Why is he not engaging with any of the other stuff Mason said?
The wheels off of a car. So the car's not going to run. But you continue to buff it up and you make sure that you have good guardrails, but it can be a successful
The challenge is a lot
I love tax advantage retirement accounts. I love tax advantage. We should just have a universal savings account. This is the real
getting bigger and you never expected it. When Social Security first came out in 1935, the first benefits were paid in 37, and it was paid in a lump sum. At that time, we had 128 million people living in America. Do you know how many people got Social Security?
Tell me.
54,000. Do you know when benefits started?
Tell me.
65 years old. So let me say this again to you. Life expectancy was 61. Social Security benefits started at 65.
Right. So you're saying because we've increased life.
Capitalism versus socialism is when we talk about retirement age.
people need to work longer, right?
0.04%.
So grandma should be working at the
Let me make my
mill
point,
right
and
now.
then you can say anything you want to say.
Well, I'm just saying, you said as life expectancy increases, people should be working longer. You want to extend the retirement age,
no,
right?
if you bring that to today, and you bring the exact same formula as the great FDR came up with.
See, Patrick, here's the difference between our worldviews. You're saying that because
today,
Social Security,
there's 340 million people. Let me say the point, and then I'll let you speak as long as you want to speak.
Great.
So that went from, math again for you, 54,000 out of 128 million people, 0.04%. Life expectancy 61, benefits start 65. Today, it's 74 million out of 340 million. That's 21%. When life expectancy is 78, benefits start at 65. Do you know who's going to pay the price on Social Security? Not my generation.
Yeah, if we
yours
keep
is.
doing cuts, correct. If we keep doing cuts,
No, because you're
Social
going to run out of money.
Security tax
You're going to run out of money.
That's not.
We haven't been doing it. What do you mean if we keep doing cuts?
How it works. So the difference between our worldview, Patrick, is you're saying not only should people work longer into life because life expectancy has increased, but they should work longer into life without guarantees for healthcare, without preventative care, and that's not only going to increase the deterioration of people's living conditions, it's also going to lead to a worse economy. Because let me tell you, 70-year-olds not going to be the most productive members of our economy. They should be spending time with.
It's probably not really. So like these programs are probably not in the pay for themselves level of good.
Their families, they should be easing into their passing away. We shouldn't be forcing grandma to go to the mill.
It's going to be on your back. You'll be paying for this in 30 years.
Appreciate you.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that Patrick is a really great salesman. I think that he came in and confidently sold what capitalism is.
I should like include corporations gave workers pensions. Like, is there any evidence that like the pension contributions are not majority incidents on wages? I'd imagine there's no evidence that says that. And then additionally, like percent of workforce with pension? Should I Google or whatever? Maybe? I don't know. Exactly what I would look up. Percentage of private industry employees participating in defined benefit pension plan. But then, does this include, like, employers make 401k contributions now? And, like, to be fair, you can complain about that. You can complain about the individual retirement account. But I guess, how do we... Is there a measure that includes pensions and or 401k contributions? What's up?
Also, I don't know what this guy was talking about with, like, Reagan changed Social Security, so now it's in the stock market. That's just, like, strictly false. It's not invested in the stock market. My knowledge of what Reagan
I think I think he meant, and I don't know what change he's referring to, but he meant people shifted from pensions to like 401ks. I think that's what he was saying. It's like now people are invested. Now people have individual accounts that are invested in the stock market.
This has nothing to do with Social Security. This has nothing to do with Social Security.
Well, I agree, but
okay, because my understanding of the bill, was just like bumping up the retirement age. That's why I looked into this one, like no tax on Social Security or whatever. That's the bill that made like Social Security taxable, which I think is probably good. A bunch of other stuff. It was major reforms, but it would say it didn't change the funding system because he made it sound like it's privatized now, right? Like it's invested in the stock market. It's fully.
Well, he's
funded.
he's talking about 401ks or whatever. Like this is r/anti-work. Always remember that 401ks were created in the 80s by Reagan to make Americans more reliant on employers. I don't know.
Wow.
401k contributions given out from providing pensions. They sucked. I think he's just talking about. I think we get like preferable tax treatment to 401k benefits that we didn't give to pensions or whatever. I think that's all he's talking about. Doesn't seem inherently bad to me or anything.
Yeah, r/anti work should like all be not preferred over shrimp.
This is true.
I just value shrimp that much. Maybe I don't sound sociopathic. I just love shrimp that much, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know, did you finish the video? You did, right?
Technically, I have a minute left or whatever. But
oh my god, you want to watch that too?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fuck off. Okay. Well, have fun. I'm gonna go to sleep.
All right. See ya. Talk to
But I think that the main point of today really showed that capitalism's best product is giving excuses for its own failures.
I don't think that we should be giving these people a large platform to amass a larger following, but I do think that we should expose these people to the light.
After David already has a pretty big following.
And I think that even if people have horrendous and repulsive views like he did, I want to hear them because I want to know who those people are.
I also don't think that he really listened to a lot of the claims. I also don't think everyone listened to his claims.
Truth new counter my
So I
goat
don't know how
though.
productive of a dialogue it was, but maybe we convinced some people at home one way or the other, and maybe there's some value to that.
Unfortunately, I think the things most likely to convince people were Patrick Bet-David just offering people jobs.
Maybe not. My vision for America is if there's anything that happened after COVID, we used to be here. We disagreed on issues here. This is center, this is libertarian, this is conservative, and then
Why do all socialists look like that? Gen Z for real.
COVID, we went here, where we are in a very interesting place that some people don't even want to talk to somebody else that they don't agree with. It's gotten to the point that we are a little bit too divided right now, and I'd like to see America be more united than as divided as it is.
Wow. I guess I don't know. I think he tries to move to defined contribution and retirement plans as part of the sharp right return that the U.S. took under Ronald Reagan when the notion of individual responsibility became economic dogma. New savings vehicle eventually did run into government resistance when the Reagan administration, concerned about the lost tax revenue, tried to eliminate 401ks in 1986. Notwithstanding the fact that 401ks, with the promise of individual empowerment, seemed emblematic of the so-called Reagan Revolution, but by then it was too late. A number of companies were already offering 401ks. I wonder if there's data. If 401ks pay out more than pensions or have a higher return than pensions? Dude, PBD was really good in the debate. You have to admit it. No, I think it was, I'm a capitalist. I think he could have done way better. None of these participants none of these people want to participate in their own survival. I think PBD could have done infinitely better. He cited no data. He didn't engage with half of their points. Booty was terrible, LMAO. Yeah, he might have come off of, because his rhetoric might have been good in some cases. I agree his rhetoric is good in some cases. I don't even think his rhetoric is that good in some other cases, but that's it really. $401ks versus pensions payout. There were a billion easy dunks he missed, yeah. And he didn't even, the fact that, he's talking about, minimum wage, and he, brings up, capital flight and things like that. There were so many, dumb things like that. Oh my god, he managed to not dunk on the incentives. I know, the fact that, oh my god, all of this shit was stupid. I don't know if there's data on this. I don't know if pensions paid out any more than 401ks did. The video seemed convincing only if you were to type it more into already be sympathetic to him. Yeah, I agree. Let me just check real quick. I wonder if this dude has anything on it. What pension scandals tell us about pensions? Retirement accounts lift over 1 million seniors out of poverty. It would be so cool if we could force PBD just talk to a bunch of lefty econ people we know. Well, yeah, but we never agreed to that. Dude, I don't even know. The issue is, like, in that format, by the way, even if you are knowledgeable, it's difficult for you to do well if they can just control the conversation enough and, like, try to steamroll shit and just do, like, dumb intuition pumps, and if they can lay out 20 points and, like, Ishgal so you can't respond to all of them. But yeah. Man, it took us almost 4 hours to get through that video. I'm going to see who I can reach out to, and then I'm going to end the short stream as well. So if you're watching on the short stream, I think I can raid myself. I don't know for sure, though. I can raid myself, okay? If you're watching on the short stream, you'll have to be sent over to my real stream or whatever. So you can head over there now if you want to avoid that. I think there's good examples, like Parker and Dean did well against Kirk. That's true, but they also had more, they had more time. And I think, to be fair, if you're doing well, you're probably not going to get voted out or anything. But yeah, it's definitely not impossible, but I do think it is difficult in that situation. All right, so people on YouTube Shorts, you're about to be sent over. All right, you're about to be going to the real stream. Make sure to